Welcome back to another episode of Footy From the Flat. My name is Dylan Alexander. I'm joined, as always, by the Druzinator.
Thanks for having me around again, Dill.
I've never called you that before, mate.
The Druzinator?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably don't ever call me that. Man, I'm so excited. We've been trying to get Pommy on since Stream 1, and we finally wrangled him in. Here he is, the Pommy in Oz. I don't even know your real name. I just thought he was Pommy.
I don't even know my real name anymore. It is Dan, but you can call me Pom. Everyone else
Dan?
does. Yeah.
Dan, nice. Good to have you on, Dan.
Cheers, mate. I'm looking forward to this. Can't wait.
What do you reckon of this game? First versus fourth. I feel it's kind of like the first real proper test for Collingwood. They've had some big wins against some weaker opposition, a couple of sort of gritty wins, but this one would really stamp them as one of the best teams in the comp.
Yeah, I mean, at the Gabatoir as well, which I think everyone knows, it's probably the worst place to play, isn't it? Like, it's hard. It's the true kind of home advantage. We don't have many home advantages in the AFL, do we? Because everyone plays at the same ground.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Pies got a chance here, I think. Brisbane like to give up a little bit of a lead, and the Pies, once they sniff blood.
Well, speaking of that, I've got some of their results here. So I had the Pies 8th at the start of the year. They've probably so far exceeded that expectation at fourth. They had that big loss to the Giants in round 0, going down by 52 points. Everyone was kind of writing them off. Then they've gone 91 points to Port Adelaide at the MCG, 6 points to the Dogs, which was that kind of umpire gate game, if you remember. A lot of controversy over the free kicks.
Yep.
I don't personally subscribe to that too much.
Oh, shocking umpiring.
Yeah.
It was shocking umpiring that game.
Yeah, a lot of people agree with that. Carlton, 17 points at the G, and then Sydney at Adelaide Oval, they win by 31. So it's kind of, I don't know, like Port Adelaide, that could have been considered a big win. Sydney as well, they're kind of teams that are dropping off a little bit this season. And then Brisbane obviously have won all of their games, but they haven't been, apart from the Richmond game last week, they haven't been actually winning a game until like the third or fourth quarter. So they're sort of coming back late into games. What do we think from a tipping point of view and a personnel point of view with these two teams? Who are you expecting to win, Druzy?
I would tip Brisbane, but I'm like renowned as the worst footy tipper in the world, so don't take my word for it. I just think, you know, we're looking at the last two premiers here. I feel like Brisbane, at the moment, they just know how to win. Like, it doesn't matter how slow they start. They know how to get control of the game and just ride it through. What do you reckon, Pommy?
Tough one. I'm going to have to stick traditional with my tips. I went Collingwood. I really like Collingwood. I was a bit different to Dylan. I had them top 4 this year. I thought the acquisition of Dan Houston would revolutionise them. And
he hasn't been able to play, though.
Is he back?
No, he's still on the suspension.
He's found the shortcut to cheap pay. Getting suspended. It's a smart move. Man after my own heart. I love the sickie too. But I think only Geelong and them are the most well-rounded teams in the comp. I think they can skin you 4 or 5 different ways.
I do agree with that. I was having a look at the numbers a bit this week and kind of who are the main playmakers for each team. And it was kind of interesting to look at it. For Collingwood, as far as that like ball progression guy, the guy that carries the football, it's Nick Dacos. He's around 420 metres gained, the top guy for Collingwood. So he's a centre bounce midfielder, right? He's someone that's kind of getting the ball higher up the field. Where Brisbane, their main guy is kind of Dane Zorko, takes the ball from D50, and that sort of stacks up with the scores from the back half compared to Collingwood, who play that much more like front-heavy game style. And you kind of look at the goals per inside 50. Brisbane go at 24.6% when they get an inside 50 entry to Collingwood's 21.6. So I feel like Collingwood, they're sort of operating in those like tight spaces. They keep the ball really in that front half where Brisbane like to have the ball kind of flicking around end to end, that sort of thing. And that's what I feel like in a way, as well as their winning mentality from winning that premiership last year, that's kind of elevating them a little bit in these games and kind of, I don't know, keeping the ball's always live with them, so they're kind of always in the game.
Oh, I think you've nailed it. I think the one thing about Pies, though, is not many teams could have Ned Long come in as effectively Tom Mitchell.
Yeah.
And do that. Like, I watch Fly as a coach, and I think he could get me on the ball. Like, he's that good. He's that good that he has that system. And I think people will overrate systems in today's football. I think great systems are adaptable. And I think Fly and Sam Mitchell at the minute are the two coaches that are standout for their systems can be adjusted on the fly at any given situation, and everyone understands their role. So I think very underrated. I'm a Carlton fan, so Collingwood compliments are hard, but genuinely an elite team, elite roles, hard to beat.
No matter the personnel, the system stacks up.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like as well, like on top of that, if you look at Collingwood in 2023 when they won the flag, Dacos at halfback, they were like a D50 team. They would move the ball off halfback. They would sort of concede clearance. And then when Dacos is kind of, his body gets a little bit stronger, he comes into the midfield, he plays that role, then they sort of still keep the game style around him. They become more of a forward half team. Obviously last year wasn't as successful like on the field, but I feel like now getting Dan Houston, they've still got that ability to be able to play the fast transition football as well as that sort of centre bounce stuff. I feel like they do have all of the pieces at the moment. For me, it's just like there's still a little bit of a question mark around how those older guys can kind of stand up for the entire season.
Yeah.
You're thinking like Sidey, Pendles, I don't know, Mason Cox has just come on the screen, which you kind of think he's still kicking around the team.
It feels like Jamie Elliott's been around forever as well.
How old is Elliott?
200th game tonight.
Yeah, Benjamin Button, isn't he?
I know. He's playing better footy now than he was a year ago.
He was unreal last week.
He's one of them players though that looked like 35 when he was drafted.
Yeah, well, he's 32.
Yeah, it's like the cheat code, isn't it? Like eventually you grow into your face.
Shannon Hearn was born with a mortgage and four kids, you know what I mean? He was always one of those players that looked old. But yeah, my only real concern with Collingwood, it's not as much age, it's just whether they can hold this for the whole season. Because like right now, they haven't really played too much in Melbourne, but Melbourne has had phenomenal weather this first part of the season. I feel like once it gets a bit colder, once, the hammies start coming in, the soft tissue stuff, they're already struggling to keep guys like De Goey and Schultz on the park. I just want to see if they can go the distance this year. That's my only question with Collingwood, but they've obviously got the talent.
I feel like De Goey's the big one, right? Like he's just come back in now. I think Collingwood fans are talking about the fact that he could be the sub tonight. I'm not sure if that's actually happened.
Let's have a look.
Didn't get to check that, but like he's a big one because I feel like he gives them that. Like you got at stoppage, right? You've got Dacos, who's that sort of loose ball specialist, can kind of create and get going by handball, but De Goey's that real sort of powerful player, the one that can kind of get out the front of the stoppage and just gives them, when they really need a big clearance, like you saw in that grand final in 2023, when De Goey was the guy that kind of got out the front of the stoppage, right? He kicked that big goal when they needed one right at the end of the game. I'm not sure if any of the other players can do that outside, obviously, what Dacos can do. He's an exceptional player, but you look at like Pendles, side bottom, Perryman, if he goes in there, they just don't have that physicality to their game.
I think, though, people forget about rucks. So, like, great ruckmen are suited to the midfield. When you've got DC there, Darcy Cameron is the best defensive ruck in the league. It almost acts as you can afford to play two attacking midfielders because he's going to take out someone on their behalf. And I think DC is incredibly underrated. Like, for me, if we did the All-Australia now, Jerry and DC would be my rucks without a shadow of a doubt.
It feels like across the board a little bit. Like I feel like Sherry's not quite having the season. He started really well, and then he picked up that injury. I can't remember. I think it was
he's
like
playing one-legged though, isn't he?
Yeah. At the moment,
still killing it.
Max Gawn's obviously had a bit of a drop off, but I do agree. Like as far as a combination of like the around the ground stuff and the tap work from D Cameron's been pretty exceptional. He's definitely getting the most out of himself as a ruck overall.
And I feel like the most in vogue thing at the minute is three toes, which I think Collingwood. I was huge in the pre-season on trying to get Tim Membry to Collingwood. I was like, I think he's the missing...
To Carlton?
No, it's Collingwood.
Oh,
okay. When I did my pre-season trade and draft targets for clubs.
Okay.
And I think you've seen straight away, McRae has really learned how that creates it because McStay, Majacek and Membry, they all lead in three different ways. So it causes havoc for opposition zones. You've got Membry leading up the ground. McStay likes to do that lateral movement, and then Majacek has always been that little awkward guy that finds pockets of space. When you combine that with Ian Hill, when you combine that with players like Jamie Elliott, it's GG's.
Who do you guys reckon is their best forward?
Tough one.
If I had to buy anyone, it'd be Bobby Hill, but I don't think he's their best forward.
What about key forward?
They're all sort of level, aren't they? I would take Majacek. I think
He's
just been
their
so
leading
consistent.
goal kicker.
Yeah,
I was
been
having
so
a look
good
at
for
that.
so long.
Yeah.
If you said to me at Carlton, I had to take a key forward, Membry.
You take Membry over
take
Majacek?
Membry.
Yeah, I'd take Membry because I feel like that Membry's work up the ground allows you to have a stay-at-home forward, which I think, in my opinion, their work around the ground is better than Carlton's Collingwood. Membry and how he gets involved in the play.
Yep.
I'd say Collingwood. Digsby's in chat, so I'm sure he'll tell me if I'm chatting bare rubbish. But I think Collingwood would love a Harry or a Charlie, and I think we'd love that conduit, that person that links them all together.
Well, you guys don't have those players, right? That one that sort of just does all of the hard work, can play a little bit at ground level. You've got the two beasts in there, but not necessarily the hybrid.
No, yeah. Carlton have a habit of, instead of going out and buying these players, we just fail with a position that we did buy and hope they're converted into what we now want. So, like McGovern, we wanted a third tall.
Yeah.
It didn't quite work.
Was he brought in as a forward or a back?
Yeah, as a forward.
Yeah,
and
right.
then, do you know what I mean? Liam Jones, unfortunately, had to retire because of COVID. He didn't want to have the COVID vaccination, if you remember, and Carlton retired him. So then we were like, oh, well, McGovern hasn't worked, has he? Maybe just put him back, because he's big and his brother's good. And then we put all of our eggs in the Jack Martin basket because we were like, he's going to get healthy. He'll be fit. Like, he's only ever played 2 games out of 10 for his entire career. Didn't work. So then we convert another player. And Cowan are just like, Cowan are a little bit like your auntie, I always think, with all this management decisions. You know, as she just like keeps stuff from like 1864.
Can you give us an example of that?
Well, I'd say, like, Zach Williams would be a great example. Like, most clubs who have spent, like, his contract from memory was 850k when he came under, and that was quite heavily documented. And Sauce and Carlton were quite adamant. Nick Austin, it was one of his first acquisitions. He was a midfielder. Turned out he wasn't a midfielder. So then we played him off halfback, which was his position at GWS. I think he's one of the best halfbacks I've ever seen, personally. I was excited about that.
The speed and the run.
Yeah, and then he does the ACL, and then a year later, kind of like, you know what, we haven't got any pocket forwards.
Halfback.
Zach, he could be it, couldn't he? And it's like, where a normal club would maybe cut their losses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Go, right, okay, we'll pay 300k of his salary, give us a pick. Carlton are adamant to, like, it's almost like Carlton are reluctant to admit they've made a mistake.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Like, we'll play you anywhere, at any time, and hope it works.
It's so interesting. Like, you look at that, like that Carlton foot. Not to get too deep into Carlton here, I'm sure we'll do that.
Can't believe you're punishing me.
A little bit throughout the episode.
Here's to relax, boys.
It's probably not like this sounds harsh on those guys, but it's probably the worst small forward group in the comp. Would you agree with that?
I had so many conversations with people over the off season, like talking about Carlton's list, and I don't know if it's just because I'm a salty Freo fan that's been traumatized by the results that we've had over the years. But even in those games where we've narrowly lost, I felt like we've been the better side like this whole time, and like, those games are forgotten about, but I've always sort of had in the back of my mind, like, fuck Carlton for that. They're not even that good. And now, like, you look at the list position, sorry to bring this back to Freo, but like, our list is now
It's
right.
not like you, Drizzy.
No, not at all. But like, I feel like our list right now is so, like, it's perfectly placed to have a run consistently. And you look at this Carlton side, and like you said, it just feels like your auntie's top drawer just got a bunch of shit just all over the gaff.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got one of them uncles, who keeps spares all the time. Like my uncle shout out Uncle Dave as well. Shout out to you, mate.
Big ups, Uncle Dave.
But he's got like drawers, like, where he's got like a hexagon key from 1612.
Just in case.
Just in case. Do you know what I mean? But like, if your car breaks down and someone knocks on his door and goes, "Oh, I've got a 1982 Ford Austin. Has anyone got a hubcap?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." And like, he's got it, and you're like, "No way." That's what I feel like Carlton are. Instead of just throwing it away and going, "Let's go to Kmart and get something new," We're using the same things. But I disagree. I don't think our forward line's that bad. I just
come on
stupid.
now.
No, I
So
think,
wait, okay, let's.
I can explain it.
I didn't mean the entire forward line,
No, I
though.
can
The
explain it, though.
smalls.
I think you look at how Carlton set up. So Carlton have set up almost like, in my opinion, how a kindergartner would set up the forward structure. And it's like you've got two giants. Let's bomb this into them.
Yep.
And law of averages, if we can get 100 inside 50s, Harry and Charlie will mark 50.
Yeah.
That's all we've got to do. I think it's the difference between us and Collingwood is Collingwood, when they take McStay out and say, I don't know, let's use Ed Allen comes in as an extra, right? They will change their forward setup to benefit Ed Allen. Carlton almost have a rule that our full forward must do this, regardless if that's Lewis Young or if it's Harry. So this week, Lewis Young will play as if it's Harry. There won't be any, what's you're good at? It'll be the setup. And
It's like an archaic philosophy that they won't. They're not malleable enough to change on the run.
And I feel that's coaching. So I feel like if you look at Motlop, it's almost like Voss has watched Adelaide and gone, you know what, nippy, exciting, indigenous forward goes to play on the ball to offer a POD.
Yeah.
We're like, it's almost like he's gone, oh, that's a good idea.
But I
Who
even
could
feel
we
like
use?
you're recruiting, like that's where it comes back to, like, is it Voss's fault? Is it the whole club thing? Because I feel like even your recruiting's a little bit like that. You always recruit these sort of like same sort of midfielders. They're like around 180 centimetres. They're not particularly athletic. They're sort of high IQ, you know, good crafty stoppage players, but without
look sexy on the ball, but
look
really,
pretty nice on the ball and all of that sort of stuff. They look like a good all-round midfielder, but they don't really have that like modern bite.
You know what it reminds me of is I think how
My cousin.
It reminds me of Steven Gerrard as a coach. So to use a soccer approach, if you watch any club he sports, he says the most important part is moments of magic.
Yeah, which is how he played.
Right, and it's fascinating because then if you see Emery at Aston Villa, he changes it and it's literally 11 men will beat you.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same team as Gerrard. Gerrard says we need to be better at moments of magic. You look at Carlton when we win, Curnow kicks 8. Harry kicks 7. Cripps has 40 and he takes out the other midfielder. Carlton's system is very set around its stars, where if you look at St Kilda, they don't have any stars, with all due respect. It's set out on the strength of 18 people on the pitch at any one time.
I feel like that also plays into the, like, I don't know, Michael Voss, like the personality as well. Because the game style is a little bit, it's that sort of contest and defense, which was a heavy part of the way he played. And he almost wants everyone to play like that.
Yeah, and you saw 2024, it was very quick how we know Voss wants to lock it in the forward line, law of averages. Teams now shorten the ground, making Carlton have more congestion. They know that Carlton focus heavily on their contested side, the number one contested side in the comp, highest contested possession rate. And then people will use lazy analysis and go, Carlton can't kick. But then if you look at Dan Houston, when his contested possessions are in the 40% range, his kicking goes down to 60.
Yeah, for sure.
So you see, Carlton can't possibly kick because not many players have existed other than Grant Birchall who can kick excellently with two guys on you. So it's very easy to beat Carlton, shorten the field, make them go wide. They'll naturally want to come back inside. And I think when you talk about our recruitment, I'd say our recruitment stacks up. Ollie Hollands, we need an outside runner. For me, Ollie Hollands is one of the best wingers to ever come through the draft. But Carlton have never played him as that attacking winger. You look at
Best
Sam
winger
Davidson
to ever
against
come through the
Dogs.
draft.
I would say in the last 5 years,
That's actually a big shout.
I'd say the most attacking, naturally gifted winger we've seen. I was so excited when we got him. But first year, played defensive wing.
What number was Hollands again in the draft?
10, 11.
10.5. We'll go with that.
It depends, I suppose, if you go like a pure winger or you say just like an outside player, because I feel like there's still better outside, like similar number in the draft taken. I feel like there's better outside runners. Like Caleb Windsor was taken in a similar pick. I reckon he's a better player than Hollands.
Yeah,
Nasiah, Wanganeen, Miller are an outside. They're not necessarily pure wingers, but they're probably even more adaptable to be able to play like across halfback. I feel like Ollie Hollands he's a really good endurance runner. I think one thing Carlton have done in the draft and in recruiting, they've tried to draft in a lot of guys that can run, but they don't necessarily have like Ollie Hollands, he's a winger. He doesn't have overhead ability either, which a lot of modern day wingers do have. So he doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the way Carlton play, it made sense to bring him in. So
yeah,
I think if you look at Ollie Hollands, if he was at Brisbane, he would have played 10 games in his first year. He would have been playing just behind Zach Bailey. they would have had a nice defensive stopper behind him.
No, he's a good player.
So you see, I think that this is where people like lazy analysis. Yes, Ollie Hollands hasn't been great, but I'd say if you look at Carlton's draftees in the last 5 years, probably the only club that never plays them to the strengths of why they were drafted. So with Ollie, it's almost like Carlton have looked, okay, he's a hard two-way runner. So what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on that. We're not going to focus on the fact that he had a nice penetrating kick inside 50. We've got two big keys that he could maybe kick to. We don't want him to defend. We want him to get on the outside a little bit more. Carlton just looked at that running and said, right, we'll keep our system. We'll try and keep it condensed. You can protect the players that probably aren't very good defensively. And I don't think he's developed. You look at Lindsay, like at Melbourne, they've played him literally to his strengths. Literally to his strengths. You look at Harley Reid at Eagles, they're rubbish, but they're playing Harley Reid to his pure strengths in year one. Carlton wouldn't have done that. Carlton would have gone, right, Harley Reid, we need you to be Cripps' mate. Yeah. And he would have been like, oh, but boys, I'm pretty good at doing the give and go and kicking it from 55. We were like, yeah, that's great, mate, cheers. Can you just tackle people, please?
Yeah. I feel like, though, when some of the clubs that are doing it really well at the moment, like you look at a club like the GWS Giants, who have, like, they have a really good consolidation, like their kind of, what would you say, foundation is really good already in the list. So they'll actually go to the draft in the first round and say they'll take a small forward. They'll just go,
they take what they want.
They take what they want, yeah. So they're not, whereas I feel like there's still teams in the league, I think North are a big one for this too, where they're like, we've got a high draft pick, so we have to take a classy midfielder.
We have to take the best player available. I agree with you. I mean, I think like Darcy Jones would be a great example.
Yeah.
Darcy Jones.
Ollie Hannaford in the last draft.
Yeah, like Darcy Jones, though, for me, you look at how GWS have done it. They've changed that role to suit what he's good at. He's incredibly quick. If you give him just a small little gap from a contest, he's gone.
I mean, he's the most agile, like he's actually factually the most agile player ever.
And I think Darcy Jones wouldn't work in any other system but GWS's at the minute. I think other teams would struggle to work out a way of how to get the best out of him.
How to get the best out of him, perhaps, yeah.
And I watched Darcy Jones and I'm like, I know for facts if Carlton had Darcy Jones, he'd be playing forward pocket for Carlton.
Yeah. Just be isolated.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It'd be like, you're quick, you're nimble.
Yeah.
You'll kick goals. You'll work it out.
You'll be Eddie Betts for us.
And that's what annoys me, because when people say Carlton have drafted horribly, I don't believe we have. I believe we've drafted incredibly well for the modern game. The problem is like you look at Jagger Smith this year. If you were picking a player for Carlton, it would probably be Harvey Langford. If you were going to be honest of how Carlton play and what they're trying to do on the field.
Langford okay, in that whole club.
Endurance runner, incredibly physically strong.
Yes.
It would make sense. But then Jagger, when you look at what the best work he does, you'd be like, okay, well, why would Carlton want that? Because Carlton aren't going to play that modern day way where we get the ball away from the contest, which Jagger would be exceptional at. Giving the ball in tight, he'll ping it out. Carlton are probably one of the few teams in the world that do everything right, win the stoppage, get it out, but then they have to come back to the contest.
Yeah. I probably have a bit of a different opinion on that with Jagger, because I sort of saw that Jagger was actually a player that was kind of, in a way, like on the stat sheet, he does the same thing as what the mids that you have. You're brilliant at the clearances, right?
Yeah.
You're going to beat most teams in the clearances. Jagger Smith is a clearance animal, not from a strength point of view, but a loose ball animal.
Yeah.
Like he was the guy that he looks like a run and carry player. Like he looks like an outside player with his body shape, but he's not really. He doesn't actually, the meters gained and that sort of stuff isn't a big part of his game. So I don't know. I just feel like they're not ambitious enough and not risk averse enough to take somebody that fits outside. Like they were like, we've got pick 3, Jagger Smith's the best mid, so we've got to take him.
It was, look, we had that debate and we both got it wrong. We didn't think it was Jagger.
No.
I think we got it right looking back at the system Carlton are trying to play.
Yeah.
But I look at our list management and it's almost like they're drafting for a coach that's not there.
Yeah.
Like, because Jagger makes sense. He's quick. He's going to get the ball out there quicker. It's almost like we're trying to make everyone else do that. He's got the gift.
Yeah, like the recruiting team are trying to make the team go into the modern era.
And it's almost like when you look at the wings, I'll go back to this. Voss, our old coach Teague, played inside midfielders on the wing. So there was games where Satterfield used to play wing.
Yeah. Well, everybody used to do that 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, but it's like Carlton, honestly, are like 7 years behind. You know what I mean? So, but that's how we did it. And then we went out and got wingers and you were like, okay, this makes sense. Because Carlton's 2023 year, real ambitious in the forward half of the ground, really exciting, take a lot of risks. Add the wingers, get the spread, because we've got control from the centre. We can dominate now. But then you look at how our wingers play, they pinch inside and almost act as extra midfielders to protect the transition. Where we're going to watch the best winger in the comp, Hugh McLuggage, player that when he goes out there, changes the game. Zach Bailey working up half forward. We're going to see how they look to spread very quickly. And you're going to see Collingwood do it, where you'll see watch Carlton, they'll get the ball out wide, and it's almost like...
The other thing on that, though, like the speed of those guys, you talk about Bailey, you talk about Rayner, McCluggage, the speed offensively, but also the speed defensively to be able to close you down. They do that so well, just clog up all of those holes in transition. I think the game's about 20 seconds away from starting here,
we've got a lot of why are we spending so much time on Carlton here. Pommy and Oz is a Carlton tragic, but no, well said.
I agree.
Well said.
Get me off it. Let me talk about...
Okay, boys, who we got here?
I'm just backing the home team, and that's the only...
Pies.
that's the only
Pies
thing
by
I've
16.
Pies by 60.
16.
1-6.
Jesus.
Also, what's
Come
happening
on,
there? I've got to go with the Lions at home. I think Bailey, Rayner. Then again, I do look at the Collingwood's backline, Maynard, Quainer or Perryman. Good defenders to be marking up on Bailey, Rayner types. But I'm going to go Brisbane. I think they'll be too strong. Those forwards too strong.
I'm excited for Pommy to teach me about football tonight. I've just sat here and listened. One of the best minds in the game. Here we go.
I've got to shout out my father-in-law for that.
Dunkley on Dacos. Dunkley on Dacos. Is he going to be able to shut him down and hurt him the other way? Cameron McInerney in the ruck.
Here we go.
This is hot.
Dacos matched up on Dunkley.
That hit
midfield
out
battle
is the same hit out you see every time from Collingwood. It's like so repetitive, and it's amazing that no team has worked it out.
Have you ever thought about getting into footy coaching?
I'd love to. Here we are. Look at this side bottom.
Down the wing. The former Brisbane Lion here, Dan McStay. He's got sticky mitts, but he couldn't bring that one down.
Who would you take right now in the key defenders, Harris Andrews or Sam Taylor?
Sam Taylor.
I think I would
for my club, I would take Sam Taylor, yeah. But it's not saying Harris Andrews is shit. It's just like, man, Sam
Depends
Taylor
what you value, innit?
Yeah.
Because I suppose Harris Andrews has got the history of brilliance, where Taylor's probably burst onto the scene 2-3 years.
Yeah. I feel like maybe like the consistency would be with Taylor as far as the performances put down. But the only thing that I think that would lean you Harris Andrews is like the height. Like he's is he like 205 or something?
He's a giant.
He's an absolute giant.
He definitely ate his broccoli.
Like it's a bit for
McStay. McStay. Beast.
Do you reckon he's just going to beat up on the Lions because he used to play for them?
I hope so. I like a ex-player playing against a new club.
You get told to eat your vegetables as a kid, but then you turn into an adult and you wonder how much of an effect it has on people. How important is it to eat your vegetables?
My little brother's about 2 foot shorter than me. We always joke that he was the milkman's. I can confirm.
Where is this going?
And I started talking about broccoli. That's a goal for Dan McStay,
I can confirm that he used to feed our dog Princess his veggies.
Really? Never ate his veggies.
So I tell my kids all the time, there's a reason that I'm normal sized and your uncle's tiny.
Digsby's just let us know that Dan McStay's kicked a goal.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
We just said.
We did say that in amongst it. Dan McStay's definitely eaten his broccoli over the years.
Can I put a counter argument for Harris Andrews?
Go on.
So
okay,
we always have this discussion on our streams that there is 2 types of being good. There's been a better player, but then a better team player. I would say Harris Andrews in a bottom 4 club would be superior to Sam Taylor in a bottom 4 club.
Really? Why is that?
Well, history would say Harris Andrews played for the Lions when they were bobbins, and GWS, in fairness, have always been at worst mid-tier when Sam Taylor's been leading that.
Is that sort of personality based?
I just think the way I think I would trust Harris Andrews. If I was West Coast Eagles, I'd trust Harris Andrews at fullback more than I would Sam Taylor.
Really?
I think over repeat entries. So it's something we always say, like Bontempelli and Cripps. I think Bontempelli is the better footballer without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
But Bontempelli in Eagles midfield or Cripps in Eagles midfield, I think you'd always want Cripps because he's going to win the hard ball.
So it's personality driven.
Yeah, so I always think skill-wise...
Yeah, I got you.
I think there's two different types.
Individual versus team player.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So like when we talk about football players, Messi,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want Messi playing for Stoke.
Do you think it's even more complicated?
I'd
Yeah,
love to
I know
see
what you're saying.
I'd love to see
Do
that.
you think it's even like it's probably even more complicated than just like two types? Like
Oh,
there's just a
100%.
wider range of personalities.
100%. I think you'll see like good
Mason
players.
Cox, straight in front.
Get in. Look at him.
He's missed
Beast.
it.
Nice behind.
Mason.
I like his face, when he misses Mason.
I like Mason.
I
reckon he's great for AFL.
100%. He cops so much shit, Mason
Far
Cox.
out.
Just,
It's 'cause he's American, though.
It makes I
yeah,
know.
it makes sense, but it's like he's got a good soul, and I hate that people take the piss out of him.
Yeah, he's been like a great player. Like not as a on the ball footballer, but I think for like what he's done, the size of him, he can for a ruckman he can go in there like throw his weight around. He's taken some big marks, had some big games, big moments for Collingwood. I think it's been pretty.
I think what people forget as well is it's quite hard to, like, for a foreigner, there's no game like this in the world.
Yeah, it's weird.
So,
Yeah.
like, he's been picked because he's a giant. And
Yeah.
he's learned to play a very peculiar position in
Ve-
the
McSay
football field.
again. Beautiful ball movement through the middle of the ground there from the Pies. Harris Andrews mops it up. Rush kick outside 50.
Jeez, they got away with that.
That's lucky. McCluggage is there. Ashcroft with a little cheapy handball. And it's McCluggage again. Little chip over the top to Bailey, but two Pies are there waiting for it. Good tackle. Do we feel like Bailey has lived up to the hype that he once had? I
think he's phenomenal.
I love watching him play, especially in that 22-23 period. I feel like he was a bit, I don't know. I thought he was going to like really pop off, but maybe it's because he's in such a good team that has so many stars across the park. That
I think we get too sucked in. Like Zach Bailey is the leading goal kicker for Brisbane right now.
Right.
In a team that's 5-0. We, like Aussie rules fans, we get so sucked into numbers. And I think everybody wanted Zach Bailey to be a Brownlow medal contender, a 30 disposal, 25 disposal sort of guy. And he's just not that. He's a really dynamic kind of medium forward. And Cam Rayner's probably in the same boat a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
High draft pick. Had a lot of expectation.
I feel like in today's game as well, it's really underrated. Because it's funny, if you said if I could have any player from Brisbane, it would probably be Zach Bailey.
Probably be Zach Bailey.
That link between midfield and forward is, I think, the most important position in football.
But we
Such a
always
finisher.
put all the credit with like your Neils, your Ashcrofts, because they get there.
It's probably because you only get 12 touches as well, isn't it? So people
Yeah.
disregard you if you're less than 20.
Exactly.
He's
Like,
your man,
look at the
Cam
speed. Look at the
Bang.
speed.
Charlie Cameron. Great spoil from Darcy Moore there.
Can I just say, Frampton this year deserves a lot of plaudits.
Yeah.
Because he's allowed Darcy, to play just that loose role. Last year, he would have been in Howe's position there, like in the danger zone. Allows him to play a little bit looser.
They've had to be pretty flexible with that too, right? Because they had McInnes. McInnes was going to play that extra lockdown role. And then Frampton's had to come in and he's doing a good job.
I get a Sam Frost vibe with
Yeah.
Mr. Frampton. I feel like he's probably going to be out of the side this time next year.
For sure.
But people aren't going to appreciate how hard he worked. Shocking kick there.
I think this guy's a top player. Darcy Wilmot.
Yeah. He's always just looked at the level from the day that he came in.
His Zorko.
There's possessing the ball here a bit, Brisbane. Yeah, they had a lot of options to go by hand there and just invited the pressure, the Pies. But yeah, great start to this game so far.
Do you guys reckon Brisbane have been the reason? Like the 15-metre mark rule. Free kick Rayner there.
Well, they've been more harsh on it, cracking down on it.
Because of Brisbane, I reckon. They win the flag last year. A lot of short chippy kicks. I think Brisbane already this season are like plus 30 marks on Collingwood. Like I had a look at the two teams.
Maybe I'm a traditionalist, but I hate how they just change shit all the time. Like, there's been so many kicks this year that have clearly been 15 metres and then like not 15. It's like, I'd rather you pay a kick that's 10 metres and pay it a mark than one that's 15.2.
You just don't like the inconsistency.
Yeah.
Of it. Yeah. It makes the game feel very random at times.
And it's not like it's that OP of a strategy. Like, just use your better judgment and call.
Yeah. I think
the
like
point.
to play devil's
Pulls it
advocate
left.
on that. Yeah, Rayner's missed that. To play devil's advocate on it, I think the AFL, they want the ball in motion. They don't want teams to play this uncontested, kick short.
But you don't have to change the sport every time a team gets good at the strategy. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the 6-6-6 rule was like, I can cop that. Like, that's fine because, like, I don't know. You don't want to just have like flooding back and that type of thing. But
Yeah. I think the 6-6-6 rule too, like you don't really notice it from just watching the game, right? You don't go, it's not a rule. It's sort of like before the plays actually started.
Yeah.
So you don't sort of notice it. But this one's a bit more, I don't know. Like, I don't mind when they change things that sort of have a positive impact on the game. I think he's got that.
Oh, no.
Behind.
Just missed.
Skinny.
Very underrated role player is Calamachi.
Far out.
What did he kick on grand final day? 5?
4, I think.
4?
Yeah, he's just one of them players, and he just keeps doing what he needs to do.
Well, he was a top pick, wasn't he? Wasn't he like a top 5 pick for Gold Coast?
Was he?
Am I chatting shit here?
I think so. Maybe not, though.
You know what's great to watch about these two teams? Just they're not scared of that switch. You don't have to go forward all the time. Sometimes, like here, look, just a bit of patience.
Yeah.
Pull the zones out.
Pick 8 in the 2015 draft. I wasn't chatting shit.
To Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's that 2016 like black gap that you got in your mind there, Dill.
Yeah.
The Russia days.
Yeah. Overseas.
That's beautiful from Lipinski as well. That open it up. Majacek's so good at that lead.
He's such a satisfying
Harris.
footballer to watch, Lipinski.
I know. He's actually leading Collingwood this season for score involvements.
There you go.
He's actually having a good season.
If you're going to do a Barbie movie,
Yeah.
Lipinski would be Ken, wouldn't he?
He would be Ken.
All day long.
Yep.
Oh, I'd go Dacos.
Would you?
Yeah.
Ken?
I think Nick's too pretty.
Oh, is Ken not pretty?
I think he's pretty, but I think he's like more traditionally pretty, isn't he? It's like 1950s
Well,
pretty.
so Ken's a bit like off-brand pretty, like a bit like...
Lipinski looks
vintage
like
pretty.
a Swedish prince. You know what I mean? Like,
I've seen what you mean. Yeah,
minus
totally.
the blonde hair.
Disney Prince.
Good chat here.
this is
That's Jimmy Tunstall.
Tunstall. That's
WA boy.
what's he doing in there?
Well, I reckon he was like an early second rounder, maybe a late second rounder when he got picked up from WA. That was the year that I was working at the State Academy.
Yeah, right.
And he was always a quiet operator, just went about his business.
What sort of a player are we talking about?
All I can really remember from him was just like a really nice ball user, but I can't give you anything more than that.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I don't even know what position he's really going to play.
It's interesting that the pockets of Brisbane aren't playing out the back of the stoppage. They're really trying to be reactive to this quick slingshot that Collingwood do. Like Collingwood have done really well here to keep it in hands, and they're reacting. They're not committing too many people forward.
Say that to me as if I've never watched football before.
It's just they're smaller players. So you've seen like Cameron, Bailey and co. They're not playing goal side in case the ball comes out the back.
Right.
They're reacting to it to be there in case Collingwood play that little handball switch that they do.
Gotcha. God, you're a smart bloke. Not just a pretty face, are you?
Again, shout out my father-in-law. He taught me everything I knew. Many a night.
Is his name Lee Matthews?
I'd ask him, why the hell were we doing this? Why the hell are they doing this?
Josh Dacos to halfback. What do we reckon?
I like it.
Well, that was a great kick to Pendlebury, so until he does anything I don't like.
It's been good.
See, that's such a clever kick.
Oh, that was, yeah.
You won't get anything for that. That
And
was
that's
shocking
not.
by the goalie, but...
Tunstall, ball use.
Oh, here
See
we go.
that kick?
Oh, 50.
Oh, that's not 15.
Gets
Out
it to
wide.
Ashcroft.
Tunstall again. Bang. I told you he's a good ball user.
What are you talking about?
He's got it 100% since he said that, mate.
mate.
Honestly, I tell you.
That's not
Kicked
even
about
a
a 15
buzzword
minute
tonight.
sideways pass.
Yeah, absolute... That was a bullet.
Jeez, tidy. Jasper Fletcher's been playing really well.
Little
Look
flower
at that
bag.
kick. Beautiful.
You see Craig McRae there?
To be fair, Darcy Cameron's lost that in the air, hasn't he?
Must have been the sun.
Look at this.
What
Was a
was this?
shocking kick.
You know what, though? Degoe, I don't... Like, he's one of them players, isn't he, that he's real high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind that. Like, if I was a coach, although that's shocking, I don't mind what he was trying
It's
to
a
do
bit like
there.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
Gives the ball away a
Like-
lot for United, but he makes things happen.
But,
yeah.
but I feel like that was just a little bit of match fitness knowledge missing last week.
Yep.
I feel like that'll come off in third quarter.
Yeah.
Omac.
He's put it through.
Bang.
They've hit the
One goal
front.
apiece.
Gee, this is
We're
gonna
talking
be a good
about
game.
Ken, but if you were going to get someone to play the dude who
Voldemort.
opens the door in Adam's family, Oscar McInerney would be top of that list, wouldn't he?
He is such an attractive unit.
I imagine if I knock on his door, he just goes, "You rang." Sure, he's a great bloke, though.
Yeah.
yeah,
They say he
he's a
is.
great bloke.
Do you know him, Drews?
No, just the grand final antics last year has made me love him.
What did he do?
What do you mean? What did he do? He didn't play in the grand final.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
okay.
Come on.
Yeah.
And then was just like stoked. Like you see Andrew Gaff lose the grand final and he cries his eyes out like he was supposed to be there. Omac played the week before and fucking.
Gaff's been getting some drive-bys.
You can't take the Dockers out of you. Can you?
Yeah, no,
You
not
can't
at all.
take the Dockers out of you.
Mate, you cut me open on purple.
You know what,
No,
Oscar McInerney, incredibly under. You know, in an era where if you don't win hit-outs to advantage, but you can get 20 possessions and run, ruckmen get raved about. Oscar McInerney is a great flashback to the past. Just do what you do.
That was
Dacos.
a turn of pace from Dacos.
Honestly,
On McCluggage.
uh,
That was huge.
my God. I think I just creamed.
What's Jackson
We-
Payne doing there?
We were speaking last week, Pommy, about does Dacos get too much glaze? And
No.
there's moments, that's what I said. I said no, I don't think there's too much glaze to the opposition of Marnie who was on here, who was making the point. But
I agree.
Hold up, let me hold here.
let me finish.
When you see that and three grown men audibly go, oh, that's when you know the glaze isn't too much.
You know what it is? It's idiots who are like, he doesn't get a contested mark and stuff. Why would you drive a Porsche through a quagmire?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He could probably take a contested mark if he wanted to. You want him doing that.
Yeah.
You want him skirting that centre clearance, getting there in space.
How's the turn of speed there? Speaking about a
mate,
Porsche.
he just R2'd that, didn't he?
R2.
Right.
I want to see this again, actually. Like,
Look at this. Gather.
he gets...
His movement, though,
Watch this,
off
ready?
the ball
Meow.
there was genius. Like, he read that from that contest.
You know what, though? This is what I'm talking about with Mason Cox, like where he's underrated. His size, like his pure
Yeah.
physical stature there, he gets that ball to the back to Dacos. He gets the gather from hit out and then can kind of like set that all up, make it happen.
It's honestly like, I think people don't appreciate, like, I know as a Carlton fan, yes, Nick gets a lot of love, but he is a joy to watch.
He's
Yeah.
the Ronaldo of the AFL, isn't he?
Ronaldo?
Well, in terms of just like,
I think he's
say
more
he's
of a
more
Messi.
Messi,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a
or
Messi.
more Messi, but you get what I mean. Like superstar name.
I'd
looks
say
more like
Ronaldo's
Ronaldo.
more-
Oh,
look
what a
at this.
taste!
Oh,
Pendlebury is having a great opening quarter. As I say that, commentator's curse. He turns the ball
Honestly,
over.
you can see the two hit outs, though, that Collingwood deploy. They like that one straight down into the middle when everyone clears out.
Yeah.
And then they like that one that just goes straight across to left wing.
Right.
It's fascinating how you can see it happen before it happens, and it's just real cleverly done, real simple football.
I'm glad that I'm learning some stoppage craft because my team has none of it. The Wattle Park
who was in the
Animals.
ruck then?
That was Mason Cox.
That was Cox again, yeah. I think he was up against Morris?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Was it Sam Day?
Might have been Sam Day. Yeah, it's actually interesting that he's definitely the odd one out in this Brisbane side as far as from a quality point of view, right?
Yeah, weird pickup.
Yeah.
Weird pickup.
But you've got to give full credit to Brisbane of how you lose Danaher and you suddenly manage to make your forward half just as damaging. Like, that's
Yeah.
a huge shout out
Yeah.
to Fakes there. That, like, you know, that you're starting to use your half forwards a little bit more.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
starting to use decoy runs so players get involved. It's smart football. Like,
For
most
sure.
clubs would just keep the same mantra and Day would expect to be Danaher.
He's,
They've actually redeveloped it in a pre-season.
yeah.
Pendle's
Just got
inside
more
50
goals out of
again.
it.
Big say. Oh, my check.
He's good from these situations and he's kicked it. That's a great goal from a player that size.
You know what I love about Majacek, though, is I'm a firm believer that the two key forward era is dead.
The two key for what do you
Like
mean
two
by that?
big guys. I feel like the smart way to go is having your Membry and your Majacek types.
Your
and then-
hybrids.
And then your McStay.
Yeah,
And
okay.
everyone works
Okay,
off
so one
the big
You're
bulky
saying like
dude.
one key as far as
Yeah,
traditional key.
one big static guy. Like, you watch when Mason Cox goes up there, lives in the goal square, takes a man out, and these other two have a little bit of fun and bit of showtime. Like, see there, he's dragged Harris Andrews. Look, that dummy lead there, look, just push him back into the
Yeah.
contest. Harris Andrews was expecting Majacek to go for that the
Yeah.
entire time. And he's like, nah, bang.
sucked in for half a second.
He's just engaged him at the right time. But like to be able to do that as essentially he is a key position player. Like he's kind of their focal point, my check. And to be able to do that sort of thing, I just think he's got so much out of himself.
Oh, play to your strengths.
Yeah.
Pendlebury has been absolutely incredible this quarter. Jimmy Tunstall, how's the ball use?
Surely. Come on, Umps. Disgrace.
Yeah, Dacos and Pendles are just cooking here.
It's going to be interesting. The Pendles-Dacos combination is filthy. It's going to be interesting what they do when Pendles decides to tap out.
There's talk that he could just walk into a head coach role straight out of footy, Scott Pendlebury. He's currently
I
coaching.
reckon he's got a bit of titch about him and a bit of Sam Mitchell about him.
He's
I can see it. I can see him coaching Collingwood's VFL team and them
he's already coaching at Haileybury.
Sensational.
I feel like those kind of players can always be like, I know he's the type of player that looks like a really high IQ player on the field. I don't know, like, does that necessarily just mean that he's going to be a good coach?
Yes.
I don't think it does.
Well,
I think someone like Mitchell, it's obvious because he played at the back, didn't he? He dictated play. Pendlebury does the same. I think if you had a burst player, good mark that.
bang.
I think Mitchell's a bit different though, because like Mitchell, like the way that he speaks about football, you actually get an intelligence from him. Like he seems to be able to like communicate to fans really well, communicate to the players really well. I don't know if I get the same vibe off of Pendlebury when he actually speaks about football.
I suppose it depends if he loves it, but I do think Pendles is incredibly smart.
I think that's what he's going to do from what I've heard. Is that
He is. I think he's coaching at Haileybury.
Yeah, I just said that, bro.
Oh, did you?
Just said that. Come on, man. Right. Come on, bro.
You know what, there as well, this is a player that really intrigues me, Eric Itwood, because I feel like he is about to come into his own this year.
Yeah, no Danaher. All the lights are on him. What can you provide?
And I feel
like
the day just full forward, it's allowing him to be a bit more of a focal point.
Yep.
I feel like he has to watch Hogan a bit, Jesse Hogan, just how Jesse Hogan revolves around that. He isolates them corridors of uncertainty. If you watch Jesse, he doesn't play like a proper key forward. He floats to areas that you would not expect. Like, that's clever that he's instantly gone. And you see here, Frampton's constantly playing catch-up there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Bless him.
We've got some comments I want to read through. Pom, you look so sexy in 4K.
Is that Slobber? Welcome, mate. I love you, brother.
Did someone actually write that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Slobber. Good friend of the Pommy and Oz channel.
Blue Abroad and Pommy and Oz are my favourites. Well, we couldn't get Blue Abroad on, so...
cheers, Jack.
Big ups, Jack Vincent. Yeah, one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on is I've just heard people saying you got to get Pommy on. He's one of the most underrated blokes ever. And you're living up to the hype so far, Pommy. So the love in the chat is warranted. What else have we got?
Can I just say, McCluggage is my legit, my guilty pleasure. I feel like he gets no love.
We actually did a big top players for the season conversation last week on the stream, and I just completely forgot about him. But he's been one of the best players in the comp this season.
Like, honestly, Clug is like my favourite. Like, it's the most unloved role in football. But if you watch Brisbane, Cluggage is like literally the man that makes Neil's hard work pay off.
Well, does he not play inside at all?
Yeah, he does. He's about 50% CBAs.
Yeah, right.
So he's
Is he inside and out? Like, does he start on the wing and centre bounce?
He plays centre bounce, half forward, and wing essentially, and there's like a rotation there.
That's incredible.
I feel like he's such an underrated footballer. Like, people don't give him enough love. I'd love a Clug.
What do you? What do you love about him so much?
I find that very few players can play that role and somehow impact inside, outside. Like, usually it's like a stopgap in it. Like, if you watch like Whitfield, I feel like Whitfield's best work is at halfback, and it's kind of like he dines out on his speed and his endurance everywhere else, but you wouldn't trust him inside.
Whitfield doesn't really have modes either. He's kind of on one. You just put him on about like an 8 out of 10, and he just goes and he just doesn't stop running.
I feel like Clug, if you had an injury to an inside mid, I'd be more than confident he could play the rest of the game as a pure inside mid. Like, he's kind of like 6 out of 10 everywhere, isn't he?
Look at how clean Neil is there.
He's filth, isn't he? Tell you what, Pendlebury's GPS is off this week. I haven't seen Pendlebury waste possessions as often as he has done today.
Yeah. He's winning the ball.
Oh, Levi.
What was that sound, Druzy?
I don't know. He slowed the play down. He sort of sucked the air out of the game there, and then
he does that.
Disgrace.
Yeah. He dawdles on the ball
Yeah.
a little bit, I would say.
Oh, Logan Morris is taking a screamer. Was that on Charlie Cameron? He took that?
Speaking of gun players, Logan
bang.
Morris.
Is that
Zorko
Zorko?
outside 50.
Oh, he was celebrating as he kicked that.
Far out. I reckon if that was anyone but Cameron, that was a goal.
From Cobb, McCluggage is one of the cleanest players
Yeah.
that can also win the contested ball.
Yeah, he's filth.
Yeah.
Well done, Cobb.
Ups the Cobb.
Up the Cobb.
To be fair, I think Pendles knows that that's why he's had 14 handballs a game or something crazy from
So
Bixby.
Collingwood winning the hit out 7-4. Obviously, that sort of Cameron Cox combination. Clearance is 10-2.
Great ball use from Jimmy Tunstall there.
You know what? Genuinely underrated is Collingwood's clearance game this year.
Yeah, it's better than Brisbane's.
Like people like
Yeah.
the Sydney game, we did the live for that, and like the amount of people in the comments who were at the start were saying, "Oh, Sydney, you're going to dominate," and then you watch Collingwood. It's a massive improvement area
For
since
sure.
they won the flag.
But I think they've changed that since they won the flag. They were a defensive half transition team. They've, since Dacos has gone into the midfield, it is around stoppage.
play to your
And
strengths.
it's, yeah, exactly.
Simple, isn't it?
Where your weapons are.
Simple game.
Yeah,
If you don't make it hard.
exactly.
Here we are, it's Archie. We gave him props earlier, and he's just gonna.
Oh, he hit almost the top of the point post.
The thing that I'm interested in with the two styles of these two teams, with Brisbane being a better defensive half team from scoring, it's like, do you get better access at your goals when you do move the ball from the back half? You know what I mean? When it's cramped in the front half, less space to operate in. Whereas if you move the ball from the back half,
Oh, Quaynor.
They could get caught out here.
yeah.
Do you like it though? It's risk reward.
Oh, Bailey,
football. Look at
go!
him.
Yes!
Bang.
Goal.
From 55.
No, it's not a goal.
he hasn't.
It's a poor kick.
In the back. Pushed as he kicked. Free kick, Zach Bailey. Ran too far.
Ran too far.
Option D.
Let him
You
go.
don't often see that.
1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Oh.
Oh, he counted them out.
Let the kid
perfectly.
play.
You won't want,
Let the kid play.
you won't
Like,
want the umpire building your
Oh, and
offence.
50. Zach Bailey's had 2 stinkers in a row.
You know what I love about Josh Dacos? One of the few players in the world that can go to kick a ball, but also point out an infringement mid-action. That's a gift.
Yeah.
See that? He went to kick it and he's like that, pointing and he gets it. Clever boy.
he's going to kick
Oh,
a goal.
surely
here.
not.
Dacos.
He's
Surely
going to
not.
kick a goal.
He just walked
From
in.
downtown.
Wow.
They cut the cameras before the ball even went in, man.
Joshy D.
Zach Bailey
D.
is about to have a hernia.
Whereabouts is the hernia going to pop
I
up?
don't know why I said that. Abdominal hernia?
You know what I'd like to see is just see the replay of Josh pointing out the 2 steps Bailey took. That was brilliant
Yeah.
from him. It was like nearly mid-bow drop as well. Like I've got a lot of time for a man that can cheat legally. A lot of time. We say this on my stream. I like a cheat. I like a little bit of shithousery.
Yeah, okay.
See, look. He
So what's
gets it here.
happened?
He gets it, look. And you watch him just use his left hand to point.
So where does he go stand?
Look.
Stand?
Look.
Oh, well, that's 50.
Like, see, look. I love that.
On your bike.
Real quick.
Sucked him into it. Yeah, far
Well
out.
played. Love it.
Yeah.
Why are you watching footy in the kitchen? That's usually where you toss salad.
Is that a metaphor?
That's slobber.
That's
Slobber.
a fair
Solid.
question.
It's good.
Slobbo.
It's footy from the flat, bro.
It's footy from the kitchen.
It's in my living room. Here we go. McCluggage is
Oh,
on the
there
ball.
he is.
The clug dog. Oh, what is he doing there?
I'd love to see
He's
the
actually
clog
not
dog
having a
toss
great
salad.
game tonight.
You know what is great is the transition running there from Collingwood. Look, Perryman, everyone overlaps. It makes them vulnerable, but what a...
McCreary gives it to Dacos, who's had a busy quarter.
All the time.
Bobby.
Oh, Bob's.
Oh, they're sort of wanking
Elliot.
around with it a bit. No. Too much salad tossing there.
A lot of salad tossing. I've got to say, big fan of Bobby. He's one of them players, isn't he, that, like,
He's so good to watch.
bum off seat footballer, I
Yeah.
like to call him. Like, you genuinely think something's going to happen.
Yep.
Like, I get excited watching him bounce the ball through when he goes through, like, you know, the message at the start of the game.
The banner.
Banner, yeah. I get excited thinking something's going to happen.
That early.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
just is one of them players, and he's something's going to happen.
Those players that have that sort of agility, the step on them, it's just so much more fun to watch, isn't it?
I feel like it's always Indigenous lads. It's always like,
It's an inherent gift,
yeah,
isn't it?
100%. Like, straight away, Shea Bolton, Cozzy Pickett, like those
Yeah.
types that you just think when the ball's in their area, anything can happen. Oh, big Sam Day, big Brisbane Lion man.
You know what? I really like Sam Day. Good, honest footballer. Like he's he's one of them guys in your draft when you do a fantasy draft.
That's a good hit.
And you're at round 15, you're chuffed he's there. Yeah, I mean, you know,
do you play a bit of fantasy?
I do.
Pommy?
I like a little bit of fantasy, man. Yeah.
Do you have a team?
I do. Yeah, we've got our own version of fantasy.
Oh, is it like a draft or something?
No, we've got our own version of fantasy. So we've got a unique scoring system that equalises key forwards, back pockets, and
no
mids.
way.
So
What, you
everyone's
made it?
Yeah. So me and a few of my boys play that.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
So like it kind of equalises out that every player benefits.
Okay, so you don't have those big discrepancies like
so
midfielders.
And you've got to play 2 key forwards as well. You can't cheat.
You can't just okay. You can't pick Bailey Smith and Caleb Daniels
So-
in the forward
and
line.
we have specific rules and criteria for the players to get a new role.
Oh, that's epic.
And we have a rule that whatever you're drafted as well, you can only add positions, you don't take it away. So we try and add that element of realism that so like Mitch McGovern could still play forward.
I like that. I almost wish fantasy did work a bit more like that, where you had to take, like this season, you could have taken someone like a Sam Darcy.
Yeah.
Who no one's really going to pick up because he's a key forward, but yeah, just be more fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's what we try and do. So yeah, we've had that going for about 6-7 years. And we have a little bit of fun with it.
34 seconds in the quarter. Once again, Brisbane starting from behind.
That is so smart how they always just keep the ball in motion. How's that not high ums?
Oh, good tackle.
Oh, it's on here.
Quainer.
Go on.
15 seconds left in the quarter. Josh Dacos in the middle of the Gabba sends it deep. Mycheck's under it. He's got a lot of work to do. Bobby Hill didn't get near the ball there.
10 seconds. Can they do anything with this forward half stoppage?
Yeah, I went to go and see Isaac Quainer on his draft year playing a torrential rain. It was
Oakley Chargers, was it?
Yeah, it was one of the worst games I've ever seen. It's like peeing down.
Yeah.
Like it was like a swimming pool. Never seen a player as clean as him.
Really?
Like he just picked balls up one-handed while everyone was like slopping
Yeah.
around. Like hope he goes well. Because he was down last year. Such a talented boy there.
Far out.
Nice kid as well.
Do you think it's reached his ceiling? Or do you think he has levels to go?
I think he might be better. Now he's got Dan Houston there. I think felt last year their backline was trying to do something it wasn't. I feel like Dan Houston is the key to Collingwood.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
There's so much history between these two teams. I was just looking at Maynard and Rayner going head to head. And you know these Collingwood players are just going out there thinking like, 2023, we had yous when it mattered most. But I feel like you could have played that fixture for 20 quarters and it would have just been goal for goal all day.
It was incredible, wasn't it?
History
I mean,
these
even
two
going
teams.
with these two teams, like even going back, start of the 2000s in that, you know, that Brisbane dynasty era, like that, all the grand finals were against Collingwood. Like that'd have to be close to have played in the modern era, in the AFL era, the most grand finals against each other, wouldn't they?
Probably. Oh, well, West
3.
Coast and Sydney had a couple, but yeah, probably.
That's 3 grand finals in like 20 years, essentially. It'd be close. I can't think of any other teams that have... Geelong and Hawthorn never really met in grand finals in that period, did they? It was always prelims.
Well, they had one in 2008.
Yeah.
But
But then after that, I don't think they actually met again in any of Hawthorn's flag wins.
Danny RS has a question for Pom saying, do you think they're trying harder than previous games? I think the Lions are trying to defend from Jack Vincent. Have you put out something saying that the Lions aren't cracking in early enough? Or is this just a random question?
When we've done reviews on Brisbane, it's been the thing that my one question mark is they keep giving up a little bit of lead. Even the Richmond game, I felt Richmond were on top for Parsons. Portions.
There it
is. It's a no, not an A, Pom.
It's the Pommy and Oz.
I invented the language. Can you speak it?
What do you put that down to, though, when teams... Do you think that is just... Like, we've got enough historic data to say, well, it's just a team that went deep into finals. They won the grand final. They obviously come back to preseason later. So they just start the season slowly. And this team, because of how much talent they have on the park, they're still able to win games. Like, I think a lot of other premiership teams would have dropped 2 or 3 of these games that they were behind in. But Brisbane just have that mentality. They have that belief to be able to...
Part of me feels it's ropered up from Brisbane. After last year, I think they went incredibly hard, incredibly early, and it backfired. And Kitty Coleman going down, it took them a while to adjust to being a bit more kick heavy than run heavy through there. I feel like maybe Fagan's learned that maybe we just need to maybe try and contain and then go to the levels. I do feel 2 of their games though this year they've had to go to the level probably earlier than they planned.
Yeah.
Like really going, like that game against was it the Eagles that they were losing
yeah.
for?
Yeah.
It felt like they had to go into gear 5, and you could see that no one felt in that team. Watching that game real time, I felt like no one in that team was like,
They didn't hit the front in that game until 4 minutes into the last quarter.
Yeah. It felt
nuts.
it felt like that fourth, particularly all the best players on around the ball. It felt like they were like, oh my gosh, we've got to like hit gear 5, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's forced, I think, players like when they have had those big comebacks, it's all sort of been those big contest winners in the forward half of the ground. Like Morris has turned it on for times, Hipwood, Bailey, Rayner, all of those sorts of players. So they're sort of having to, I guess, like you said, like they have to go to like almost a probably higher level than they would have wanted to. But I guess it does give them, if they bank wins now, it gives them that foundation. So at the back end of the year, they can probably have a lean patch in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
and then sort of come back for finals.
Like if I was Knicks at Adelaide right now, I'd watch Brisbane, because I feel like the one thing that's separating us talking about Adelaide like Brisbane is Brisbane's ability to control a game.
Yes.
Where Adelaide at the minute is like either 10
it's
out of 10.
helter-skelter.
Yeah. It's like literally they are having a punch and they've got no defence.
But, you know, for me, the big difference there with those two teams in sort of a similar way, Brisbane have Zorko, they have Fletcher, who's, you know, got pretty good ball control off the half-back line. Who have Adelaide actually got back there? They use Dawson in the midfield, who's one of their better kicks. They've got Hinge. I don't know if Hinge actually controls the football that well as a half-back flanker.
Yeah, they've thrown Laird back.
I do not like Laird as a half-back flanker. His ball use is average for me.
I feel like though, like when you look at them defensively though, that I don't mind their defense. Like, you know, when you look at it on paper, I feel like they do. I agree with you. They lack like that guy.
I like their defense. It's just the distributor
going at 90%.
Yeah,
but I do feel like they've got that in the future. It just maybe not is there now.
Yes,
and I think Laird should be it, but I don't think Laird's ever been that footballer that I'd trust to go at 90%.
He's a good little fighter. Like, he's a competitive bastard.
A little fighter.
Well, he
little
is.
flyweight
It'd be
boxer.
interesting what Adelaide do this year, because I feel like Adelaide are in that wonderful position that they could have a little sniff at someone this year. I feel like they've got some good youth. They've got some good depth.
As in the free agency.
And do they look for do they maybe ask the question, look at other clubs? Like, you know, Nas.
Yeah.
Wangani.
Oh.
Like, I know everyone's linking him to Port. I'd be like, if I was Adelaide,
Yeah.
I'd be like, how much?
I'd actually hate that. Like, I don't care for
He
St
looks like an
Kilda.
Adelaide player as well, doesn't he, Nas?
He does. Yeah, he could.
I like him at the Saints. I want to see him at least ride out another 4 years. At
I
the
want
Saints.
him. I'd love him to say at the Saints,
Yeah.
but I do think like
Well, I
it'd be
know
a tough one, wouldn't it?
that I sort of draw back to my experiences at the State Academy at this time that I was working there, but WA played SA in 2 state games, and Jace Burgoyne and Nazai Wanganeen Miller are on both wings, which was like incredible to watch. Just like the skill that they had together. But yeah, I just want to see him ride it out at St Kilda. It's like the first time they've got a genuine, like, probably Brownlow caliber player in their ranks, I think. You pair that up with TDK, Jack Sinclair.
I feel like it's more unfair in that, and like I've experienced this as a North fan when we were in that period where we'd sort of finish like either in the just in the finals or just outside the finals, like the Brad Scott era, and you'd pick up somebody really good in the draft and they'd leave, and it's frustrating because you're like, oh, that was such a good pick.
Yeah.
Like, we nailed the pick in getting him, like whatever he was, 10
I
or
get
11.
the impression Saints though there's a real togetherness with that team.
Yeah, I don't think he'll leave.
I don't think he'll. I mean, if I was Adelaide though, I'd be doing everything.
Throwing
I
the
could.
kitchen sink at
You know
it.
what I mean,
100%.
I mean, another guy I'd look at if I was them as well is Ed Richards.
Yes.
Is he an SA boy?
Yeah, I think he is.
Do you know what I mean? Ed Richards, you know, that left foot, the paper cut, as we call him on the stream.
Yeah.
Why the paper cut?
Just because he cuts you apart, doesn't he? With them
He's basically Drewsy will.
He's innocuous as well. You don't really
he's Hayden
notice him
Young.
until you play him.
He's Hayden Young.
Yeah.
Right.
He's one of them players that if you said Ed Richards is the best best player out there to buy, everyone would be like, Mickey Mouse.
I just have to quickly answer a question by Dynamic Pool, who says, Dylan, do you think North can beat Carlton? Yes, I do.
Yeah. I'd
Yes,
agree.
I do.
I wouldn't, with any degree of confidence, we win that.
What time is that game?
3:30 in it.
Yeah.
Tree turkey.
Yeah, I think that's the first one of that Good Friday game that's actually
Makes
got
me
a lot
feel
of jeopardy.
sick. Kangaroo fans, God, it's a 50-50 game. Oh, what is happening with my life?
You'll beat North. You'll beat North.
No, it's all right. 20-point win. It's all right. I've seen it. Came back from the future. Beautiful.
I feel like if it turns into a slog and a close game, you guys will probably win. But I could see us.
It's one of them games that
bludgeoning
the
you.
longer we keep you in it, the more confidence you get. And we know what we're like with confidence. Oh.
Before we leave the Adelaide discussion, I feel like they're in a little bit of a weird spot now. Like, there's a term like you drink your own bathwater a bit, and everyone's been on the Crows, particularly in the first 3 weeks of the season when they were kicking 500 points a game and styling on some teams.
They still are, to be fair.
Yeah.
They just can't control the team at the other end.
The Geelong loss wasn't a bad one. Gold Coast looked like they're just absolutely humming, and they're going to be a tough tide to beat.
Well, the Gold Coast was like the biggest robbery since Ned Kelly won it. Let's be honest.
That should have been a free kick.
That was the AFL saying we've ploughed so much money into Gold Coast, they have to play fast.
Yeah, match fixing. But then, so they've now lost 2 on the trot. They've got GWS at home and then Freo away. So
tricky fixture for sure.
They'll be there come finals or thereabouts, but it just might be a bit more of a slog of a season than we sort of thought in the first 3 weeks.
It was so pre-season though. It was so torn with Adelaide because I remember listening to there was a back chat pod and I think it was Hamish Brayshaw was on there talking about the Crows list and he's like they don't have a single A grader. They're like basically he was like they're the worst list in the competition.
Jesus, look.
And I heard people talking about that with them and I'm like
list in the competition.
Yeah, I was like this is. I mean they finished 5th bottom last year.
Yeah,
but I thought they were.
Yeah,
I thought they were out of position.
You add Sid Draper, Neil Bullen, Cumming, Peter.
I think Neil Bullen is the signing of the season. And no one wants to admit it.
He's fantastic.
So good, man. He's one of my favourite players. I love that just selfless pressure forward that just like cracks in all day.
He's another one that's got low-key, high-end agility where he can step around players offensively as well, which is underrated.
That is a great kick.
Like
and
the precision.
Cameron has lost him there. Do you know what I mean?
When I'm watching Brisbane play and I'm like, you know, sometimes like you're riding the other team, you want them to stop their ball movement. When Zorko gets the ball just back of the centre circle in a central area, you just get scared, don't you? You know that he's going to make something happen.
Was he All-Australian last year?
Zorko? I imagine so.
I think it was. Oh.
Cameron's a bit out of form.
He has been out of form since the 2023 grand final.
Yeah, what was his year like last year, Cameron?
Underwhelming.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll just have a...
Yeah, dive into that. You can probably bring up the stats and go, well, actually, it was one of the most effective
I was going to say, I can't wait for Dylan to be like, oh, he actually went out 100%.
He was actually all-Australian. He won the Coleman last year, Drizzy.
No, but we've seen the levels that Cameron can provide. Speak about those X-Factor Indigenous small forwards. And for a time there, the turn of pace that he had was just incredible. And I just feel like he hasn't had the end product in front of goal. And he just doesn't really scare defences as he once did. We've seen the heights that he can get to, and I just don't think he's
another one, like in his prime, the aerial ability was underrated. Like you think of him as this sort of traditional small forward, but he actually had that.
I feel like Liam Ryan is someone that if you were a Victorian team looking for a small forward, you'd maybe have a look at this year as well. Because I feel like Liam Ryan is a victim of a poor team. Like I feel like Liam Ryan has still got a lot to offer.
Yeah, he's a jet.
I can see Liam Ryan going to like an Adelaide, a Fremantle, someone that brings the ball inside 50 and suddenly we all talk about him again as one of the best small forwards in the league.
I don't know if he'd actually leave Perth though. I feel like he is just a Perthite. Maybe you would.
Just a little bit of a look at the numbers. It's hard to criticise Charlie Cameron with 44 goals.
Oh, come on.
Disgrace.
Don't hit me with
I'm not.
Stats,
yeah,
don't hit me with facts.
I feel like he's in more decline now, though.
Well, he had 44 goals last year.
Yeah.
What, in the whole season, including finals?
Tell you what. If he's in decline, he's
27 games.
I'll take him for a third.
That's for 27.
I could kick 44 goals in 27 games for this Brisbane side.
Oh my gosh.
No, look, the reason I'm being harsh on Charlie Cameron here is because I have seen him be a prime peak footballer, And there's times where I've watched him in the
one game
last couple of
against Freo,
years.
isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's like me with
It's
Membry.
not, mate.
He turns into Lockett against Carlton. I hate
I mean,
it.
he's their second top goal scorer from last year.
Well,
Danaher, then him.
I just think I agree with what Drew's saying. I don't think he stands out as much because of the mass improvement.
The mass improvement
he
of
used
everyone
to be
else.
all Australian as well. He used to be that all Australian.
No, like there's definitely some decline.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably more slanted towards 2025 for me. But yeah, like he's not what he was.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're on the same team here.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Here's Zorko, make something happen.
A little zigzag zig.
Still a 10-point game.
tell you what, it's gone into the chest match mode, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
It has.
Where both teams are just poking each other a little bit, like two brothers at Sunday dinner.
Yeah, just waiting for it to pop off.
I feel like Brisbane are so good at this too, just being able to change. Like they'll have the ball flicking around really fast end to end, and then they'll just go into this mode and just pick you apart, and you don't even know what's happened here.
You know, something I always like to watch, and this is just because my team probably are one of the more poor communicators, but just watching that passage of play, every Collingwood player pointing, shouting, saying, I'm going to this guy, like the real good team communication.
No one pointed to Cam Rayner because he's lining up for goal.
I actually missed that.
He just ghosted, look.
My dad's someone that like
Dacos.
really knows nothing about football. He's a Pommy and Oz himself. Just sort of goes to the footy for a day out type thing. And last year we went and watched Freo versus Brisbane, and it was like the first thing I've ever said where I've gone like, you know what, Dad, you're right. He's like, God, all them Brisbane players are on the same page when they move the ball, aren't they? And like just then, like it wasn't even anything
Yeah.
big, but to get the ball, was it Zach Bailey that kicked it into Rayner?
Yeah,
there?
he was the one that kicked it inside
Like
50.
just that little tick lead, just simple, get the ball in that area, and then they're dangerous. And it's ended up in an important goal for Brisbane, who are now 4 points behind.
It's actually interesting. Look at his opponent, Rayner's opponent.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Dacos.
To be fair, though, you don't want Nick Dacos there, do you?
No. But that's, I suppose, like Cam Rayner probably started in the midfield.
Yeah.
And they were opposed to each other, and he's just dragged him there.
Put the ball on his head. You
Yeah.
can't take a contested mark.
That's the thing. Like with having all of those forwards, those small forwards that can mark, like Rayner, Bailey, Lohman when he's there, even Cameron. Like it's
Danger zone.
a problem. In fairness to Collingwood, they've got a lot of guys that can play on those sorts of players. Like we were talking about Quaynor before, Maynard. Good matchups for those guys. But if you can isolate a Dacos, who's in there now? Neil McCluggage, Washcroft.
Ned Long to Lockie Neal and wins. Ooh, almost won the clearance.
Ned Long will be the shortest sort of hero. You know, like this week he was just the hero for his game last week. He'll be out of the side in 2 weeks.
Man, Will Ashcroft's
Here's
hands.
Charlie Cameron.
Terrible kick. Will Ashcroft's hands are like the best in the game. I
Yeah,
reckon.
both Levi's like that
Did
as
they
well.
really give a chopping free? No
I
way.
didn't see that.
Oh, call the feds.
Got him in front on, I reckon. Front on contact.
Once you start with Doritos, you can't stop.
Yeah. You know, one of my favourite things about AFL is now they've added the slow-mo is how many times we use the slow-mo on a player's face to a free kick. Like, how much is that camera? 25,000? And we're using it just to see Darcy Moore look genuinely shocked. You got front on free. Quality.
Could Ned Long not have a successful 100-game career?
I reckon he will be out of the side.
Someone said in 2 weeks. Who's he in for?
Yeah, Dylan did.
Sorry?
Dan
Dylan
Houston.
said 2 weeks.
Yeah, I said two. Yeah, I said he'd be out of the side in a
So
fortnight.
as soon as Dan Houston comes back in.
Yeah, I reckon. So, like, I reckon DeGoey is the guy that's actually kind of replacing him, but I reckon DeGoey's probably playing more forward tonight as he sort of like works into fitness, and then he'll be out because they've got plenty of guys that can still run through the midfield. When you add in a Perryman, who's probably a matchup dependent defender who goes into the midfield, can play defensive roles, side bottom, Pendlebury, obviously Dacos, DeGoey. So there's a fair bit there already. Lipinski comes in off a wing at times as well. So I don't know. I just think he'll be out of the side. And if Tom Mitchell out for the entire season?
I don't think all year.
Yeah, it's one of the indefinite on their injury reports. The ambiguous one.
Yes.
Could be life.
It's like when
Could
they
be next
say
week.
injured, he's out for injury.
Yeah.
We usually do that with calves. We've got Orazio at the minute who had like a calf in pre-season, and that just keeps getting subtly being put back 4 weeks, and no one ever talks about it. It's like the old trick. Yeah.
Who's like, there's another, I think it's Elliot Yo's like that, West Coast at the moment. Just 4 to 5 weeks for the last 4 to 5 weeks.
One of the most frustrating ones of those that I can't wait to see come back is Kadeen Coleman.
Oh, yeah. What a gun.
He did an ACL in the opening round. Opening round of 2024 and is still coming back from that ACL.
Probably in the 2023 grand final was best on for the Lions.
Yeah.
Bobby Hill is filled.
Wow. What can he do here? 2-on-1.
Neil. Neil's on the treadmill.
Oh, that is heartbreaking.
Oh, don't worry, boys.
That
Ned
needed a
Long's here.
mark.
Hoskin.
Oh, it's Hoskin Elliott.
Yep. Goes back to Hill. Hill's tired.
It's hospital ball.
To
He
go
has
with-
ran. So
Go on, Loggy.
Elman!
That's out of the team.
Elman!
Oh, go on.
Bobby!
Whoa!
Is that Tunstall or is it Ainsworth?
You know what I love about Bobby is he's definitely got a bit of mongrel, hasn't he, in him? You can see he
far
loves
out.
the scrap as well.
Bro, he would be absolutely shagged and is still going in for a bit of biff. How did he just make running 45 kilometers an hour look easy?
Oh, I just love watching that speed.
Bobby's like honestly one of like just my favourite players to watch because not many players can have class, speed, but also a bit
Goal?
of physicality.
Sorry, what goal?
What?
Yeah,
Where did that happen then?
I think it was the McStay kick. It bounced through.
You're kidding?
What?
Yeah, you know when he ran into it, I think he toe poked it through, didn't he? By the
I
looks
didn't
of
think it went through. I didn't see it go through.
Nah, did not.
Look at Mason. I love Mason.
Gee, this game's... Someone's just written in the chat, look at the feral rednecks.
One
Are
of
they
the
talking about us or the guys in the crowd?
Going back to that Sunday Arvo comment from you before, Pommy, one of the brothers has just taken the last Yorkie and it's absolutely on now. It's all blown up. Look at this run from Bobby Hill.
Bobby.
He bounced it with both hands there.
Spatial awareness.
Hang on. So it's called a point. Look at this. Called a point. It's called a point. Push in the back. Pushing the back on Dan McStay.
I'm not having that was a goal.
No.
No, it wasn't. I reckon he gets the ball here and kicks it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Well, that's 50 again. Why has he jumped on the mark?
That's a goal.
Wow. All right, here we go. Game's on. Pies
McStay as
lead
well.
by 9.
Quietly,
Oh.
3-0.
That is
Yeah, wow.
very just quietly.
Against his old side. Here goes McCluggage. Come on. Here he goes. Strong in the contest. Levi.
How's the ball use?
It's not great.
Bailey.
Bailey's going
He's
to make
good
it
in
happen.
these
though.
situations.
Oh, he's got his head taken off. Massive free kick for the Lions.
Close line there.
Oh, here we go again. It's on again.
I love this.
How many times do you reckon players are just saying like 23 boys, 23, 2023?
You can tell right now both of these teams are absolutely up for this.
I like Cam Morena going against Maynard. That's you want to say that.
What a matchup.
You want to say that.
They have a lot of good guys to play on these Brisbane forwards. Maynard, Quaynor.
You know what? Maynard is exactly what North Melbourne need.
Do you reckon?
100%. I feel like you guys
Talk to me about
I
that.
feel like you have no spine, like no physicality.
No, that's fair. We don't have a defensive bone.
Bailey
He's
puts
missed.
it right. Oh.
I feel like you don't have any flag flyers. I'm disappointed in Luke Parker. I was expecting.
Yeah.
I feel they're good standard setters, but I feel like you've got all the talent now. You need the grit.
Yeah, okay.
You've got the beautiful pathway, but we need the hard edge now.
Maybe I've been a little bit scarred from North Melbourne just going into free agency and trying to go.
I think $1 million for Maynard is way too much, but
Yeah.
I do think you need that type.
Dan McStay with a massive contested mark
Here we
against
are.
Harris Andrews.
Nick.
He's
Collingwood's forward line is
That's a
open
peach.
wide.
That's a peach.
Look inside. It's Will Hoskin Elliott.
That is a really underrated mark from Hoskin Elliott there too, because he had that contact.
We love a bit of Will Hoskin, Elliott.
He's a good player.
You got to pick a side though, haven't you? Do you like your mum more or your dad?
He's got that.
Yeah, I mean, but
What a grab.
We actually we had a guy with a hyphenated name when I used to play football when I was younger, and his nickname was Two Dads. I like that.
yeah, I like that. Yeah,
He hasn't answered the question and he's split the goalpost there as well. Bang. I was trying to make a joke there, but it wasn't funny. Over to you, Dylan.
Rayner carrying on like a peanut. Wino says.
I don't disagree actually. I don't.
Not happy with him.
I feel like just go back. I feel like he's trying to get himself fired up.
Yep.
Maynard's like that. Like Maynard's that guy, isn't he? Your mate down the pub after 4. You tell him one thing that's factual and he can't admit he's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He breaks the glass and threatens you with it, but you love him really. He's like a brother to you.
Geezer's the excitement, and he's a geezer.
Yeah, I just don't know with Maynard for North. Like, I feel like I do get you from like a physicality point of view, a guy that can defend first and foremost, because I feel like none of our players want to defend. I guess it's just like, it's going after a guy like that for that sort of money.
Yeah, I think the price quoted mental, but
because
definitely
he's
type.
not like a
Cam Rayner has just cleaned up Nick Dacos.
wow,
And that's why
Dacos is up and out.
he's got the footy.
that's why he's getting fired up. You can see.
Far out.
Oh,
He's a solid
what a
unit.
kick.
Bang! This ball movement has been incredible from the Pies. They just kicked one from a kick in.
Can this game just put the fact that Josh Dacos, I feel like he's been so underrated this week.
Very underrated, but I think it's because of his brother, innit?
Yeah.
Like
Sit under the high ball, boys.
If he was called Josh
Oh, here goes
Davis,
Levi.
we'd love him.
Logan Morris.
It was called Josh Davies.
Yeah. I just feel like now everyone compares it to Nick, doesn't it? So, like, no matter what Josh does, you're not as good as your brother.
Yeah.
Bit of a forgotten player, Jared Berry.
He's just very average, isn't
Is he just like the worst Brisbane midfielder that just...
I think so.
how was that spoiled? This game is incredible.
It is.
Maynard must have the highest percentage of spoils and accidental fist to the chin post spoil.
Bang! Big Sam Day, the big,
that Sam-
passionate Brisbane man.
Sammy Day. What is going on in this game?
I want to see that replay of Cam Rayner cleaning up Dacos. Here we go.
actually,
Bang! God, that's close to Weeks.
You know what's amazing is
That is very close to Weeks.
he looked out cold, and then
Had
5
the
seconds
ball.
later, he's dancing through the mids.
Yeah. That could still be a concussion to Dacos. Like, that is a big hit. I know that like he hasn't maybe technically got him high or anything, but I would say you don't want to be doing that.
Day. Bang.
Big goal.
Massive.
They needed that goal.
Do you guys still like to see those sorts of hits in the game, or would
Yeah.
you prefer? You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think in this game as well, it's a dangerous ploy because I think that they love Nick. So I think that might backfire
Yeah.
because you could see the players were half fighting. Then we're like, oh, sugar.
It
Nick
looks.
Dacos
I mean,
has
it's
got the ball.
when it's Nick Dacos on the end of that, it feels very intentional, right?
Yeah, now we know why Cam Rayner was firing himself up.
Yeah.
Poor defending there by Jeremy Howe as well. Like,
Who's got who in the Brisbane forward line? So Moore's playing on Morris, is he, or is he playing on?
well, I think based on that was Howe's man. I don't know where Moore was, but that looked like it was Howe's man.
I think
they kind
Moore was playing on Hipwood there.
Oh, was he?
And yeah.
Yellow Moon.
So who's got Day? How?
I think that was how that was the matchup in that one particular moment.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't have thought Frampton would have Morris.
Here we go again.
Too
Another centre
athletic.
bounce. Is Rayner going to burst out of
Dacos
centre
is
half
still
forward
there.
again?
McCluggage shrugs off the side bottom tackle.
Oh,
Charlie Cameron
And there
slips
he
over.
is, North Melbourne's future centre half back of the century.
Centre half back.
Is that not the position he plays?
Nah, he's a flanker.
Ah, all right, bro.
No, but he's not a. He's like 180.
He's not a key position.
you know what?
He's too short to be.
That's something I'll ask you. North Melbourne, for me, I thought, why did no one go after Sam Frost?
Yeah.
Would you want to play for North Melbourne?
But he's
Do
not
we
going
want-
to play for Hawks, is he? I mean, I've got more chance of getting past Barras than Sam Frost does.
Hawthorn have like 7 key position height defenders as well. So he's
I was surprised not many teams went in for like as soon as they got that Barras deal over. I would have thought I would be ringing now saying, "Look, we're going
Yeah.
to do what Hawthorn did, buy them next year, but we need something to solidify today."
no, it's a reasonable point just to play somebody as a lockdown because I still don't think we have a genuine key position lockdown defender. Combin's the intercept guy.
yeah,
Core.
and I think Sam Frost would protect Comden a bit as well.
yes.
In the terms of that, if the game does get away from it, you're not going to take off your best intercepting threat to defend.
It's the thing with North though. Like I don't seem to like trust them. Like I feel like Sam Frost under Sam Mitchell and in the Hawthorn ecosystem works, but I feel like as soon as he comes to North, he's just going to be Sam Frost again.
It's
Luke
weird 'cause
McDonald 2.0.
I was talking about this last week because I picked on North and Eagles in my Pomnader, and I was like, the weird thing about North is I don't see Clarkson.
You don't see Clarkson
Like
when we succeed, sort of thing.
No, I
or-
don't see Clarkson imprint on the team as of yet. I see it slightly in the game style of the fact that you try and have that short, sharp kick, ball retention. But I don't see I don't close my eyes. Like when I look at Gold Coast, I see 2017 Richmond.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. If you put yellow and black on them.
That's the thing. I think with these coaches, particularly that came in the Clarkson era, football was not very tactically advanced. Australian football wasn't very tactically advanced. I don't know if a coach like that who came into I said it last week, I think, sort of came into this vacuum of tactics and he sort of implemented things and he was pretty innovative with zones and stuff like that. But the game's come so far since he was successful. And I'm not sure if he can actually reinvent the wheel there again, or he's really
it's fascinating because that's why I think when I think of Clarkson, he always had 2 or 3 enforcers.
Yeah.
And I don't even see you have a physicality type game. There's no one there really trying to lay down the law.
No. I think he was on his first time around as well, he was very motivated. Some of the things that he did, he even took, I was reading about him the other day actually, and he took he paid a guy who wasn't paid by the club because it didn't fit into the budget that they were working with at the time. And he paid a guy, I think $30,000 a year out of his own salary, which was a fair bit, particularly back then, to come in and do analytical stuff. He was working with biomechanists on the players they were recruiting to kick the footy and stuff. Because you know how they recruited a lot of left footers that could kick the ball well. He did stuff like that. And I don't know if that's something a lever you could even pull these days to actually get an edge on your competition.
Maynard flopped there. Big tough guy acting for a free kick.
Don't mind it though.
Love a bit of shithousery.
Yeah.
Honestly, do you know what I mean? Take the dive.
You guys are Manchester United fans.
Mate, take the dive.
Yes.
Take the dive.
Take the dive.
Honestly, if you can clip your own heels in the slide tackle,
Yeah.
clip your own heels and go over.
Again here with Brisbane, it feels like Collingwood have been sort of clearly the better team and they're only down by 8 points.
Brisbane have been the better team.
No, Collingwood.
Oh, right. I don't know. I think Brisbane have had more control of it this quarter.
I feel this is what Collingwood are really good at, though, at this moment, if that they can concede possession
Yeah. And then just counter.
and make it awkward. Brisbane there, look, 4-7, more behinds than the Victoria's Secret show, isn't there? But
Wow.
sorry, Jesse, it's PG, isn't it?
Nah, not at all. When Jesse's on here, it's fucking R18.
Oh, that's all right.
The Lions have closed the clearance gap. So it's 15-12 now. It was 10-2 at one point. Brisbane don't mind this though.
Why is the guy in the red top stoned? Do I look stoned?
No?
I don't know what you're
You know,
saying.
can I just say, that Amy in the centre circle,
Yeah.
that so looks like a computer graphic.
It is.
does.
Whoever drew that,
It probably is.
Do you reckon?
nah, because there's no glitching when they run through it. I thought that first because I was thinking, do I mention it? And everyone go, oh, Pom's a moron.
What, you think it's just painted?
What an idiot.
I thought it was a graphic.
He's going to be like, oh, what's he think? The moon landings were fake. You know what I mean?
Do you think the moon landings are fake?
100% no.
Good to know.
Oh, look at Nick.
Oh,
He
my
takes the
God.
bounce as he goes past Morris. Disrespect.
He wants it again. Pendles
He
is...
does want it. He's got
Look.
space. He's got space.
Oh, Pendles.
How's the basketball
Can I just
background there
say,
from Pendles?
genuinely, another player grossly underrated, Bo McQuarrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like that man. Look at him.
I think he's definitely a good player. I think he's a better player than Shields as that high half forward.
Good tats, man bun.
Good power.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Lovely mum as well. What's not to like?
Yeah.
Power. Yeah, he plays a high half forward role well. Tattoos. Man bun.
Mum.
His mum was brilliant when she
Bang.
pushed that up. Don't you remember?
He's kicked the goal.
What a goal as well. Honestly, so reliable, underrated player.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
100%.
know. I agree.
I'm telling you, on the free agency, he's another North player. If I was North,
You'd
Is he a
getting
free
Bo
agent this
McCreary.
year?
over Constante.
Oh, yeah.
And I like Constante, but
He's
he's
okay.
But I feel like that's what you need, that enforcer type.
Yeah.
I feel like your inverse, Norfolk inverse Saints, I feel like you've got too many potential A graders, not enough gritty role players, where Saints, they've got loads of role players.
Watch this Euro step from Pendlebury here, ready?
That was, I'm a point guard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sold Wilmot
The B-ball background.
You know what, though? What's amazing is look at that there. Everyone busting ass to get ahead of the ball from Collingwood. Like that two-way running, working hard.
They're all on the same page of when they need to go, aren't they? Like, as soon as the ball's turned over, we're attacking
that
now.
tattoo on his right leg screams contract extension to get it finished off, doesn't it?
McCluggage. I feel like I've been a bit underwhelmed by McCluggage tonight.
It's because we hyped him up.
Yeah.
That's what happens on these streams. You say someone's underrated and you
Just
put in a
doesn't-
4 out of 10 and make you look like a noob.
He's just not getting through. Like Perryman's playing on him there, trying to quell him. Dacos.
He would find space in a crowded elevator, wouldn't he, that guy?
Far out.
Oh, that's such a clever little tap on by Hoskin Elliott.
Back to side bottom.
Not too sure about pink boots. That's why.
That's a poor kick. Jeez.
I've got pink boots.
You've got to be good to wear pink boots.
Yeah. Well, I'm not very good, but I like wearing them.
Oh, that is a dangerous kick by
They're
Zorko.
out.
But
They
that's
are
it now.
out.
Here we are, Jared Berry.
Oh, he's kicked it about 60 metres.
Good kick. Good kick today. Day's got to go. You got to go. You got to go.
Wheels around. Top of
Off
the
a
goal.
step.
Oh, Rayner. Oh,
No, he took too long.
front on?
Is that going to be front on?
No, not
No.
paid.
I don't think Rayner was like,
Expecting that.
yeah, he wasn't really close enough to the ball in the air.
He didn't really want that, though, did he?
Look at the intercept marks, 10-3 to the Lions.
Need to take these Doritos away from him before I polish off a bag of Doritos.
Mate,
I'm going to grab some water. There's only 3 minutes to go in this quarter.
Mate, go for it. Just go hard.
Oh, Levi.
Hey! The big Gregor Owen.
That might go. Ooh.
Phew.
What have we got? 2:40 left.
I'm looking desperately for the worst thing in sport when you see someone in the game, in the crowd, who's wearing a Guernsey that isn't playing.
Mate.
Genuinely, that's the worst thing a human can
Yeah.
do.
That should be at least like 25 hours of community service.
Yeah, it's top three
what's
worst
this?
human acts.
If
Wearing
you go,
an opposition jersey.
Yeah.
no, like a neutral jersey at a sports
Oh,
game.
yeah, that's, yeah.
I can allow it if it's a different sport because like
Yeah,
I can rock this to an AFL game and it's just a nice piece of kit. You
We
know what I
talked
mean?
about this on the stream.
That's what you think,
Slobbo's-
Drewsy.
It is.
I think Slobbo might still be in chat. Slobbo and Jack, we had this conversation on my stream that I don't mind like you're in America and you wear like a cow and Guernsey or something like, okay, cool, bully for you, you're representing you.
Yeah.
But like going to like, honestly, you saw it at Gather Round and people were saying, oh, but Pommy's
No,
Gather Round.
Gather
I'm like,
Round's different.
Nah.
Gather round's different.
Grow up.
Grow up.
It's-
No,
it's-
because you're going to multiple games in a day. It's like you're probably going to wear one.
Get changed. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, you gotta go from Norwood to Barossa to Adelaide Oval. You
Put a
got
hoodie
to
on. Show some respect.
Gather Round is the exception.
Nah, I
Yeah.
can't give it.
There's 2 games at Adelaide Oval.
It's in my...
So if you were a Carlton fan and you went to Adelaide Oval on Saturday, you'd have a Carlton jersey on for the Eagles game, and then what?
yeah, because you
Essendon-
wear a shirt under your jersey, don't you?
Essendon and Melbourne come on, and you're like, all right, I got to change now.
You know what I think?
100%.
I just could not give a shit.
No, this is good chat, bro.
I genuinely think it's top 3 worst things a human being can do. Like, number 2 would be reversing into a car parking space.
Do you think football fans should?
What is that number 2?
No, in peak hour. Like, most selfish thing a human being can do.
Do you think footy fans shouldn't wear jerseys to games at all?
No,
or
I
just
think you should do. Yeah, I'm
Even
pro-
adults?
I think that's just an Australian thing.
I'm
Wearing
100%.
football shirts, rep your club. We proud.
I'm 100%
Okay.
with you, other than the Gather Round point.
Unless there's a caveat. People who do stupid stuff like go number 18 Pommy and things like that. Hey,
and put their own like name
yeah,
on the
mate.
back and stuff. Yeah.
Like, oh, Dad. Wow.
oh,
Grow up.
Yeah, grow up. Well done, you've had a kid.
Well, Andy Monroe's just chimed in with, Gather Round, it's fine. And he's the kit master. So
Okay,
I think
well,
that settles
Andy,
it.
I'll gather around. We'll have the exception because, like, number 1 is at McDonald's. People using your sauce to dip after they've
that's
taken a bite
dangerous.
of their chip. That,
What are you talking
Oh,
about?
Tunstall.
life in prison for that. No, like when you have nuggets and stuff, and like your mate, like you say to your mate, "Do you want a chip?" And then he has one, he bites, and then he puts
Second
the bit he's
dip.
eating. Yeah, bro, come on.
Is that the number one crime?
Number one
Ned
crime, Johnny.
Long's found a bit of space inside forward 50. Nick
Tell me.
Dacos picked up Cripps in the pocket and he just centered it. Like, this is getting...
Oh, I'm pretty sure there was an Adelaide shirt in there.
Was there? The Pommy police.
The
picking
Pommy
up.
police.
Find that man. Does anyone have the number for the Gabba antisocial text? We'll just lie. We'll be like,
The bloke in the crow shop has been
mean
real
to
out
me.
of order.
being mean to me. He's threatening me
This
Ned
for
for
what?
3 weeks, not 2 weeks.
19 goal
Bang.
margin.
Big goal.
He'll be
Ned
out of the
Long,
side
what
in
a
2
gun.
weeks.
Now it's 3.
Now it's 3.
He's bought himself that week.
How is he going tonight, actually?
Longy,
Yeah.
shall we predict higher or lower? Because me and Dreezy can't say it. Higher or lower? Give us a number of disposals and we'll guess higher or lower.
I like this. Okay, I'm going to turn this around.
Okay.
Great content.
Okay. So who's going first?
Well, you got to give us a number, mate.
You got to give us a number.
Oh.
Is it higher or lower?
Like, give us the odds. Like, higher or lower than
is it going to be mean or is it going to be nice and be close? Or is it just going to go
just like completely
Okay.
mug us off.
2?
Be like 6.
2 touches.
I'll find him. Okay.
No, it must be low then.
12.
Lower.
Lower.
Yes.
Yes, come on. Gosh. God.
Was that it? Was that the game?
That was it, yeah.
He said 10.
Has he?
Yeah. So he's on track for 20.
We'll work on that game. Something there.
No, you could do. We could have just gone.
All right.
kick
Before
7.
you look at Nick Dacos. Ready? Have a think. Have you seen it, Dill?
Yeah, I have actually.
All right. Well, don't you say anything. This is just Pommy
Okay,
here.
I'm going to guess.
Hang on.
I'm just going to throw it out. 16 touches.
He has had bang on 21.
Oh, I was going to say.
21. He's on track for 42.
That's insane. I knew
Yeah.
he had it a lot. I thought 16 was impressive.
If I had have heard that he had 21 disposals pre-game, if I was guessing, I wouldn't have expected it to be 13 kicks either. Like, that's good. He's really been getting into those dangerous areas.
4 clearances, 405 metres
Yeah, I was going
gained.
to say, he must have gained quite a bit
Wow.
because every time he's kicked it, it seems to have gone.
His brother's gained 374. So does this mean, with Nick Dacos, 21 touches, 405 metres gained, Josh has... I haven't got his
15
disposals.
disposals, 374 metres gained.
Does
That's
this
been
put
the-
it to bed, the conversation, the Ashcrofts versus the Dacos?
Yep.
I thought it was the Dacoses anyway.
I don't think
Yes.
anyone would have the Ashcroft. Maybe
Yeah, who'd
Mr.
say
and
that?
Mrs. Ashcroft.
Yeah, they were.
But they'd be lying.
Yeah.
How
So-
many Norm Smiths you got, bro?
True.
I do love it. AFL arguments are my favourite because when you compare players, they bring up individual stats. but
This is how
suits you.
Druzy and my conversations
suits them.
always go. I say this player is overrated.
Yeah.
Druzy says he's won 2 Brownlows.
Yeah, honestly,
You
it's one of
can't
my-
just talk about that 5 then.
It's one of my favourite things, when you actually get into a debate with someone, suddenly flags matter for an individual, but if it suits
Yeah.
their narrative.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's a team game, though. Any idiot can win a flag.
Yeah.
Billy Frampton was in
Billy
the list.
Frampton was- yeah,
and it's
yeah.
okay, cool.
I do feel like if you're kind of if you're an important piece to your team, if you're the fulcrum of your team and they're successful, that has to carry some weight, right? I feel like that is going to be one thing perhaps at the end of a Patrick Cripps' career that weighs him down a little
Oh,
bit.
100%. Definitely.
And it's not his fault. You can't. It's a little. I mean, it is we use the soccer analogies a lot, but it is a little bit like a Stevie Gerrard. Although he won a Champions League, never won the Premier League for Liverpool.
Still a elite player. Still elite,
unbelievable.
honestly, yeah.
Which is
even as a
same as-
United man, you've also got to take into account he single-handedly won a Champions League against AC Milan.
Yes, yeah, which is still
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I brought this up last week, but what would you do if you were Cripps? Obviously, he's the captain of the club, heart and soul. But where do you see Carlton going in the next sort of 3-4 years? And would you blame him if it got to the point where it was looking unlikely that Carlton could win a flag that he should stay or go to get that premiership?
Genuinely, I've said it before, I feel like the club let him down. I think he's given us the best years of his life and he's been
100%.
incredibly loyal. I think you look at Matt Murphy, he tells the story that Geelong came in for him, Richmond came in for him 2016, turned it down because he wanted to finish what he'd started.
Yeah.
And he could have probably had a couple of flags. and we'd still love him. I feel like for Cripps, I hope he stays because I think he's important. I think he's an incredible player.
When you say that the club's let him down, like what do you sort of mean there specifically? Like overworked and
I feel like they would have sold him a plan, and I don't think the plan has been fulfilled. And I think Cripps is in that. I feel like from speaking to Cripps as a human being as well, I feel like he's one of these people that he said he's going to do it, and he won't leave.
he will.
He won't.
Oh, he won't. Yeah,
I
okay.
think his mind is made up. I am going to bring these guys a flag, and I'm going to do it. I do feel like you only watched him against the Eagles. I feel like by now he should be playing that role. Stoppages, go down to forward, have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And we've got Hewitt now. Cooper Lord's learning the role. I feel for him because I've got a horrible feeling we're going to work him into the ground.
Yeah.
It's sad to see because I feel like he's so much better. I feel like he's underrated. This sounds stupid. I feel like Cripps does not get he's just deserves.
He's one of my favourite players to watch.
How good he is.
Yeah.
I think you're right in the sense that like I don't know, like watching him, he feels like he does carry the club and what Cookson said when he was on the show about Carlton being an emotional club. Like you feel like that all does land a little bit on Patrick Cripps' shoulders, the way that he plays. Like he is actually trying to do everything. He's working so hard. He's getting from contest to contest where a player like, you watch Nick Dacos at Collingwood and he feels like he is just, as much as he's a star, he's just a piece that does his job in a puzzle where everything's kind of working together. So
you know what breaks my heart about Cripps the most is I don't see from our boys, and I've never seen it, when he rises, I don't feel it from the others. I feel like they've got so used to, let's just sit down. He's going to do Cripps things.
Yeah.
Where when I watch Pendles go up when he was captain, everyone rises.
Yeah.
There's like kind of that fear.
Yeah.
And
do you
that's
think that's just a mentality across the...
I feel like maybe the club's culture has been Cripps is the main man. And
Cripps or bust.
yeah, and I feel sad. I feel like when I watch Geelong,
You feel like Walsh,
so much spread.
Walsh sort of rises with him? Do you feel like Walsh is a player that
I
can go
don't
with
think
him?
enough consistently.
Yeah. But I feel like in the past he has shown that.
I feel like
he
he's
can-
had moments, but
yeah,
I still
not
feel like
consistently.
the difference between like Rat Poison, I couldn't agree more. Carlton and Melbourne, I feel like Carlton and Melbourne are the same thing. You know the players that are going to kick ass. You know Petrarca's going to take the piss. You know Gorn's going to have a good game. You know Oliver's going to win everything. I don't see the B graders go, you know what? I'm going to have a good game. I still feel like even that 2023 run, it was still our best players. Like people criticise Kerno's finals. No one talks about the fact he averaged like 6 goals in that winning run up till finals.
Yeah.
No Kerno, there's no conversation.
Yeah. Do you think with like a Sam Walsh though, it's more of a conversation? Like I feel like I never see Sam Walsh shirking the issue. You know what I mean? Like I never see him as a player that isn't like running his ass off, trying to get involved in the game. It's probably more of an ultimate like quality thing. Like he maybe like just lacks the absolute polish.
I've said this for years. I think Walsh plays for any other club. He's very good. I think the role at Carlton stifles him. Like
The fact that they play him inside too
It's
much.
quite funny. We talk about Nick Dacos. You don't want him in the contest. You want him. We'll get the ball out to you, mate. You stay away as much as you can. We'll find you. I think we're just expecting Walsh to do that.
Yeah.
We're like, oh look, sorry,
Since
boys.
he was 18, basically.
And that's what worries me about Jagger. I think Jagger is incredibly talented. I think Adelaide is showing you how you use Sid Draper. 2 sub games, feed him into it, let him get game style.
Even like a Finn O'Sullivan off halfback.
Finn O'Sullivan. Like we talked about it with Carlton with Jagger, who'd be great if he starts at halfback.
Yeah.
You know he's not starting. Like we all know.
Yeah.
We all know round 1 Richmond 2026. It's going to be Cripps, Hewitt, and Jagger's going to be like, "All right, guys, how you doing?" So I put 10 kgs on.
Yeah, he'll have 15 contested possession.
Yeah, and you look at Nick Dacos, as good as he was halfback. You look at Ashcroft, as good as he is, staying at half forward, out of the way. Cam Rayner, Dusty 2.0, they called him. He's had his moments at halfback and out of the trouble. You've got to feed these kids, develop these kids. Like Daz talks footy. He said something brilliant on our show the other night, and it was like probably the most intelligent thing I've heard anyone say. And he goes, the great thing about Hawthorn is they play the game style for the players that will be there in 2 years.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like we've never done that. I feel like the great teams do that. The great teams go, right, okay, we might lose 6 games this year by sacrificing this role, but in 5 years' time, it pays us back. And I
You feel like that's what Melbourne are doing a bit at the moment?
I feel like Melbourne are arrogant I feel like Melbourne are one of the most disappointing teams in the last 10 years. They won a flag, and I feel like they just believed they were going to steamroll their way over it. And
I've never seen a team like Melbourne to try to live off a flag for so long.
Well, you look at the key forward situation.
Yeah.
They have
Never
tried,
had one.
Shaqi, Wiedemann. Do you know what I mean? They swapped Wiedemann for Shaqi.
Tom McDonald.
And it's like, just go out there and buy one, boys.
100%. And you look at that premiership that they won, they just caught fire in the third quarter.
They were by far the best team all that season, though.
Yeah, but they were the next season too.
Yeah.
And they completely broke down in finals. When,
Melbourne are always that grindy side. And
as in...
It's a grindy side. You know that even when they won the flag, it wasn't sexy football. Like you didn't go, oh my God, Melbourne are playing this week.
Yeah.
Watch that.
It was sexy in the sense that you had like Petrarca running out the front of stoppage, like in that run on. But yeah, the football
I think it was
holistically.
Moments. I think it was moments.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
they won because Gon was 10 times better than second best ruckman.
Yeah.
Petrarca was at the time probably the only goal kicking mid in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We think back to that.
Petrarca was really explosive at that point too. Like he was breaking tackles.
And people always used to have that argument with me, Cripps isn't as good as Clayton Oliver because Clayton Oliver's got a turn of pace. That was kind of true that year because you saw Clayton could win that 20 contested possessions, but then could also get on the end of it because he was allowed to.
Yeah.
Now teams know how to beat Melbourne, don't they? You just play an extra round of the contest, slow them down. It isn't going to go anywhere dangerous. It's just going to stay in the contest. And then once we get it, flip it out on the wing, game over. And fair play to them, they've tried to address it. But I feel like when I had Caden on the channel, he said last year they were honest about playing more open. And then Goodwin admitted, oh no, it's not going to win. We need to win now. Well, we'll look at it next year. I feel like that might have cost Melbourne everything. Because I've got a feeling that you might see an exodus this year. And I feel like Gon is worth nothing now. You've got a Grundy situation.
100%. I think they really missed a trick.
I feel Tracker is
to move
worth
one of
nothing.
those guys on, right?
Well, I feel like Tracker's worth nothing now.
It's not worth nothing.
It's not nothing, but like,
Nothing to fix a list. Like last year, what did they offer Carlton? They were open.
it's the thing of like you've driven the Ferrari out of the garage basically, and now it's like
It's another year. If he gets another injury from now to then, it depreciates. It's not going to be multiple firsts. Like look at Collingwood, Treloar, Goyne, Grundy. They went hard to rejuvenate that list, and they sold players they probably shouldn't do. I remember doing videos that time saying, this is genius. This is what teams should do. Sell them when they're high.
Yeah.
Because if it's another year of mediocrity, they're worthless.
Yeah.
I feel like now, if Melbourne ring me up, last year I would have been 50-50, Harry Mackay for Petrarca and a pick.
AFL clubs for
I
some
feel like
reason.
now I'd say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, AFL clubs for some reason with that are incredibly conservative as far as like they don't want to rock the boat at all. They don't want to lose a player. They're so worried about either like, going to the draft or trying to like organically rebuild that it's, I don't know. I feel like they're a bit worried about the whole culture.
So nice. Like the whole Viney 3-year contract.
Yeah.
But to be fair, you won a BNF last year. So
Yeah, but I feel like the best teams in the world in our league. Let's look at 3 good recruiting teams. Geelong, the
Sydney.
masters of B grade players.
Yeah.
Like the masters of let's just bring in a role player, and then we'll keep it. Like I remember Tommy Atkins, a good mate of mine at Geelong. He was like, I was like, what are you going to do when Selwood goes? I was having a beer with him. I was like, you're cooked, bro, when he goes.
Yeah.
And he was like, you want to see Tommy Atkins, mate, in VFL, change your life? And I'm like, he'll be nowhere near Joe Selwood's level. And then suddenly this kid comes in last year at Selwood. You see these little signs. And now it's like a more physical version of Joel Selwood. What you're losing the class, you've gained from the physicality. But then they brought Bailey Smith, so you've got all the class.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, cool, I was wrong about that one. Then you look at someone like Sydney, the academy, their focus on that and knowing how to use the academy 5 years in the future.
Yeah.
Gold Coast have started doing it. No one talks about it. Collingwood, no one talks about it. I mentioned this
This
in the
Geelong
draft.
thing, though, like what you're mentioning about Geelong, Chris Scott was talking about it the other night on one of the shows, and he was saying that this has been 10, 20 years in the making for Geelong. They were thinking about their geography and how to attract players to the club. They were like, what is it about Geelong that can be a unique selling point? And I feel like
Beaches.
Yeah, I feel like most of the Melbourne clubs but most of the Melbourne clubs have just been asleep though, right?
I like dirty money too. I
missed
agree
all
with you.
that.
No, I agree with you. I made a joke. I said, yeah, beach is dirty money.
Oh, yeah.
Underhand payments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how true any of that stuff is, but
We did it on the live. We talked about how you could break the rules legally. I went
Really?
into a complex argument of how you could money launder legally in the rules. And it's hard to prove. And NBA clubs do it, soccer clubs do it
yeah, okay.
for financial fair play.
Is it
But
around? It's just around businesses, right?
Yeah, so
And
the easy way to describe it
sponsorship.
is you came to me
Yep.
and I've got a mate who buys properties from bankrupt sales.
Yep.
So let's say it's a farm.
Right.
There's a lot of bankrupt farms. Right? He buys it for 200K. Right? He sells it to you as a player now for 500K. I've got a mate who's a mortgage broker. He's going to get you that mortgage. Very low interest rate, no commission. What's it? Bar. Then I've got a mate who runs a car yard. All he wants you to do is exactly that mortgage repayment. And you just do an Instagram post every couple of months. Go, oh, go and see my mate Scotty. He's cleaned our car. I was like, but then here's where you make the money. I was like, I own a business management firm of farms. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make your farm work. We're going to take all the livestock, all the proceedings. And then when you retire, we will do it for free. We want 50% of it. But all you've got to do is live in that property on the farm. So I'm now making my money I bought the house at a loss for back from that. And all you've got to do is sit there and pretend you're a farmer.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like Jeremy Cameron do a video once in a while, hitting a golf ball on the farm going, oh, look at me tractor. And it's like, you know, if you said to Jeremy Cameron, you went round to his house now and go, is that Bermudan bent grass? Or is it traditional wisp grass? And he'd be like, I haven't got a clue, mate.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Do you have a clue about grass?
Jeez, I don't know what you're talking about, but
I know what Bermudan bent grass is.
You lost me at car garage.
but surely that stuff, it's like it's still on some level traceable. Like you see what happened with
It's
what's
not,
happened.
though. It's not. Because you think, because it's just a matter of circumstance. You're a young man, you want to do the car yard, and it's only say, like, you think how much a mortgage is.
But on
600
when
a
I say
week.
that, I mean like on some level, like that's all got to be communicated. Like when Jeremy Cameron, Bailey Smith, whoever it is that's coming down, and you're putting that in front of them, you've got to tell them that somehow. So
We're going to get you on the dodgy.
No, but you wouldn't put it in writing. You'd be
well,
like,
that's
this.
what's going on with like Man City right now,
No, but
right?
you'd be
It's like
this.
email leaks.
It would be simple as, tell you what, we'll pay you 800K flat salary. Off the record, though, I can get you a $2.8 million investment property right now, fully funded, and when you retire, you will get 50% of all the revenue from that, which will be managed by an auxiliary company. Now, I'm not saying Geelong are doing this for legal reasons. They do have someone on their board that runs one of the biggest farmyard management companies in the world. So I was like, suddenly that's how you do it.
That would be theoretically how you could do it. But yeah, it would be, what I'm saying is it would be difficult to avoid paper trail in that completely.
I think it'd be quite easy, though.
Really?
100%.
Why do all that, like you see in these big cases, like these big sports cases when teams have broken the rule, that's how they usually get done.
Yeah,
right?
there'll be some idiot who's text and like Jeremy Cameron's probably texting going, hey mate, got some cows, yeah boy. Stevie in the boardroom.
Like everybody, like,
yeah, I mean that's probably how they get busted. But like I always say this about Carlton. Carlton are sponsored by Hyundai. Go to the Carlton pre-season. Every bro's got a Hyundai.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, do we think they've paid
yeah.
for that Hyundai?
Same as North with Mazda.
It's going to be this,
It's the
isn't
same
it? It's
thing.
going to be like, oh, Patrick, take the Hyundai, do a video for us, mate.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. On me, yeah?
Yep.
Do you think he pays for the maintenance on that, the MOT, warrant of
The
fitness?
MOT.
Like, behave.
What's the MOT?
Sorry,
It's like an English
it's the
term
English
for
thing.
like...
We have to have like a warrant of fitness every year.
Oh, like a service.
Yeah.
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 So, but I
MOT.
was like, I'm telling you right now, like every club does it. We just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like,
for
and,
sure.
and then like little deals, isn't it? Oh, your cousin's a model. Oh, okay. Tell you what, I'll pay you 200K.
Oh
tonight.
yeah, the amount of like family members that work for football clubs and things like that on unusual deals is crazy. But if the AFL wanted to clamp down on that, they would, wouldn't they?
No,
they
because
just
the
don't seem to care.
AFLPA had a big thing 5 years ago on players' images and how restricted it was that they couldn't make their own sponsorship deals, and that was so. Once they opened that door, you then open the door to manipulating the salary cap. And like I said on my stream, it's not as bad as you think it is. Like, it'll be a problem if suddenly one day Geelong have Matt Rowe, Noah Anderson,
Yeah,
Bailey
exactly.
Smith, prime max card, and then we'll start asking questions. What, they're all on 200k, are they?
Yeah.
But I was like, the only reason I was like, people are asking the questions now because it doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense because it'll be like, the salary cap when Carlton did it. A lot of people came out and said, we've been doing it for years as well.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Carlton's difference was John Elliott was very vocal about he was doing it.
Yeah, wasn't he like pretty much I should be allowed to do it.
I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Where like the other ones were a little bit more like subtle with it. Like, look, tell you what, we'll get your wife working and we'll say she's a cleaner. She never has to set foot in the door.
Yeah.
Like, other ones were clever. Like we were just like open. Everyone was working at Visi on 2.8 million. Like, they went in and go, do you know this guy?
What wasn't he like
for?
Elliot? Like he was a massive capitalist, right?
Yeah.
So he just he believed in the free market.
Like he wanted. I think it was Lockett, didn't he? And he tried to buy St Kilda. I'm sure it was Lockett he wanted, but he literally wrote their president a check and was like, we'll just buy you, so then we can trade him to Carlton. Like different mindset, mate. But look, dodgy deals go on, and unfortunately, you got.
I guess you do sort of have that as far as from a competitive balance point of view. You have that safety net of you still need to pay capital for them in the draft and that sort of thing on top of the salary cap.
We got the second half about to start here. I didn't see this in the first quarter, in the first half, but Nick Dacos being tagged by Jared Berry.
And he wasn't on ball.
Jared Berry.
Half back, I believe.
Who's going to win that battle?
Oh, maybe half forward for Dacos, half back for Berry. I'd back Dacos.
Can I just say, Darcy Cameron might have the best dinky kick in the league.
He does, doesn't he? Just that little floater.
It looks stupid and it works. He must go at 100% when he executes the little beep kick.
There's not a lot of speed in the hand to foot with a Darcy Cameron.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, it takes probably about 9 hours for that brain wave to get to his foot, doesn't it? He probably thought about that last week, that kick.
Everyone's loving the inside scoop there, Pommy.
Yeah, I can't wait to go home. My wife says some Geelong lawyers were just...
2 men in black just knocked on the door. Oh, that's class.
A couple of who would you rathers here, guys.
Go.
Darcy Cameron or McInerney?
Darcy Cameron.
Yeah, Darcy Cameron.
Yeah, it's an easy one. Shouldn't have said that first. Nick Dacos or Lockie Neal?
Nick Dacos.
Or Lockie Neal?
Nick Dacos.
Nick Dacos.
But he's won 2 Brownlows, Druzy. He's won 2 Brownlows.
Yeah, well, how many Norm Smiths has he got?
Great throwback.
Come on.
I would also go Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
No, that whole...
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
Make it easy. Nick Dacos over anyone.
Okay.
Over Sam Darcy?
Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
I can find a key forward.
Okay. I would say Nick Dacos is a better footballer, but I think I would actually I would take Sam Darcy right now in a head-to-head for the career.
Do you think Sam Darcy is going to go at this output for the rest of his career?
Well, he's going to be hard to stop, isn't he?
Well, he's a giraffe.
I feel like we already know what Nick Dacos is getting absolutely bullied here by Jared Berry.
To be fair, Sam Darcy is like what would happen if a giraffe had a baby with Usain Bolt.
I was waiting for the comparison. With what?
Degoe and Berry.
And Usain Bolt.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way of wording the had a baby without trying to get sued by Usain
How
Bolt.
on earth did Collingwood get a free kick for that?
There was just so much biff off the ball.
Degoe just attacked Berry.
Yeah, you can't.
And then
you can't bully Nick though.
It wasn't on Nick. I think it was on Degoe.
It's a free kick to Degoe, but
Degoe
Degoe attacked Berry for attacking Nick, and then Degoe ended up with the free kick. I don't know what happened.
Chat's thoughts on one leg tattooed. I'd love Chat's thoughts on that.
And why on the kicking leg? Wouldn't you want the non-kicking leg tattooed? So then you got the pure.
I genuinely
right?
don't like it. You've done both arms, and then you've half done. What is it? Is it the contract extension not paid off yet?
What were we talking about before?
Tattoo? No.
Hey, would you rather have Nick
would you
Dacos
rather?
or-
Sam Darcy. I was talking about the output. I think we've already seen that Nick Dacos can do it consistently from
No, but
game
this
one.
isn't this. Okay, so this isn't purely Nick Dacos, unbelievable player. It's more that case of you can't really replicate a Sam Darcy, but you can sort of replicate. You can't absolutely replicate a Dacos.
Have you
either.
seen Josh Tracy, bro?
Josh Tracy is nowhere near as good as Sam
Well, he's
Darcy.
beating him in the Coleman right now.
Druzy.
Yeah, but
stop it.
I think from Druzy's point of view, though, there is Phil Thorpe, who's a monster who can take
Sam
marks.
Darcy's way better
No,
than
he's
Phil.
better,
Mason
but I'm
Cox.
saying I'd say it's harder to find a Nick Dacos ability than it is
Really?
a goal kicker who can kick 60
But
goals.
with long arms.
There's a lot of mids not to the same class level as Nick Dacos, but there are a lot of mids out there. Like Dacos is right up there for me, but you don't find too many. What is he? 208 centimetre
Who would you say the second best forward is behind Darcy? Like for potential.
key forward.
Yeah.
Like genuine key forward. I mean, it's Thilthorpe right now, as far as like up and coming. And the gap between, this is what I'm saying, the gap between Darcy and Thilthorpe is much bigger than the gap between Dacos and next up and coming mid.
Fair.
That would be my sort of closing
Okay.
argument. But I can't think of an upcoming mid.
But Darcy's good because he works up the ground, doesn't he?
And he's good at ground level.
Yeah.
For 208 centimetres.
But,
He's freakish.
But if he was playing for a team that wasn't bobbins like the Dogs, where they have quite a lot of holes and they need him to do that, let's say if it was Brisbane now, I don't think he'd be as good because he wouldn't have to work up the ground. They've got Bailey doing that. They've got Dunkley swinging.
But I don't think Darcy's best work is up the ground.
No, but I think that's the big point of difference in it is that he can work like a mid. Like he does, like watching him against Carlton, he was like an extra mid at times.
At times he can
Which
do
was
that.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
he's like
can do-
Godzilla.
But there was times in that Freo game, like that was ridiculous, Druzy, that game against Freo.
Yeah.
Like I know you're jokingly making the Josh Tracy
No,
comparison.
I'm with Dreezy. I'd rather have Tracy. Better name.
You'd rather have Tracy than
Bro, look at
than-
all we need to look at is the Coleman stats for a forward, and
You
Josh
really-
Tracy's at
you
the top
really
of it.
don't.
I just want to.
I need to see what the chat's saying about this.
All I'm going to say is Sam Darcy's got two first names. You
Andy
can't trust him.
Andy Munro. There's more Nake types than Darcy types.
Yes, we've covered this. I
agree with him.
I want to go back to the Usain Bolt and Giraffe having a baby comparison. I want more of those. Give me your best. What is like what made Sam Darcy? What was the inputs? We've got one here. Nick Dacos is Alexander the Great if he was breastfed until he was 18.
Yeah, I agree with Dom. Like, what him? Like,
True Eagle.
Oh,
How
good
is
for Jesse
Liverpool, bro?
Good of Jesse to hop in on the stream before his date tonight.
Oh, he's just giving you shit about the Manchester United.
Yeah,
kid.
yeah. Talk shit. Cop it back, Jesse. Come on now. Move to Melbourne already, bro. Come on.
good intercept mark as well by Darcy Mulder.
It was 20 points.
Oh.
So they've
Bailey.
They need to get going.
they do.
That's
Big
all the
O.
right kick.
Gee,
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I've never seen someone more unsure on the ball right then than McInerney when he took that mark.
Talking about tattoos, Lockie Neal, worst arm tattoos in the history of
Yeah.
humanity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sure now I've said that someone in chat's going to be like, oh, like his best mate died, and that's what they represent. And I feel bad.
yeah. I'm going to say
Yeah, they're like flying birds as well.
But genuinely, like,
I think I have read this. I think it's for his kids.
Oh, look at you, Pommy, just slagging
I
off
think it's
Lockie
like-
Neal's kids.
just put your names on them like I did.
Yeah. Someone will probably be
Where are
able
yours?
to.
Right there. Oh, Big O. That could swing.
Go.
He's got it.
That was like an AFL live goal where
Yeah.
like you like
It-
start it there and it just sort
It
of
did
like
look
comes
like
around.
Big Ann
and
had done the graphics for that.
Jesse claps back with, yeah, my team is 14th in the Prem, but at least I don't have a date. He's got a date. Anyway, we're getting
luck on
off
the
track.
date.
He's got a date. Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Well done, Jesse. All right. I'm still going through these would
Go
you
for it.
rathers. DeGoey versus McCluggage.
Luggage.
Right now, McCluggage. Yeah, definitely. Who's had a better career, though?
It's Goey. Come on.
I think it's DeGoey.
One flag each.
One flag each.
DeGoey's more of an X Factor player, I feel.
You're the medal man.
Yeah.
So, like, some obscure medal.
I feel like
No
McCluggage-
Norm Smiths or Brownlows, so
I
I've
feel
got
like-
nothing.
McCluggage has been that guy for Brisbane this year so far, though. I feel like he's taken that speed factor in his game. A little bit more that score involvement player.
If I could take one player right now for my club, I would take McCluggage.
So
but I
would
feel
I.
like overall career, DeGoey.
To be that
Yeah.
boring guy, I feel like McCluggage would be better if you were 18th and first. I feel like DeGoey needs to play for a good team.
Needs
Yeah.
to play for a good team. Fair. Pendles versus Dunkley.
Pendles.
Pendles.
I'd have Pendles.
Right now?
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Control.
Still?
Yeah, I think he's still as effective as he's ever been.
Dunkley's brilliant, but you can't buy that experience, can you?
Yeah, fair.
Like, for some reason, Pendles, like, makes the world slow down, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd imagine it would be like being the only sober one at Coachella.
The argument I'd put for Dunkley, like coming into your team right now, He's a really good defensive mid, like closes down some of the, at times tonight he's played on Dacos. That's a very good example because Dacos is running riot, but he can play on the opposition's best players. He can play on those bigger body players, like often on a Heaney or a Cripps, those types. And then he does have a knack of drifting forward and hitting the scoreboard as well, just with his overhead game.
Is it controversial? I preferred Doggies Dunkley than I do Brisbane Dunkley.
That's interesting. I reckon that's a decent shout because he was more...
But I suppose he was more of a forward. Main man, wasn't he?
Well, he was more of a forward.
Had more excitement.
Yeah, whereas at Brisbane, he's sort of just a centre bounce.
Yeah, I just personally like that. I feel like when you watch Pendles, he makes everyone else calmer.
Yeah, for sure. Like Legacy, it's absolutely Pendles. Like
I just think even now, I feel like Pendles just calms
everyone down. Which I mean, even what he did before when he picked up the ball on the edge of 50 and just found a target, you know what I mean?
Here we go. Cameron. Do you still have it?
Oh.
Nope. Same amount of flags. I don't know if you already said that before, but Dunkley and Pendles, same amount of flags.
That's weird, though.
Yeah, I guess with the Dogs one.
I have facts.
I was going to say, you always forget that, don't you? That Dunks was part of that first flag.
Yeah.
Good call.
The 16.
Good call from you.
I've got weird little nuggets.
That was an insane call.
Someone just said Noah Anderson.
Insane call.
Noah Anderson over who?
I don't know.
There was another... finish off the Collingwood and Brisbane ones.
Okay. Side bottom or Will Ashcroft?
Will Ashcroft. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
If you're talking now.
Yep. Just the way
even career, I'd take Will Ashcroft now. How many Norths? No, I need to stop. I think Will Ashcroft's skill on the ball and in tight spaces is like top.
So I think side bottom career wise is pretty good with that too, though. But
yeah. I feel like Ashcroft's just that echelon or two higher though. I feel like
great effort, Harris Andrews strangling his own leader.
I feel like side bottom is a wish Scott Pendlebury. Like a knockoff.
What about 2018 side bottom though? The grand final year. Like I think he won the BNF that year.
The one thing I will give side bottom is his ability to be elite in 4 different roles in his career.
Especially when
Ashcroft do that.
I think that's like the IQ.
Like, can Ashcroft do that?
Yeah.
Like, we'll never know until the end of his career, but can Ashcroft redefine him?
Side bottom kicked 10 goals in a TAC Cup, which is now the Coates League. He kicked 10 goals in the grand final in his draft year. Yeah, I still find that incredible.
I always enjoy watching side bottom because that guy can play the defensive wing, attacking wing, half forward, play on the ball. And it's like one of them players that you just know you're going to get good returns from.
Yeah.
I think the most incredible thing about him is that he's had such a successful career with his bum on the side of him. What's the next one, Dylan?
Good work.
I still don't get that.
Good work.
Same still side bottom, Dylan.
Oh, still some.
I'm here for the jokes and the Norm Smith facts.
I didn't get that.
Thanks,
okay,
Pommy.
next one. Bobby Hill. This is a good one. Bobby Hill or Zach Bailey?
I thought you were going to say Charlie Cameron then, and I was like, I'm already on the...
I do love Zach.
That's why I didn't do that. Because what I did here, I picked like what I thought were like the 10 best players. So they're not the perfect head-to-head, but it's like the 10 best players for each team.
On that, Bobby Hill.
Bobby Hill,
chase down that filth.
That just cleared it up for you, did it?
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Elliot, McSay,
Dacos,
breaks the tag.
Oh my God.
I've got to say this, though, in defence of Zach Bailey, I think that's the hardest role in football to play, the link man between the midfield and the forward.
The high
I
forward.
think that's so hard. It's such an underrated role because if you don't have it, you really notice it. And if you watch the Blues, if you put Zach Bailey in there or Will Hayward, I keep saying this, we watched Hayward against Sydney, it makes me depressed that we didn't get him. Because I'm like, straight away you can see, Jesus, when we bomb it forward, his ability to just shorten it up a bit.
I totally agree. And like both of those.
This is amazing. Look, Bobby Hill never gives up the chase.
It's incredible.
He had no right to win that.
He makes me smile. You know, few players do. Bobby Hill makes me smile. Just makes me happy. I feel good about my life when I see Bobby Hill.
I think one thing people forget when they talk about speed in a player is that it works both ways. Like it works when you have the ball, but it also works to close players down. And I think that's what those sorts of guys bring, like your Baileys and your Rayners and your...
Who would you take?
I think I would take Bailey. I think I would take Bailey for the power.
You know, Drew's point on Cameron, though, that's something that Bobby does. When he's not kicking goals, he contributes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where Cameron if he doesn't kick a goal, you probably wouldn't even know he was on the ground.
Yeah.
He used to work so nicely up and down the wing, Cameron. I feel like he just plays a lot deeper now. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
just remember him
Don't
at
bring
his
up your
best
teacher.
as like he'd get isolated inside forward 50, and we talked about it with Dustin Martin the other night on the last week's stream. Like he'd get isolated and he just wins every one-on-one contest.
Yeah.
Like just can turn his player inside out.
Bang. Mason.
Jeez.
Ding dong.
That's what he does.
Tell you what, the Lions fraud watch.
Fraud watch.
Time to look at them now. They've come up against a proper side and they're being worked out.
Well, they love coming from behind, much like Johnny Sins.
Good work.
Cheers, mate.
Good work.
I don't know if I could put the Lions on. Like, can you put the reigning grand finalists on Fraud Watch? I suppose you can.
You can put anyone on fraud watch.
We put the Swans on Fraud
Druzy.
Watch.
Put Druzy on
Swans
Fraud watch.
Yeah.
I put the GWS on fraud watch.
When?
Start of the round after Collingwood.
Oh, he's missed
Oh,
it.
no. After the Collingwood
Mason.
game. I've recently taken them off fraud
Wait,
watch.
you put them on after they beat Collingwood by 52 points? What, that
Because
wasn't...
Collingwood were horrible. Their pressure was like West Coast against us. And
Yeah.
their ball use was like us normally.
How did you hold that
Game is
against
on a
the
nice
Giants,
edge
though?
here, boys, by the way.
I feel like they're a very one-way side. I still think they're a good side.
terrible
I feel like
kick.
they're incredibly
Oh,
one-way.
great
Oh,
kick.
no,
Really?
Bo.
That's got to be a free kick to the Lions, surely. Oh, he's giving it advantage. No, he's going to bring it back. He called advantage, then you brought it back. Boys, I know we're chatting a lot of shit here, but the game right now, I feel like
It's on
whoever
knife's edge.
it is, I feel like Brisbane this whole game have like possessed the ball really well. They've brought it up to the sort of halfway mark, and they just haven't had that last kick inside 50.
Collingwood's ability, though, to just, when you're going well, just manage to always stick the knife in is a gift. I think even though I agree with you, Druzy, I think Brisbane have at parts being the better team.
Morris.
I feel like they've
Pies just
on the
finish it
ball.
off.
Here we go.
Bailey
Zach!
sets it up. Oh, unselfish.
Was that a shot?
It's like the classic FIFA stats. You know what I mean? I feel like Brisbane
this
have just
is
had
FUT
more
champs.
possession.
This
yeah,
is FUT champs 1 a.m. on a Saturday.
yeah.
You're
Something
playing
like that.
some guy with 69 in his name.
I wasn't going that
They've
direction.
absolutely peppered him, and he's managed to score a 91st minute corner.
Yeah, that's it. That's
And
it.
then he's had the audacity to DM you.
yeah. GG.
Do you get that a lot on? I turned my DMs off recently, but you always get, if you ever beat anyone in FUT champs, someone would DM you, go, "You content shit." And I'm like, still got the win though, don't I? That guy. Cheers for the free view.
Pom, you forgot to put your tips in.
Oh no!
Well, you'll get this one right.
I had Collingwood anyway. I've got proof because I
Yeah.
did the tips video. Thank you, Wooden Spoon.
Jesse chimed in. Sorry to keep going on with the shit talk here, but he said, one of the first days I got back to Perth, I matched with a girl who had just done a video with Johnny Sins. Over to you, Dylan.
Who's Johnny Sins?
Shut up.
I'm actually not joking.
Chat,
Over to you, Dylan.
chat. You can inform him.
Yeah. He's like the world's most famous male actor. we'll say.
Chat. You can. Just don't Google it if it's a family account.
Yeah. Do not Google.
Just you guys just keep talking. Don't. Okay.
Cobb said he's an entrepreneur.
Johnny does a lot of content. Okay, I think I'm getting the picture now.
To be fair, to be fair, I'd model my channel on Johnny Sins, just like bash the content out.
Oh, Jamie
Oh,
Elliott.
Jamie Elliott.
He's
Oh, this
kicked
could
it.
be a dagger.
He's kicked.
Oh.
No, he hasn't.
He has kicked it through for a bind. I got you, Dylan. It's all good. Any more comparisons in that list?
Yeah, we've got a few more. Just working through it. So I did Bobby Hill, Zach Bailey. Where did we get to there? Most people said Bobby, did they?
I said Bobby.
We said Bob's.
I said Bales.
We said the Jamaican bobsled
Jamie
team.
Elliott versus Cam Rayner. Sort of a similar one.
Cam Rayner.
Oh, that's tough.
It's always hard when there's a legacy player. Again, like you'd take Rayner now, wouldn't you?
So are we doing it as if it was today?
Yeah. Well, because I kind of the idea was it's like who's got the better team right now, not who.
Oh, no, I've changed my mind.
Every time you ask me, the player comes on.
I know Elliott, right? Elliott's just had a patch here the last couple of minutes, going crazy.
You know, this is a tough one because Cam Rayner can go like proper Jimmy Hoffa at times, can't he? Like,
Who's Jimmy Hoffa? Now I'm lost.
he was the gangster that dobbed the mafia in and was buried under a car park, just went missing.
Ah, right. Yeah. Mate, who's this? Jamie Elliott?
Yeah.
Why
no,
is he
Cam Rayner. He just goes missing, doesn't he, at times? Like, Cam Rayner can, like, have 4, 5,
I feel
6
like
games.
it's a bit the position, though.
Where
Again,
Jamie
it's-
Elliott, though, always. Like, Jamie Elliott just always does
He's
this.
clutch.
Clutches it up,
He's
doesn't he?
clutch, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
God, Collingwood just...
Jamie Elliott, if I had to have someone to kick a goal for the rest of, like, on my life depended on it,
You'd go.
Josh Tracy.
no, I'd probably go Jamie Elliott, but then I'd not tell him I'm a Carlton fan because he'd probably shank it deliberately.
Yeah. Who would you choose? Anyone in the AFL? Set
Darcy
shot.
Fogarty.
Really? Yeah.
That's like garlic butter in it. That actually.
Yeah.
Anyone to take a set shot?
Yeah.
Inside 30, Nick Larkey.
Well, let's go 45 out, 45-degree angle.
Darcy Cameron.
Darcy
I'm-
Cameron.
I mean Darcy Fogarty still.
Darcy Cameron.
Crazy cool.
The dink kick. You go the dink
mate. Look, if he was outside 50, Jack Darling, because man is in chat. And if I don't say it, she'll hurt me.
Jack Darling. No, who would I go from outside 50? I mean, who's like a big, powerful forward?
Tex Walker
Dan
would be up
Houston's not a bad one, actually, for
Yeah.
outside 50.
I'd love to know what Tex Walker's stats are from outside 50.
Yeah, I'd probably go Tex, actually.
I reckon Tex Walker could like I don't think I've ever seen him miss from like 65.
Yeah.
Handball release to Tex Walker must be 100% success rate.
It's incredible. I've just got another one here. Mychek versus Morris.
Oh, Maya Jack.
Really? Right now? I think I'd go Morris. Even though I actually love Mychek.
I think you've stiffed the Broads dog. Look.
Oh, gee,
See?
every time.
Look. So, honestly, Collingwood fans need to get me involved here because I might win them a flag. As soon as I talk about them, they have a blinder.
We both tipped Brisbane. You've picked Collingwood. Brisbane cannot get the ball far. I can't talk. They cannot get the ball past
Ooh, is
the
that
halfway mark here.
Is that a Hawthorn fan in that
No, I
crowd?
reckon that's a Brizzy fan.
Top right.
I saw that. The yellow.
Yeah. I think that was a.
I'm going to back in. That's a Brizzy top.
I don't know. I felt
Niels,
a bit
clean.
brown there, man.
Brisbane, this is where they get going.
Yeah, but they in games, yes, but they need to start moving the ball differently because they keep going up this wing. Charlie Cameron, what have you got, son? Have you
think
still got it?
they can-
Have you still got it? He's lost it. He's not up to the
Look
level
at how
anymore.
Collingwood have just closed that corridor
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. The corridor is shut.
Like they are like, have an idea, boys. Here's Pendles. You know what? I don't know why we don't see
that
this
was-
more. Collingwood fans might be able to explain it. Pendles at halfback. I don't mind it. We saw them flirt with it last year.
I would like my rebuttal. I knew I had to use that word once tonight.
It's a buzzword.
Yeah, it would have to be the fact that he doesn't have the pace to be able to like drive off
No,
the
but I feel like
halfback
in
line.
these times, the moments now when the game's starting to become more of a kicking, slow game.
This
is where you want him.
You could certainly get him to float back
Like you
and
want Josh on the wing and pace.
yeah.
And be like, we'll protect you.
But that when you're trying to really get your game plan going, I think it would be the pace that's stopping him from being there for sure.
Here we are.
What do you think in general play to sit him behind the ball?
Yeah, I just think in this type of moment now, have him right behind the ball. He's just going to ping the ball around. You put the quicker players in front of him just to give him a bit
This
of protection.
guy. So Mychek Morris, we went with. I went Morris.
I'd go Mychek.
Yeah, I'd go Broads.
I thought you said Morris.
No, I was sort of tossing up. That's a goal. That's a goal.
Dacos
Oh,
versus
it's-
Josh Dacos versus Zorko.
Josh Dacos.
Really?
Now,
Yeah, because
today,
Wasn't Zorko all Australian? Was a halfback last year?
Yeah.
I mean, not that I like to specific.
Well, it depends if we're going like, are we getting? We should have just done it like prime for prime.
they've both got sexy traits, haven't they? Because Zarko
what
can go
I wanted to
forward.
do. So the the idea behind this was right now, who is a better player on the field right now, so that we can kind of look at who's got the best top 10 players. So who would you want in your team right now?
I wouldn't say no to either, to be fair.
So if you were recruiting, you'd go Josh Dacos because he's younger.
Let's use the Pommy and Oz method here. Struggling team, Dane Zorko is more important.
Yeah. If we're doing that, Zarks, well done. Oh, no.
They try to bite off the corridor kick.
Calamity.
Here's the man with the disgusting tattoos on the arm.
Lucky.
Here we are, Nick Dacos,
Maynard versus Wilmot.
Maynard.
Maynard.
Moore versus Harris Andrews.
Harris Andrews.
Oh, I'll probably agree with you.
Oh, Bobby.
Bobs.
No way.
Oh, you should have just been selfish. Bobby needs to be a bit more selfish.
How do they move the ball on this far wing? They have not had the ball out here at all this quarter.
The forward line must be vacant as well. Okay, guys, so we've just done 11 players. And who I would say are the top from each team, 6 to 5 in favour of Collingwood.
For you? Did you do it for
No,
all
I did
of
it
us?
for who got the most votes out of the three of
Okay.
us.
I genuinely think that Collingwood are the better side.
Okay. When you say the better players, because that's basically a player thing.
Yeah,
Do you mean
out the
coach?
18 to 18? I'd
You think
say-
Collingwood have better
yeah.
players? No, I disagree with that.
I think Brisbane have the better, higher ceiling players, but I think as pound for pound players, I think
I
the role
suppose that
players
kind
are
of
highs.
shows with our selections, though, right? Because I'd probably go like in the. I feel like
I think if you did 22, I would end up being Brisbane. But top 10, yeah.
No, but I think like
Really?
you look if you compared it, Collingwood don't have a Neil at all, so Neil would own that job.
Collingwood don't have a Neil.
Yeah, so I think Neil owns that job solely.
I sort of think Dacos is their Neil, as in like does the same work and more.
But I think he plays a hell of a lot more loose.
Myercheck has just kicked a massive goal.
GG's.
In the sense of for their team, like one of their primary roles, particularly at centre stoppage and stoppages around the ground, they're generally the hit 2 player. So they're getting the most gathers from the hit out, from like
Yeah.
the loose ball, Dacos and Neil.
This is actually scary now. Like,
How Collingwood have won this.
yeah, in the same way that they did it last week. Like, you think of that prime Collingwood or the flag-winning Collingwood, it was those come-from-behinds, tight wins, play the minutes, and now they're just taking the game away from teams.
You know what? I don't like Collingwood in any stretch of the imagination, but you've got to hand it to them. Look, Brisbane have the coolness, the panache, but sometimes you just need to know how.
Yeah.
And Collingwood, any question you ask them, they will invariably have the answer.
Yeah.
They are the cockroach.
It's a good point, and I think when you put
Collingwood.
all of the other when you put all the other opponents that Brisbane have faced, they probably haven't met a team like Collingwood yet
Yeah.
to chase down.
I was just trying to make a cockroach Collingwood joke, and I've ended up saying cock ring without realising.
But
This is what Pommy Knows does.
But genuinely, they do impress me, Pies. They can just grind this out, and I don't think there's a better side at managing games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
for
their
sure.
ability.
Like that 2023 Collingwood, they were the absolute masters at controlling the situations.
But like you both said it, how good Brisbane were playing compared to Collingwood. But it's the way that Collingwood can hold just in that period. They can be the worst side on the ground, but you don't get much from it. You've got to kill them.
Charlie,
And if you don't kill
Hasn't
them,
impacted tonight, Charlie Cameron, my whipping
nah.
boy.
yeah, they're a fascinating side to watch, Collingwood. You have to kill them.
How do you beat him?
I think what GWS do, you get the foot down early, you get the lead, and then they can't control it.
Their midfield doesn't have the same athleticism that the Giants have. Like with you look at midfielders like Finn Callahan, Tom Green, not so much from an athletic point of view, but from a size point of view. Like he can get his hands on it and stop someone. Not stop from a defensive point of view, but Green's a bigger body in the midfield. He's got more reach. Can stop a guy like Dacos getting the footy and then release a guy like Callahan. And the Pies mids, they struggled to go with the GWS mids. In
Take
that.
away someone else's out of Dorito.
yeah.
Come on.
I actually haven't had one.
I know, I've eaten half a bowl of Doritos by myself.
He's really gone for it. I'm impressed.
They are addictive.
Yeah.
They are designed for you to, like, you boys won't be able to stop now. I'm going to put the bowl over there. Bringing it back to Freo, because that's what I love to do. We played Collingwood twice this year. How do you think our midfield would stack up against theirs? So Sarong, Young, Brayshaw, Bolton. Did I say Young there?
I think Young's the X factor for you guys.
Do you know what I love about our side
look
now?
at that.
Oh, look at this ball movement. Oh
Look at
my
that
God.
running on.
Oh my God.
You know,
They're out.
that's
They're
the
out.
thing that's
Never mind.
amazing. They just guarantee each other wins it.
We're
There's no
losing
scoring.
2 times to Collingwood this year.
See what they just did then?
So good.
They didn't do that in 2024.
What? Collingwood?
Run the ball from D50 like that. They were a bottom 4 side for that.
All the teams are doing it, though. Have you noticed now? They don't kick out. They actually play themselves into trouble to get behind that forward press.
Yeah.
Like, I watched that with Carlton. We're so heavy forward press. Teams now embrace it and go, come on.
Yeah.
And then we'll kick around you and suddenly...
It's almost in a way, if you look at like how soccer's changed, like with goalkeepers playing out from the back, it's almost like footy's done that a little bit. Like teams are actually trying to score from kick-ins, whereas... back in the day, it was just like you got the ball in the defence back in the day and you just kicked it out.
It's funny you say that because I was chatting to a mate trying to explain AFL to him. He's recently fallen in love with it as a Pom. And like I said to him, what Carlton and Melbourne are doing is trying to play 4-4-2.
Yes.
Brexit football.
That's actually such a good analogy.
Football when everyone else is playing the high up press.
Pep Guardiola,
3-5-2,
fluid.
Or it's a 4-3-3 with ball retention. And I was like, and trying to make it work.
Yep.
And then beating up on shit teams, but then they play a City who has 90% possession and it can't work.
What you just said before is a really good point too, because I don't know if you guys heard the criticism of Caleb Daniel by like Corns and Kingy, and they were talking about how long he holds on to the ball. And he's obviously he's doing that to invite the press so that they can pick through it. They've won this.
Never a doubt.
This is incredible.
Incredible.
Not too sure about that dude's hat, but I'm glad he's happy. Fair play to you.
Now I'm going to continue eating these.
Yep. Enjoy, brother.
I agree. I feel though like the criticism that Caleb Daniel has is people forget doggies are incredible at that slingshot, so it's inherent in him. There's also an adaptation period. Oh, sorry, it's because I was eating food, so I didn't want to be near it. No, it's one of them things though, isn't it? Like I think there's an adjustment period for it, Caleb Daniel.
Yeah, for sure. And he, but I think just sort of, I guess like conceptually, people see him, bounce the ball, invite pressure, but that's in a way, that's what he's been asked to do. He's been asked to come into the team and actually, get us moving the ball through those zones.
Yeah, because Gold Coast are a team that I have more faith in Adelaide than Gold Coast at the minute.
Why?
Okay.
Purely because I feel like Adelaide have got ways to hurt you around the ground, where I feel like Gold Coast, it's so on that slingshot off the halfback, high risk, high reward, that I feel like and I want to see what happens when GWS play a team like that, who's going to be really strong forward half of the ball.
I'd love to see that.
And say, come on then, try and play that way for 4 quarters.
The one thing though with Gold Coast, when you talk about Damien Hardwick teams, he never really had that caliber of a midfield at the Tigers. So now he's got
allows him to have that stoppage dominance, which I remember the 2017, that's what everyone always said. Oh, yeah, but you'll beat him around stoppage.
Yeah.
And then they'd have 85 defensive half scores and we would have won clearances. And
exactly.
I was like, great, love life.
But now they're able to actually control the field position as well. They can set up behind the ball because they're getting all of that dominance from your Matt Rouse and your Noah Andersons as well. And I don't know, I feel like they've got a lot of weapons that haven't really hit their straps fully as well, like a Bailey Humphrey.
I feel like Ben King, we talked about great forwards. No one's talking about Ben King. He's just building into a real solid forward.
100%. Because I keep thinking they're young forwards. I keep thinking, is Ethan Reid, Jed Walter, are they old enough? And is the maturation there for them to be able to actually impact this year? But you forget about King. So they don't really have to be the...
Yeah, and I feel like he's just quietly gone about his work as well. It's dangerous. It feels like there's a 10-goal game in him.
I'll give you another point on Gold Coast. One thing that it's crept into the recruiting lately, there's teams that have recruited a specialist ruck forward. Like the Tigers did it in 24 with Thomas Sims. Gold Coast did it with Ethan Reid, an academy player. So they've got him to actually, he can play forward and he can play in the ruck, and he doesn't give them they're not at a huge disadvantage when he goes into the ruck. Whereas you look at a team like North who are playing like a Jack Darling, who's just a body in there. They're going to, against teams that have a not sort of sufficient second ruck, they're going to win out.
I think that's the new thing though. I think St Kilda are trying to show you that.
With going after TDK.
Has to be a ruck. And it has to be dynamic.
Yep.
And I think that's what you're going to see. I predict the big winger, that was one of the niches, the Dustin Martin type player, the guy that has no defence or offence.
The strike mid, I call him.
I think the next evolution is teams play one key. and the second has an auxiliary role. And I think
Yeah.
we'll see the death, because we're starting to see, no one talks about it, the death of two big key defenders as well.
Do
Teams
you
aren't
do you
playing
think that
anymore?
do you think that comes into what we saw in the 24 draft with forwards like Jobe Shanahan, Harry Armstrong, who were most people a lot had them in that sort of top 10 group, and they end up falling to like 20s and 30s because teams are actually going, maybe we're not going to have that. We don't actually need that player.
I 100% do think that. I do think that teams would in my draft. I had Jobe higher up than like Harry Armstrong. I remember doing that because I thought his dual position ability gives you a free crack. I love Harry Armstrong, but it's going to be interesting what they do when Lynch retires. I don't think Armstrong can bear that load. He's like a Cadman. He needs to play that second role. You need a giant to work off.
The funny thing is, you say about Cadman, I don't feel like Harry Armstrong has the tank of a Cadman.
But I feel like he'd have to play that role. He works off the big guy. The big guy is the target.
Yeah.
He slots into the spaces.
I suppose theoretically that's what Jonty Fall
hopefully
would have been drafted for, because he's the one that likes body contact. Yeah. He's like the kind of
in an ideal world, that's what happens. So it'd be interesting to see, because you're starting to see key defenders. Teams don't play the giant key defenders anymore. Like, I think you watch GWS, and we did this stat the other night, that out of all the players who have had elite one-on-one contests, only Jack Buckley and Taylor are the two with at least one-on-one contests won. Lost, like they're elite.
Yeah.
They're elite.
They're elite, yeah.
And I feel like Buckley is that, you've seen it, that their backline, a giant takes one defender, Taylor's allowed to play off him.
Yep.
And it's something I say about when you watch Carlton. Carlton have tried to use Wheater in as the Buckley and play a lesser abilitied player. Where I was like, if I was Carlton's list manager,
you'd play Wheater.
Go and find me a 200 centimetre hummock of a man.
Yep.
Lives in full forward.
Just get a Frampton.
Yeah, like a Sam Frost. Like, it was what I mentioned it in one of my targets. I'd love Frost. You take the big bloke, Wheater in. You're my injection. You're the interceptor.
Yep. In some ways, that is how North Melbourne use Comben.
Yeah.
Because Comben's kind of the big dog. He doesn't. Only thing with Comben, he doesn't actually work that well one-on-one anyway. But he's the one that comes across.
But I think if you look to your backline particularly, I think if you had a Sam Frost, Comben's 10 times better. I feel like Comben could be the Himmelberg, which I think Himmelberg's the most underrated.
I'll tell you the difference between Comben and Himmelberg. Himmelberg can distribute the ball as well.
Oh, 100%.
So he can get off.
But I look at great interceptors that are dodgy kicks. I think most teams work out a way. Like, I look at, like I always say about St Kilda, Ross, the boss, is a genius. Because if you watch Liam Stocker, he's kicking his shit. But his defending is elite.
Yes.
And you can see Ross.
Can't. The problem is though, when you take that back a step to recruiting, you can't recruit too many shit kicks.
No. But what I mean is though, like, you can see that's great list management, great understanding of no one's going to beat you on the ground ball. So what I want you to do is win it, and then they tell Nas, mate, it's like, sure, you're free.
Yeah.
And he'll handball to you.
Yeah.
And you saw that goal that they kicked the other week. It was literally Stockers killed someone.
Yeah.
Got the handball, and Nas has gone. See ya.
That's all the predictability, right? Like, Nas has to be there.
So I feel like Comben, you just get some good half-back kicks. Like, your recruitment would be easy.
But the problem is, we've got Luke McDonald back there.
Yeah, but
we've got Aiden Core back there.
Like, you need like an Archie Roberts in the draft this year. Like, someone like that. You know, someone who is... We've got the defending guys. We just need someone who's going to be the sexy distributor.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's what they've bought Caleb Daniel in to kind of steer the ship at the moment. The guy for us that technically is that guy, his name's just for some reason escaping me. He played at the weekend. Hardiman, yeah.
Right.
He's the one they want.
You know, because I think Sheasel should still play halfback.
I don't.
I would at this stage still have him there and pinch hit on the ball like Lockie Whitfield in his glory years.
Brizzy have to kick 8 unanswered to win, by the way.
I don't think this is happening.
They're coming for it though. Hipwood.
You guys were just having great chat. I didn't want to interject there. Charlie Cameron free kick to Brisbane.
Morris.
It's Log Dog.
That was one of the most... You ignited something in me there. You ever seen Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah.
When he just gets broken up with and he's like... Anyway. That was one of the most impressive quarters I've seen from any side all year from Collingwood there. Yeah. It was only a 4-goal. Well, they kicked 4 goals, 5 that quarter. They really could have blown the game. Has he missed that? He's dead set missed that.
He's missed.
That is...
He has missed from 5 metres out.
That is... What a load of garden
Oh,
shed
my
that
God.
is.
Well, that kills any possibility of a comeback.
What are we checking?
Can I just say the goal umpire looks like every temporary teacher you've ever had. He looks like the kind, like when he comes and does double maths.
Why are we checking?
If you get him on the subject of football,
Yeah.
the maths is over. He generally looks like that kind of teacher.
What's 5 footballs plus 7 footballs?
Shout out Dr. Sharp if he's listening, but I remember having him for a term and he was a massive West Ham fan.
Yeah.
We learned early that we didn't have to do physics. He said, "Sir, did you watch West Ham at the weekend?" And he just literally cancelled the lesson. He was like, "How good's Di Canio, lads?" And he was like, "Brilliant."
I hate Millwall.
Yeah, he was amazing. Shout out him.
Not much of a doctor if he's fucking getting caught up chatting about.
Literally, just got him on the
West
I'll give you
Brom
one
away.
quarter, Druzy, that's been better than that Collingwood one.
Gone.
Hawthorn quarter 2 against the Giants.
GWS, yeah, fair.
That was pretty electric.
Dunno.
But that was right up there.
Carlton's third against the Eagles.
I didn't even watch that game.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lick of that game.
Yeah.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Look, we all drive slowly past a car wreck, don't we?
There's death taxes and Carlton sweating on an easy kill when they're 0-4.
Can I just say I was not sweating at all. I was relaxed, bro. I had my feet up by 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, it is nice playing West Coast.
Jasper.
See, Oscar Allen got dropped this week. Oh, is Darcy
Oscar
Moore
Allen
knocked
got
out?
dropped.
Yeah, you should do. Absolutely. His effort last week was deplorable.
Darcy Moore
that's-
could have just got knocked out, by the way.
You know what? I want to see a bit of Sammy Marshall because Sammy Marshall was one of my boys in the draft.
Darcy Moore's going to go off with
I can't
concussion.
wait to see Sammy Marshall.
I'm obsessed with consistent, sexy footballers like Murphy Reed, sexy footballer.
Oh, what
Consistent.
a sexy footballer. My mum actually thinks he's cute.
Sexy as in attractive or good on the ball?
No, just sexy when they play football. Like
Yeah,
just
okay.
everything he does is class.
Your man, Bo McCreary, kicks it to Goey. Is that going to be front on?
Oh, gee.
Darcy Moore is done. He just got flying knee in the head and he's now bleeding from the ear.
That's never good.
Check that.
That signs. I think it's an internal cut there.
Jesse said Oscar Allen wasn't dropped. He's managing an ongoing knee issue he's had for a year.
Do you work for the club, Jesse?
Yeah. Oh, true eagle.
Oh, Jesse, sorry, I forgot. He's just checking out property prices in Queensland this week, isn't it? Oh, my knee again. And right now, McQuarter's is like, is that a Collingwood chant in the background? No, I've just got the TV on.
Flights to Melbourne. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about Australian recently. But when he played against Freo in the Derby, he did not make an impact at all. They sent him down back and, he's had a stinker of a year. So it wouldn't surprise me if he is managing injury.
Honestly, Oscar Allen was a disgrace.
What, the whole
Personally,
situation?
if I was McQuarter, I would have stripped him off his captaincy with his
Do you
performance
think
against us.
Do you think it's a disgrace for having the conversation or the way that
I think everyone speaks. Like, I think you're stupid if you think players are loyal. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You're a business. Do you know what I mean? So, like, at worst case scenario, you get offered 500k. You can go back to your club and say, "Give me 550. I want to stay, but I want some remuneration."
So why do you think he should have had the captaincy? Just add it symbolically.
No, I felt the way he performed. I thought he was one of the worst on ground against Carlton.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
his head dropped after the first quarter. Like,
Yeah, he's been all at sea.
He wasn't chasing. He wasn't leading. I felt like Jacob Wheating could have actually had a sleep and still won that.
So you would have stripped him of the captaincy just out of that, just off the
I
performance.
genuinely, what I'm looking at with the Eagles is it genuinely worries me, and it was what my video was about last week. It worries me that the players like Duggan, co-captain, jogging and watching Sam Walsh burst out the stoppage, these guys need to lead. And I'm looking at them, and I actually started to feel sorry for Harley Reid.
Oh,
because
100%.
I can see he wants it.
100%.
But when I'm watching Duggan just put an arm out as Sam Walsh walks past him, and I'm like, you're a co-captain, you should be setting the standard.
Yeah, there's guys on their list. I did a video on them about what they can do in the draft during the week, and like they're experienced players, they're senior players like Duggan. Again, I'm having trouble. Hunt. like Hunt, those types of players. Like they're
Kelly.
they're VFL players.
Jaden Hunt is fascinating because all he's done in the preseason is try and look like Matt Priddis.
Hunt.
Crimping his hair.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I
He's
mean?
got the old school West Coast curls.
Honestly, I thought it was Matt Priddis out there for against Carlton.
He's like, don't get me wrong. I think like overall, him as a pickup for West Coast, like he's done pretty well. But I just feel like that's there. Like you look at Collingwood's experienced players, it's players like Sidebottom and Pendlebury, and they're still contributing. Different set of circumstances, I know, but it's like, I don't know, West Coast don't even have those 200 game sort of players that you can just bank.
I feel like their draft last year was a miracle. It was good.
Yeah.
But I reckon in those drafts where you get a bunch of players that everyone's overlooked for whatever reason and they've slid, we always call that they won the draft. But do you actually win the draft?
No, but I think it was still a good draft, even if, because where they've taken them is a miracle anyway, even if they are good or bad. I think the success rate is going to be the same.
I reckon that the pick that was a bit confusing for me was you've drafted Jinby, Hewitt. I feel like they drafted another Campbell Chesser, and then they go, rather than taking like what I think they need is more of that kind of general midfielder, the loose ball midfielder, like a Jagger Smith. They obviously trade pick 3. Then they get into the teens. There's still midfielders on the table, and they take Bo Allen, who's local.
Utility, just like
He's the same player as Jinby. He's the same player as Hewitt. Like he's that type of pick again. So
I don't know why Hewitt hasn't had a good run at it. Like,
yeah, it's tough, isn't
Keeps
it?
getting injured though. But
He does.
That pre-season game, it made my willy wag a little bit. I was huge on Elijah.
Yeah, I did a post. I was like, break out.
I was huge on Elijah in his draft. I was like, there was something about him. He just can't get fit. But I look at that pick 3, and I'll say this at the time. Nick Austin should be investigated because I don't know how he managed to get pick 3 for next to nothing off Eagles.
that is.
Well, it's funny now though
decision.
because you like obviously Hawthorn have your pick now.
Yeah, but it just makes no sense why we did that. Why they did that trade. Like I still can't understand.
It doesn't make sense from West Coast. No.
If I was the Eagles, I would have either been taking best available talent or trading that out for big assets next year, knowing that there was like I feel like they could have got 10 times that.
If there's one team that needs to rebuild at the top end of the draft, it's West Coast, right?
Yeah.
You've got a generational talent in Harley Reid already sitting on your list. Those players are hard to come by. So all you needed to, you didn't even have to have a good draft. You just needed to fill it up with pretty much like high grade midfielders at the top end of a draft. It's like Murphy Reid was there. Imagine Murphy Reid right now at West Coast. Jesse just said he's been lowballed by West Coast. I assume he's talking about Allen.
Yeah, so he goes on to say how Ryan Daniels said that Barras and Allen are the only 2 players with real trade value at West Coast.
I think it makes total sense. I don't have a huge problem, to be honest, with what Allen did.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't. If it was public, because there's conflicting reports, and like I said it in my video, if it was public, he's either an idiot or he's disrespectful. I was like, everyone who defended him admitted they buy a hotel room. It's like a seedy little thing in a motel.
Johnny Sins comes out the bathroom.
You know what I mean? It's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, hotel room for an hour.
Is it though? Like,
My
is it
husband's
fair
on
to just to
holiday.
say, like, I know West Coast fans will take that as disrespect towards the club, but if he has been lowballed for the service that he's given to the club, he's been one of their better players over the last
He's
few
only been
years.
there like 4 years.
Yeah, he hasn't done. He's had like
He's
a couple
25.
good
Yeah,
years.
do you know what I
He's
mean?
been there.
It's
It's
like
been
what?
7 years.
Like what? How long has he been in the first team? 4, 5, 6 years?
Yeah, I feel like he would have got drafted. I feel like he would have came in like 2019, 2020.
But like, how much do you have to earn your stripes? Like, what do you have to put 10
Well,
years
Mark.
in? Like
He hasn't really. I don't.
But why has he been lowballed? I suppose. Like, who are they spending the money on? They've got no good players.
I'd say that they've got a bit of counting about them. They've overpaid to try and keep talent. I reckon you'll be surprised if we actually saw what they're on.
See, if I was Allen though in that situation, that's not my problem. That's their problem.
Yeah, but
like I don't think. Yeah,
But Oscar Allen, I mean, I know this sounds horrible, but I don't think he's that good.
He put a couple.
That's
good seasons
fair.
together.
Like,
I think if I was offering him a deal right now based on what he is, I'd say 600 max.
I think that's another conversation though, right? Are West Coast lowballing him because they actually think, well, we're going to get the compensation. We're probably going to finish bottom or second bottom. We're going to get pick 3.
I would reckon pick 3 would be better comp than what you would actually trade him for.
I'd agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I'd say
I'd
on an
agree.
open market,
Yep.
if they finish, say, 18th,
Yeah.
which I think they will, I think they'll finish bottom.
Yeah. And in that sense, I would say it's ruthless but smart.
So I'd
by the
say
club.
it's like...
But Oscar Allen shouldn't be getting any shit for that.
No, but I gave Oscar Allen shit because it was a public meeting.
Okay.
I know there's conflicting reports that it wasn't public, it was behind closed doors.
Oh my God. Sorry, I just
That's
saw
insane.
that.
Why not? That if it was public, that is too far.
Jesse chiming in with, I feel bad for Allen, doesn't feel wanted by West Coast and then gets crucified for the meeting. I agree with you on the point, on the respect that it makes me uncomfortable, but we have also been criticised for showing too much loyalty for contracts.
Yeah. So that's like, I think that's the second point. It's like, it's ruthless, but fair.
Yeah, you got to make big calls.
But yeah, at the same time, I reckon Oscar Allen got fairly hung out to dry for that meeting,
Yeah.
which is probably tough on him.
Do you reckon it's even worse that he came out and was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to play here still?
I thought that was the most pathetic thing in the world.
Just
Just,
so
I
pathetic.
didn't see it.
just own it.
Yeah, 100%. Be like, yeah, I'm a...
You see, my issue is we know they meet them, but like the original report, and I don't know how true it was, but the one that the media based it on was an open side cafe in Perth.
Yeah, and there's about 5 of them.
Do you know what I mean? Idiot. Like, to me, that is incredible. Like when Luke Hodge defended him, right, what annoyed me about Hodge defending him is he then went on to say that when he had the meeting, it was in a hotel room in the CBD in the Melbourne. No one knew about it.
Yeah.
That's respect.
Well, Rory Sloan, he was talking about one too where they had like burner phones or
Yeah.
something, didn't they? Oh, not burner phones, burner accounts.
Like, that's fine when that happens, but to me, CBD...
Marshall's on the ball. Pommy.
That's taking the P155.
Yeah. Well, but who makes that decision? Is that just naivety by Oscar Allen, or is it a little bit on Hawthorn as well?
Well, Hawthorn would want it public because then it creates the dissension between the fans, gives him even less reason to stay because he's on social media seeing everyone calling him a prick.
Surely there's somebody in that loop though that says to Oscar Allen, don't do that at that place, like agent.
Well, he's the captain, isn't he? You should know.
Well, yeah. But
Yeah, my biggest gripe with it was that he just didn't own it. And when he was getting interviewed, he was like, yeah, I'll be at West Coast. I see my future at West Coast. It's like, well, maybe he does, but like he like came out, like obviously he's like been copping so much shit from the West Coast media. And yeah, like he said he's like turned off his phone and all this stuff. So he would have been getting all sorts of messages coming through, but like, man.
It's
so
one of them things that annoy me.
the decision to actually have the meeting in a public setting, is that not obvious that it was, like Jesse said, him getting pushed out and him actually saying, like a little bit saying, fuck you?
You see, I said it was a message. My read on that was a message.
Yeah,
to
so he's
either-
actually communicating that.
It's either Oscar saying, I will leave, pay up, F off, as Bobby Hill just gives the screamer.
I missed that.
Or it's a message of just idiocy from him. Like, I took it as incredibly disrespectful to do it publicly.
Sorry, my dad's just got in the chat and said Oscar Allen is a spud.
I
did
agree
say
with
that.
Gary.
That's my
I agree
dad.
with you, mate. I couldn't agree. I genuinely think, honestly, from an Eagles point of view, if I get picked 2 for him,
Oh,
I'm crying.
Would you prefer Logan Morris or Oscar Allen?
Logan Morris.
Oh, mate.
Absolutely.
I prefer Levi Casbolt to Oscar Allen.
I'm probably not there.
Sam Day or Oscar Allen?
Oscar Allen.
Sam Day every day of the week.
Says it in his name. Great.
Like,
goal from
I'd
Bobby.
rather Oscar Allen than Dan McStay.
Oscar Allen reminds me totally.
Matt Taberner.
No,
He's
it
better
reminds
than Matt Taberner. Druzy, your Freo
No,
shouts.
because Matt Taberner's. Do you remember that one year he had where he had like 45, didn't he? He
Yeah,
actually came out
all
well.
from free kicks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But Oscar Allen's never done that.
I think Oscar Allen did have a year where he went toe to toe with Larky for the Coleman, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then got injured.
Yeah.
I no, but you see, I used to counter that. He was the only target inside 50.
Yeah.
Like, you keep kicking it to me, I'll end up having 50 goals and all.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point.
But I will say this: he reminds me a lot of Josh Shackey in his draft year.
Okay.
Because I remember that was the first draft I ever covered, and everyone was saying Shackey over Wheatering, and then the other half were Wheatering over Shackey. And my issue with Josh Shackey was that guy was 210 centimetres and 100 kgs at 15.
Yeah.
And he's bullying.
So when he was against a 17-year-old, yeah, he looked like Lockett. And I was like, what will happen though when he plays real men he will give him it back.
When the strength becomes neutralised.
And I watch Oscar Allen, and I feel like now he's bodied up and he's bigger than he was. I question, does he engage enough? I feel like Buckley, that type, eats him.
Jesse chimes in with Allen's at his best when he's leading at the footy. He can't wrestle and mark like Waterman can. He's definitely out of form, but our entries are rare and quite poor.
Yeah, spot on.
I totally agree he's been poor, but if his convo was at the end of 2023, clubs would offer a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to get a top 5 pick, aren't you?
Who's going to...
That's the thing. Because the AFL will give them top compensation because of how poor they've been. It's the Ben, like it is the Ben Mackay thing all over again.
And I think if you play for Brisbane as a key forward, Danaher didn't come with Nkui of a defender. So it works for Allen. Allen's going to play very cosy football, just need to lead up to goals from goal square to centre half forward. Goal.
There's like
It's a match made in heaven.
Isn't there like a rumour of like a degenerative sort of knee problem for Allen?
Wouldn't surprise me. That's why he's out this week, apparently.
My issue with Oscar Allen, and it's why I like Larkey, and I've seen it from Larkey recently, it's my issue with Harry Mackay, is the top key forwards, we've talked about them tonight, Sam Darcy, Dan McStay is not a top key forward, but a very good one.
Well,
Josh Tracy.
Yeah.
Mate, Josh, the Trace dog
really
as well.
good.
Don't forget Dick Tracy. And what they do is, have you noticed when they're one-on-one and it happens to be a small defender, they flatten him.
Yeah.
It's legal to kill him
Yeah.
at that point. It's like Welsh people crossing the bridge on a Sunday. You're allowed to shoot them. Right? And it worries me when I don't see that killer instinct from a key forward.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I see Harry do it a lot. He's like kind of like, oh, no, I better not hurt you. And I'm like, mate, just go into him and kill
Just
him.
crush him. Yeah.
Because he's going to think twice about being under the high ball.
Yeah.
Oscar, for me, feels like he's the kind of person that would feel guilty for nicking a Mars bar. Like, he's probably gone...
I'd feel guilty for nicking a Mars bar.
Nah, but we all nicked when we were like, 11, 12?
Nah.
We're not going to go back to the confectionery shop now and go, oh, Mr. Patel, I used to come in here all the time.
Mr. Patel.
And I stole your Mars bars. It was me. Sorry, mate.
This Brisbane comeback's not happening, is it?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
I
what
was
you
never
mean.
a thief. Never a thief.
Oh, mate.
But you're saying that Oscar Allen, the character, he doesn't have enough dog in him.
I just don't see it as a lead key forward. I wouldn't want that type.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, and I think you need, at least in the mix of your forwards, you want that beast.
Yeah.
That real physical. I think that's why teams went after Jonty Fall in the draft last year. I think it was the fact that he likes body contact.
Yeah, he's got a bit of tit in him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does, and like it's
You know
not
what?
Tit.
But it's he wasn't the cleanest marking forward of all of them, but he sort of loved to wrestle, brings the ball to ground.
No,
Just-
I'm with you.
Just a system kind of guy.
I'm with you. I think that's a very important... I don't see the hunger in him.
Yeah, it's funny because like you look at a forward like Jesse Hogan, he's that guy. Like he wants to monster you,
I think every club has one.
except for North.
No, I think Larkey does it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Jeez, I actually criticised him a little bit for that too. Like that having that physical edge.
My issue with Larkey is he's hot and cold. It's like when he's engaged, he's brilliant, but sometimes he feels like he's checked out.
I feel like Nick Larkey in games, like he hits the scoreboard, like he'll get his 3 goals
He's a
per
red
game.
sign player.
Yes, he gets his 3 goals and he makes sure he gets his 3 goals and he's always at the top of the Coleman. But I'm like, are you actually impacting when North Melbourne needs you to impact?
I feel like that's something that I hope Jack Darling teaches him, and I feel like that's what Jack Darling was very good at, moments.
Everything Essendon's just chimed in here. Can't wait to get absolutely pumped by this team next
Was
week.
Mr. Patel a peep show reference from you before?
No, it wasn't. It was genuinely the guy you owned.
That's when they go
called
back
a
to
shot.
Darty, yeah.
Was Mr. Patel.
Yeah, I can't. My memory.
But it would have been
with-
great if I'd done that.
Have you seen Peep Show?
I have seen Beep Show, yes.
You know when they go back to university or like Mark's university, he goes back to hook up with that girl. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
And then they like Jeremy steals something
Yeah.
from the shop and they get locked up. Yeah,
Genuinely, yeah. I was just thinking.
so good.
I was just thinking. I only thought of it because I watched a thing on The Rock the other day, and The Rock went back to the confectionery shop where he used to steal stuff to eat, And I'm like, what a bell end.
Of course he did. That's the most rock thing I've ever heard. Eh?
Yeah. He went back and
I
he
need to
bought
right
like
my
all the
wrongs.
Mars bars that he'd stolen all the time, and he apologised. And
Grow
I'm
up.
I'm like, bro, like honestly, I'll still go to Mr. Patel's now because it's owned by the Sun now, and I still contemplate pocketing him. For all time's sake.
Oh no.
I feel zero guilt.
Can I just to back cycle onto West Coast?
Do it again.
Can I just read some names and tell me if you think they're an elite player now
At the level.
at the level?
It would be
At
easier if
the
you just said,
level.
are they real footballers?
Matt Flynn.
Not at the level.
I'm not at the level.
Great backup.
Okay, back
No,
up.
but
for
to me, that would be like a proper. But I think AFL average at worst.
Yep. Tim Kelly.
At the level, but he must be the most frustrating player for West Coast fans.
You
Tim
know
Kelly.
that the comment you made off the top about in a losing team, you don't want that
Yeah.
guy. Tim Kelly's that, right?
He is.
100%.
That is a
I was
great.
going to say,
yeah.
fraud watch with Kelly.
Yeah, well,
we
I
haven't
think the fraud watch is sort of
Yeah.
No, but what I mean is that I remember at the time going, huge risk. It wouldn't be so. It was because we were trying to do the same. Count them. Be great.
you guys would love Kelly.
No, but that's what I
Keep
mean.
it
Like, you
right
look
in.
at it, the second, third best midfield in a team that's a lot better than you.
Yeah.
And having this naive attitude to think, oh, if we made him number one, though, he's the man.
Yeah, he's playing such
And
good
every
footy.
time we've done it, like Adam Cherra, no offence to him, very solid footballer, but he is literally the third, fourth best midfield of any team.
Yeah.
And we bought him thinking, nah, he's better than Sarong.
Well, yeah. At the time, he probably was having. He was a year older than Sarong, so he sort of brought a bit more to our midfield at the time.
Chera's the nicest midfielder. Like it's
Yeah.
just like you're a nice guy.
But I always look at Sarong. I remember when we did it, and I remember saying, if Carlton pay pick six, I'll stop supporting Carlton. I was like, no one's that stupid. He's desperate to come lowball them.
Yeah. Well, that's the Baker West Coast one too.
And the argument was this, but he's better than Sarong. And I'm like, is he? Like, Sarong's already getting on mid-minutes and he's a year younger. Like, you don't just let a player walk if he's brilliant. So I'm not a big fan of it. Like, I think you get... For me, if I was West Coast, you're looking for your George Hewitts. You're not looking for superstars. You want your George
100%.
Hewitts.
Harley Reid, up to the level.
Yeah, he's
We'll give
around
him-
about
we'll
it.
Give him
He's all right.
Ruben Ginbey.
Yeah,
I like him.
yeah.
I like him as a half back, but I think when you, this is what I said in my video as well. I think when you recruited him as a midfielder, really, like I know he was like a modular sort of half back to midfielder.
Modular.
He's not that. He's not that, is he?
I
Like
do enjoy the banter though of him playing in key position. That also makes it
yeah.
laugh.
I think he's a good, solid player, but I don't think he has either the in tight sort of skills that a midfielder needs. Like his hands are a little bit messy to actually release the handballs that you need inside the midfield. He looks a bit cumbersome at stoppage. Like I just don't really think he works there. So halfback is kind of his go. Harry Edwards.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid, hasn't he?
I do like.
I thought he was going to be a lot better.
I do like a bit of Harry Edwards though.
He's been dropped already this year.
Yeah,
I've-
but they've done some weird drop-ins.
They have.
I haven't watched enough I never really watched West Coast, to be honest. I just sort of checked the scores.
tried
I
to
would
like him
love,
last
I would
year, I
love
think.
Jesse's opinion on Harry Edwards because I thought he was going to be a lot better than this. Jesse's actually just said Flynn not at the level. Kelly is, but for him, I think it's mental. That's kind of what
we're
we said.
talking about those players that are good in good clubs.
You
and
see, that's another deal with the Kelly one. Is Geelong gave him another year, said stay with one more year, and then we'll let you move.
Yeah.
But it was quite open that Kelly's sons, from memory, they've got a disability and only the Perth hospital looks after them.
Right.
And I always said at the time, if I'm Eagles, play on this. Don't. I felt like they overpaid for what Kelly was anyway, and I
Yeah.
felt like they held the strings. I'm a firm believer that when a player says, "I want to come to you and I've got
You've
a reason,"
got the...
just take the mick.
Yeah.
Because it's the AFL. The AFL are going to step in and be like, "Nah, you've got to accept the pick 42."
Yeah, 100%. That's the way it
Well,
goes.
yeah, you were saying it before, the Liam Baker trade. That he was obviously going to come back for years as well.
Yeah. And Liam Baker, a very good player, but you don't give pick... I know, and like West Coast fans will come back and say it wasn't pick 3. I know there was like a shuffling of picks. So it was essentially pick 3 going back to pick 14. And then obviously like the future pick came into that as well.
It was a terrible deal, no matter what they said.
You can't, like, the pick 3 should have never been on the table. That should have been the non-negotiable. So that's kind of all I'm saying. And then you obviously get Jack Graham in there as well. But Jack Graham, like, he's...
God.
I'd love Jesse's opinion on this. Does that not say the state of your club that in the last 3 games I've watched of the Eagles, because I put myself through it, the only player that looks like he was born at an Eagle is
Liam
Jack
Baker.
Graham.
Oh.
No, it's Jack Graham. He looks like he's genuinely cares. Like
Liam Baker does. Liam
Yeah.
Baker
I
does,
think Baker does, but watching
Baker's
Jack
been
Graham,
probably their best player.
but
this
Jack
season.
Graham is hauling ass, and that worries me.
Yeah.
I said it in the stream. I'd make him captain.
Jack Graham.
I would have made Jack Graham captain, and
Jack
based on the performance
Graham.
over the last 2 and what he did for Richmond.
It's not the waffle, Pommy.
No, I mean serious.
This is AFL.
Because at that level, you want someone to set the standard. Jack Graham runs hard, tackles hard.
He does. He runs. He's a
He was
two-way
the
runner.
He was the only one who looked like any resistance against the Blues.
Do you think players like young, talented players such as Harley Reid would sort of look at that and it's not like enough of a presence?
Should be. He's won a fucking flag. Like, what's Harley Reid
Yeah,
done?
it's
What? Done an underwear model once. Bobby.
Bang, man! What a game he's had today. His
Incredible.
chase down tackle. I know they'll probably
That was
gonna,
good.
like flood it eventually, but like that was like a turning point in the game. I felt. Jesse's chimed in with some Eagles chat. I don't know how much longer we want to spend on the Eagles, but Jinby too reactive to be a mid. Harry Edwards at the level, merely AFL capable. He reads the play well and he's a very capable interceptor. He's a bit error prone and he seems to be off pace, limited but decent. Hoff and Jimmy try their guts out. Yeah, I like Hoff. I like Hoff. I like
good.
Hewitt. I like Edwards. Not that I've really seen him all that much, but from what I hear,
The big problem for West Coast on the park right now, though, is the players that we talk about there, like Hoff. It's like they're not. There's some nice ones too. Like there's Marich, who's playing a little bit of halfback as well. There's
I like Ryan Marich, actually.
yeah, right. Marich is good ball use, and who's the one they picked up in the mid-season
Jack
last?
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson. Like he's all right. They're not going to like turn the tide for you right now. I think that's the problem. They're not the sort of players that can do that. They're sort of on the periphery, I suppose.
It's some of the decisions they make, though. Like Harley Reid, why are you playing him at halfback?
I don't know why they're doing that. Like put him around the ball.
Like, it's almost Banterville. Like, and then I look at some of
Banterville.
some of the players I got, like Bailey Williams. Like, I'm pretty sure he is the security guard at every working man's club.
Who's this?
Bailey Williams.
Bailey J. Williams. I mean, the fact that he calls himself Jay and he mentions his initial says everything you need to know.
I mentioned like
The
I
J's for
mentioned
Johnny.
Like, who cares about your middle name, mate? Struggling to work out who you are.
I mentioned that West Coast should have been going for Cooper Duff Tytler, who's like the sort of generational athlete in the draft this year. And West Coast fans are like, we've got Bailey Williams though. We've got Bailey. Like,
That's like the Sacramento Kings being like, we don't need Luka Doncic. We've got Buddy Hield.
To
Yeah.
be fair, though, I know what it's like when when we were like bottom 4 of the ladder. Like, we used to overrate our players just for cope.
yeah, for sure.
Cope fans are like, oh, there's this really good key forward in the draft. Sorry, we've got Levi, mate.
Can we just talk about how good Collingwood have been here? I feel like we went on to the West Coast,
We just spoke about West
Honestly,
Coast for 40
telling you,
minutes.
the Pies, the real deal.
the real deal.
This cements it.
What can they do in 2025? What's the ceiling?
Win the flag.
The ceiling is the flag.
Win the flag.
After
Okay.
this.
Lowest, 4th. Lowest will be top 4. Best case is win a flag.
What's their kryptonite? Like, how can you get at Collingwood, do you think?
I think GWS saw it. Get the lead, be able to control the game. Because if you give them a sniff, like we said at the start of the show, once they smell blood, it's game over.
So you think it's partially like scoreboard?
I think the scoreboard pressure,
Predicated
you've got to
on-
make them not be able to play it on their terms.
Yeah.
The problem is Collingwood are the best side in the league by Flemington straight at the minute about making you play their speed. And they have made Brisbane play at their pace.
They've
Yeah.
actually made Brisbane look like a non-competitive team. Like,
Yeah,
they've taken the game completely
another
out of their
level.
hands. And they've probably had equal, if not less, of the ball. I don't know if there's
Yeah, I think Brisbane's possession's higher.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Dacos has absolutely shredded them. He's had 38.
Oh, they
He's had
glaze him too much.
21 kicks, and he's kicked a goal. Like, you
Pies are
want...
just too good.
You wonder how that happens. He's had 12 score involvements. The next best player is 7. He's had 4 centre clearances and 645 metres gained. 8 clearances for the match. Like,
you see it with Hawthorn as well. They're slowly building this Collingwood thing. I've been able to make you play their pace.
yeah.
They're just probably about a year away from having the intelligence in the list.
I feel like they're a little bit of personnel away slightly. I feel like they're
Hawthorn?
one piece in the forward line, and they need someone that can slot in and give Will Day a job.
The Will Day one's absolutely enormous because
Yeah.
it's such a quality gulf in the midfield. I feel like you could make the argument about personnel on some level for most teams, even Collingwood. I think like if you wanted to, you could make an argument about their 3 tall forwards. Is there really enough quality in Membry, Mychek and McStay?
Yes, 100% there is.
Potentially. Like
Definitely there is.
Well, they would have flagged with just Mychek.
Yeah, I know. Like
So now you've improved that.
I think their forward line's good enough to win a flag. I think their midfield, once they get Houston back in, is strong.
Do you think you'll play mid?
Well, no, it just allows
Just what it does.
Yeah,
knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think Perryman's going to be really crucial. As I suppose he looks sort of like a depth player. He's kind of playing as a small defender. Do you I'm going off track a little bit here. Do you think that's an area that teams are also with recruiting, Pommy? They're going to hit a little bit harder. You've got this influx of small forwards. Teams are cranking in small forwards. They're going smaller. Do you think there's going to be a need to draft some of those like medium to small defenders that can actually play on these guys?
I think you saw it last year. We followed the draft together on that, and how many mids were there in that?
Yeah.
And how many halfbacks did we froth? That suddenly started to get a bit of hype already now, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you look at the year before as well. I think halfbacks are always going to be the unsexy ones. And that's why if I look at some of the teams, particularly like, say, your Carlton, your Melbourne, your Adelaides, our first round picks in the future needed. I think someone needs to be intelligent now and go, maybe load up on seconds. Let them have the first. Let's try and get these little crafty halfbacks, these crafty small forwards, because I feel like that's where the league's going. But the draft is always a little bit behind what the niche is. Like, how many years did we have of Dustin Martin clones?
Yeah, straight after it.
And people had already got over that in the league.
Yeah.
And then it was the big-bodied fug mids. Everyone got over that, but there was still talked about. And like now it's getting to that stage where I think the halfbacks will probably come in 2 or 3 years. But I think we're still stuck on that dynamic mid. Like, how many times do you hear that word? He's a dynamic mid.
Yeah.
All-round mid.
I think that's probably like holistically in the entire competition, like the athleticism's gone up. And when I think dynamic, I just think that extra bit of, like, I don't know, the players you think of, right? You think of Will Day, you think of Finn Callaghan, they're 190 centimetres and they can run like anything. And that's probably...
Damager on the scoreboard as well.
Like Hayden Young's like your guy in that sort of mould. And
is the sexy new term not the high half forward like that?
For sure, that is too. I think like shrinking the forward line, like more. There's less key position players. There's more hybrids. There's more small forwards. And I think ultimately the players with that can defend, have closing speed to defend those guys, I think is going to be the player that is targeted heavily. I think like someone like Harry Oliver went to GWS pretty high in the draft last year, like that sort of player.
Yeah. For me, like I had him really high up on my draft board. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
I rated him.
And they're what literally are unsexy to draft.
Yeah.
But what does every club complain about when they lose? Kicking efficiency is rubbish.
Yeah.
Wish we could hit a target. And it's like, well, buy one.
Exactly.
Like, there is a load of them. The problem is they're not sexy to watch.
Exactly.
Like they get 19 touches, go at 90%, but you're watching the midfield they've kicked it to, and you're like, oh, he's really good.
Yeah.
But
again, it's like that conversation off the top right, though, where it's like the numbers thing when we talked about Bailey and Rayner.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not getting 30,
and that's what I do a lot in my draft content. I'm looking. I've always said I prioritize just
damage.
sexy, repeatable actions.
Yeah, it's about damage, and I think it's like the thing that from an AFL player to a VFL player, a lower level player, it's the athleticism.
Yeah,
that's what the major difference is. Like people talked about like Dom Brew from Werribee. I don't think he was ever going to play. Like I don't think he was ever going to get drafted. He's a small.
You see, they're the interesting ones though, because I look at some teams and I think you probably need someone like that. Because I feel like speed is overrated as a thing.
See, I don't. I think speed's the most important part because it helps you on offense and defense. Because if you don't have speed, you can't like overwhelm in like the press. You can't get at the opposition without
but I
closing
think when
speed.
you look at the midfield, everyone needs a Dom Brew. Like every team has a Dom Brew that can get 40 touches, be strong defensively, and distribute it short.
But if Dom Brew is in a midfield in the AFL, and he's like in a midfield with players like Toby Bedford, Finn Callahan, like Tom Green, he's just going to look like a child. They're just going to run away from him.
100%. But I think that there is some teams that play that kind of systematic approach of win ball. Like you watch Collingwood with Tom Mitchell when he's playing.
Well, Tom Mitchell's an older school player.
He wins ball, gives it off, and then everyone else goes and has a bit of fun.
I think they're a dying breed, though.
No, I do, but I think like Dom Brew for me, I would have taken a punt. It's a year deal, isn't it? It's a year deal.
Yeah.
So like to me, if I like, you know what? It sounds stupid. If I was the list manager account and we'd settled on Jagger, I would have been like, let's rookie Dom Brew.
Yeah,
Reason
okay.
being,
Just to get someone in
you
there.
are better than Dom Brew. You have got speed. You have got all the gift, but you're both extractors. So he is going to give you the body, protect you, show you the ropes. He's going to do the job that you are going to take over in a year's time. But we're going to have to adapt our play. Because I know when people talk about Jagger, Cowan don't have a mid exactly like him. The way he plays is totally different to the others. It's very similar, though. It's in the same ballpark.
For me, like I agree with you. The way Jagger plays compared to the other Carlton mids, it looks different and it is different, but it spits out the same things on the stat sheet.
But to me, for it to work, Chera is going to have to be a lot more attacking. Walsh is going to have to play loose. So that would be my thought process. Jagger, you can't do this year one. We're not going to give you 30 CBAs. 30.
Yeah.
We're going to have to feed you. So Dom Brew comes in and he's going to do 20 of these little contests. You're going to have 5, but we're on then learning the system for when Jagger's fit.
I think that's the like what you're sort of explaining there too is like it's the endurance element of Australian football. It's not the NFL where it's like a dynamic play. That's one thing. You still do have to play out a 20-minute quarter, or 30. It ends up being 33-minute quarter by the time the break. So you've got to have guys.
I saw a Tassie one before.
Tassie's fine, isn't it?
Stop it.
It's not fine.
No.
If that's your mate, unfriend him.
Do yourself
Block him
a
on all
favour.
socials.
Just gone into the chat here. So Harry Oliver is going to be a Jet.
Yeah.
True Eagle. Jesse said, I'm having a moment forgetting where Harry Oliver ended up. He
I
went
know
to
who
the
Harry
Giants.
Oliver is. Yeah, all right, cool.
Distributor in the draft, gun player.
But on that recruitment, like you see some good, like Collingwood's recruitment. I remember I was one of the few YouTubers, humble brag, to call Collingwood winning the flag after they had a bad year.
What, this year?
No, the year before.
Oh, right.
You know when they actually won it the year before they finished bottom 4?
What, in 2022?
So
they
McRae, yeah. They were like one of my picks
Who went
to
bottom
watch.
4?
Collingwood, do you remember? They went bottom 4
Yes.
and then Sharp.
Yep.
And it was something that I took.
22.
I was huge on Graham Wright's killing the list.
Didn't they lose in a prelim to Sydney in 22?
Yeah, they did. Sorry, 21. It must have been 21.
Yeah, right.
So the 2020, they finished bottom 4.
McRae's first year.
You tipped them for the
16.
flag. In, right.
They were one of my ones to watch because of how you could see they built a system like what we're talking about with Dom Brew for the players that will be there. You could see McRae's system would work. It just needed personnel and a little bit of refinement. It's why we always get excited about Dimmer 2016. If people actually remember 2016, Richmond were 2017 Richmond without polish. But it was there. You saw it. And even in 2017, no one talks. You killed them. Do you remember Fremantle?
2016?
Yeah. No, it was 2017.
Drizzy
Yeah,
was
you
a
won the
bear
flag.
bear.
It was like, didn't you beat them like by 90 points at one point?
I can't even remember
just
that
before the
game.
bye. I remember St Kilda beat them as well.
I'll just jump into the chat again here because we've got a few more chats. But Birdman says, every team has a player that gets 40 touches. Come on, man. Is he talking to you or me there?
I don't know.
And Wino says, Wombats like Mitchell are not a dying breed. Mitchell's experience is savvy.
Yeah.
He teaches your mids how to win clearances. Yeah, but I mean, that's a coach.
No,
You've just
I
described
agree.
a coach.
No, I agree with Winnow, though, in the terms of that. I think he was a great acquisition when they got him because I feel like the players have to learn from him. I feel like the players have learned from him now. But I do think like I was saying, there's still a place for Mitchell. Mitchell can walk into that midfield. I think they'd be better than they are now from stoppage, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think, though, like people, again, with this conversation, because AFL teams, the lists are so big and the playing, like 18 on a field at any one time is so big, there are going to always be room for those guys. But they're not really moving the needle. Like they're just in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
like,
I think their clearance game, I would argue, is better because Mitchell's there training with these guys, so their defensive training.
So what he does to the other players as well,
and I think the natural progression. I think Jagger Smith is the natural progression of these players. They're quick, so they can extract the ball like Mitchell's can, like the McRae's can, but now they've
got quicker feet as well. I agree with that.
And it's like when you look like Cooter's one of the players. If you look at Cooter, his super skill in them era was his endurance. But you now compare that to every midfielder on the planet now, they're all Cooter, endurance-wise.
Yes,
all of them run 50
I think at that time, at
that time it was freakish, wasn't it? It was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I think the only thing you're leaving out there with Cooter is that for his, because like what was he, 190?
Yeah, he's huge.
Which was ridiculous in those days for a midfielder. But like you have to play midfield at that size, you need to be able to move in a freakish way. Like you need to be able to dance.
But like now, half the draft's 190 freakish.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying.
rare.
So like now, the Tom Mitchell, I think, is a dying breed. I think
that's what I mean, though.
I think you are right. I think in 10 years' time, we will never see a guy that can get the ball 40 times and be slow.
Clubs now look at the 178 stoppage midfielder, and they're like, is he going to actually be able to? Like, he's a good footballer, but is he actually going to be able to go with these bigger body players?
And it's fascinating because I remember people saying Cadman was too small to play forward in the AFL. And now look at every forward line has a Cadman-sized player that's highly mobile, and it's like the unvogue thing.
It's funny, yeah, it is actually, because they're getting Darcy's probably the outlier there, but they're actually getting smaller a little bit.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like you have the giant, but they play off him the dynamic, quick, versatile player. It's fascinating how the league goes because I remember everyone wanted a Brodie Grundy, and it's fascinating. You look at the draft; most of them are the old school, but they're quick. Yeah. That's the only thing that's different, but they're big physical specimens. They don't get the ball 30 times. They tap it 50 times. Yeah. And then they move defensively very well. And it's fascinating how everyone thought we were going to get midfield rucks, and suddenly we've gone back old school, win hit-outs, but they've got some kind of point of difference that isn't winning the ball 30 times. It's crazy. Every ruck coming through now is like a fit Darcy. Your Frio guy, it's just like a super fit Darcy.
Yeah, they've got... The ruck contests have gone more inside.
It's fascinating.
Like
we don't get the Brodie Grundys that we thought we did.
Yeah.
Who were going to be mids. They're all like old school ones, fit though.
But they're still athletic.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch. When I watch all the rucks, I'm like, one of these will get 30 touches. Oh no, they're not.
Yeah, 100%.
They're actually worse.
So back to this game, the Collingwood Brizzy game. What are we thinking for Brisbane? Is that just a bump in the road? You reckon they're cooked?
They've got to get those starts starting. They've forgot to put petrol in the mower, and it's slow to start. And in this game, the grass has grown overboard. It's a grass reference, but yeah. Well, it's been the theme of their season so far is that they haven't been able to. They've been chasing arse all year basically, and when you come up against a top quality side like the Pies, who are in good form, who have plenty of experience to win games and damage you on the scoreboard, that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, they've got to get to work. The Lions, they're far from the finished product this year.
They've got absolutely spanked in the hit-outs, like Cameron 30-17 on McInerney, Cox 8-1 on Day. So, just massive. Rayner kick 2, Hipwood kick 2, McInerney kick 2. That's pretty much the extent of their scoring. Whereas Collingwood, just everyone got involved. The mids got involved. Elliott, Hill, Mycheck.
The spread on Collingwood makes them so hard.
Yeah.
I don't think it's talked about enough. They can kill you 7 ways.
But that's the thing. It's if you go back to round 0 when they lost to the Giants, it was the spread that was missing. That was what everyone was talking about. Is this midfield, like, is it too old? Is it going to get found out against these athletic midfields?
I genuinely think that was the outlier there.
Just an outlier game,
like,
you reckon?
You watch them. I've never seen a team not chase. That's the McRae team.
Yeah,
I've never seen a team miss 15-metre handballs. Like, they were just... It felt like the season hadn't started, and it's fascinating Fly has been so adamant we're never doing it again.
It's true. And there was that, like, I mean, that the temperature was ridiculous too in that game, wasn't it?
I
Like,
love Australians. Oh, it's too hot. They're all Australian, aren't they? In the Australian Football League, like only a couple of Poms there, and
oh, do you just mean it? But I mean, like the temperature's
you on board in this weather. Oh, no.
it's hard, like it is hard to play footy.
I agree, but it's the same for both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But they're really
gotcha
old,
there.
Pommy. They're an old team.
It's fascinating. I love it when Australia's the only country in the world that will bring up temperature.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, they talk about it in soccer World Cups in the summer.
Yeah,
Like
because
playing in the Middle East. And
they're all Europeans going to like a 60-degree temperature where it's never
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, going to Qatar.
I'm
Yeah, do you know
from
what I mean?
Tasmania, like 35. I
you know what I
can't
mean?
I can't work out in that.
Like you get beaten up in England if you said, "Oh, it was snowing though. We played football."
Got a couple of questions here, boys.
Go on.
Wino says, why put your Ferrari into the contest when you have the Ute to get the
Yes.
ball out? Okay, that's what we were talking about with Dacos before.
Yes,
Yeah, good
spot
point.
on.
Look at Greg Williams. I think that's kind of for me, the Greg Williams doesn't play much anymore. Like that midfield is gone. Like that's the conversation.
Yeah, like you look at the Mitchell now. Like to use Tom Mitchell as an example.
He's a bit like Greg Williams.
Yeah. To look at Tom Mitchell as an example, the players are there now. Like I'd say the new Tom Mitchell is the Cam Mackenzie of what we'll see in Cam Mackenzie in 3-4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair point, which is the Jagger.
Which I reckon when we do this stream in 20 years' time, we'll be saying, who's the next Cam Mackenzie? That guy who gets 25, controls the cogs. And then we'll probably be joking now and he'll probably be an elite foot kick on both feet. We're like, oh my God, when we were watching this, it was just a guy who was quick.
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy how he adapts.
Birdman says, what is Jamara's value
I was thinking that the other
come
day.
season's end?
And where does he go?
Geelong.
I don't know what, like, in all honesty, I'm a little bit down on the news there. Like, I don't know. I know that Bevo came out and said it's like in the AFL's hands. Like, what's happened?
All goes back to that night at the Electric.
It does.
It actually
Most
does.
things do. Most things do.
Yeah, if you followed along at home on the live streams, I went to Electric on Chapel Street, last game of the season last year, and there's a multitude of stories that came out. There was basically about 8 Victorian clubs that were all there on the night. I'm not going to get into the details of what Jamara Ugle-Hagan was up to that night, but it was that period that the Dogs had an issue with, and the week after they got pumped in the final. Jamara's value, God, you've got a player there if you can get him on track, and Geelong seemed to be the best place to go focus on your footy.
He's got Jesse Hogan about him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Do
Do you think he's as good a player, though? Because I don't.
No, but I think...
You don't think Jamara Ugle-Hagan's as good as Hogan?
Nah.
I do.
I feel like he's got a bit of Jesse Hogan about him, that you get him away, get him in the right atmosphere, give him a little bit of TLC.
Yeah.
Because I think he's an incredibly talented footballer.
I think he's
a talented footballer, but I'm not sure.
But it depends what his off-field is.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like his commitment to contests, which is ultimately what a key forward is there for, is really lacking. And like whether that comes into the mental...
I disagree.
I think... Yeah, I just don't think...
I've seen him flight enough packs and like go back to the flight enough to think that he can reach that level of commitment.
You know what? If you were Brisbane, you would be thinking about... Is it him?
For Danaher, basically. Like
Would it be cheaper?
I got Sam Day. F1.
Mate,
You got Levi Casbolt, mate.
Jesus, you know what I mean? Ran out of space at home. Why would you want this Ferrari?
I don't know if Jamara would be a good fit for Brisbane.
No, I think their culture would stop it.
Yeah, his culture...
Give him a bit of love.
I
Give him
feel
a bit
like
of TLC.
at the moment, what I'm seeing from Jamara is he's just getting lost in the sauce of being an AFL star. Like what I can gather is that he's just hanging around with the wrong sort of crowd. Like when you've got the Bont in your corner and you lose him, like, come on, man. Like, yeah, pull your head in. But
I wonder what Adelaide would be like. No tax. Very similar trades.
I think
He
you
likes
got to
work
keep
up
him
the
in
ground.
Victoria, but it's got to be a good club.
No, but you see,
Why do you have to keep him in Victoria?
I think
Well,
it's
he's from
different.
Victoria, isn't he?
No, but I think it's different. Maybe it would help him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
grow up type.
Get
type
away
of
from
thing.
your mates. Get away from
Yeah.
distractions. Like I say it about Harry, when Harry having his open mental health issues. Is that an option for Harry? If you get out of Victoria, you ain't going to be constantly analysed.
I actually don't get this with like the Australian culture or at least the AFL culture, in that for some reason moving away from where you're from is like detrimental to your mental health.
Yeah, can be good, better.
It can be better. Like, it can be an opportunity. It can be like a learning situation. It doesn't have to be
Because
such
I've been to Queensland, it's crazy. They have no football there. To find the AFL, I remember going up there
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. It was so hard to find out. It was during the draft in 2015.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to get any information
Yeah.
without using the net.
For sure.
It wasn't just like, oh, knows
TV at the pub or whatever.
Yeah.
That's okay. It was all NRL.
We had a conversation last week, didn't we, about sports and how difficult it is to be an AFL player because of the bubble when you're in like a Melbourne or you're in a Perth or you're in Adelaide. But I reckon the flip side to that on a positive is you can go to Sydney and hardly be recognised.
Yeah.
You can go to Europe, nobody knows who you are.
It is crazy because, like, if you actually see footballers, and people do it, and it annoys me, but when an AFL footballer goes into a shop, they can't help themselves harass him. And it must be annoying, like, can I have a photo?
Yeah.
Where I
Just trying to nick a Mars bar,
shopping
mate.
centres, and I had a mate who was drafted by Gold Coast. It never happened. Like, no one knew who you were. There was a little bit of respect, but also a bit of anonymousness. Like, so you think if you're Harry, you're Jamara, you're going through this. Look at the Reddit forums of Jamara. Like, some of the stories about Jamara, like, look like the good fellas at times.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't happen if he was in Perth. If that wouldn't happen if he was in Queensland.
If he was in Perth, he'd be under a microscope for sure.
Okay, well, Queensland, like, especially.
Queensland, yeah, New South Wales and
Like, do you know what I mean?
Queensland,
Like, no one would care if he's gone out and had chocolate espresso at 3 in the morning.
Pizza Express.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? No one
chocolate
cares.
espresso.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? No one gives a shit. I do feel sorry for the footballers because, like, look at Harry. He's out a bit of form. Go and look at the forums after his game at Richmond. Like, from
Disgusting.
Carlton fans, especially.
Yeah.
Trade him. He's a hack.
Yeah.
He's rubbish.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too. Like if you were getting stopped in the street for photos, like that's one thing you can probably put up with. But I reckon it's the sort of like the constant drive-bys. People just
like-
trying to take the
like,
piss
look
out
at
of you.
Harry when people were saying he stopped playing because his missus dumped him. And then like 2 weeks later, he's there saying, I'd like to thank my missus for sticking by me through these mental health struggles. That's not normal. That, like, people have just put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
Like, and you and like and you go through Harry's Mrs.'s Insta. There's Carlton fans on it going, "How dare you dump Harry? You beat and things like that." And it's like, and I remember saying to someone, "Can you imagine if they have split up and like she's getting all these messages?" I was like, "Who do you think she's ringing, having a go at? She's not having a go at you. She's having a go at his ex."
If you're a fan though, like what are you doing?
Yeah, like
What are you doing?
Like genuinely, I'm with you, and I'm thinking. So if I was a young player, and I've maybe feeling a little bit, having a few issues, but that would be a big thing to deal with.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got to forget, like,
absolutely.
people compare it to soccer. We're brought up on it, so they know from the like academies take them from the age of 6. They're being reared from the age of 6 to social media training.
Yeah. That's it. That comes into the
footprint.
entire like the business of the two sports though, right?
Like
it's
AFL, they don't get social media training until they're 17.
yeah, I know.
So
They-
15, 14, they've been using socials, commenting stupid stuff that get found out when they're 18.
Yep.
Different environment. So you've got to treat them kind of like, it's almost like a country village sport. It's not a professional sport.
Yeah.
Mason Greenwood must have missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, but you see, we get the mistakes, but like you've got to see it. Like you look at that though, he got less abuse than Harry did.
Oh, I don't know about that. Relatively.
No, go back and look at United fans defending what you did.
Yeah.
Like Carlton fans was chastising Harry for having a week off. Like you go back to when that news broke and the articles about Mason Greenwood, Man United fans were defending him
Yeah.
with their life.
Yeah.
Like-
their whole life.
like it's total different culture.
Yeah. I just got the poll up for the votes. Brisbane had 52% of the vote. Collingwood 47% going to the game. I feel like that goes up though as the game.
Well, I picked Brisbane. Pommy,
I picked Brisbane.
You got your tip right.
You won the stream.
You did win the stream.
Hey, look at that. I had to back in a team I hate.
While we've got Pommy on the stream, I just want to ask one more question. Who has been your favourite draftee from the 2024 crop in this season? So we're talking Luke Traynor, Joe Berry, Moraes, Travalia, Lindsay Langford, Draper, Gross,
There's probably
Foss.
2 that ring out. 2, right? That I'm not going to give Sid Draper hype. Go and watch the
You
channel.
love him.
Go and watch the channel. It was a whole year of worshipping that kid. So someone else can get some love. Murphy Reid, your mob.
Yes.
I was huge on him. Love a Sandy boy. I love how he's taken to the game.
Juicy, you're a fan of Murphy Reid?
Yeah, I think he goes all right. Yeah.
And the other one is Luke Traynor because he was the one that I wanted at Carlton. He was the one that I really wanted at Carlton. I didn't want us to trade up. I was happy with where we were.
I wanted Freo to use that pick on trainer as well.
And loads of people were like in my comment section at the time who were Carlton fans going, "Oh, he had concussion." I'm like, this kid's world class. Like, F the concussions. I remember saying this kid can play.
Yeah.
And watching him do it for a team that is hemorrhaging inside 50s and seeing how beautifully and gracefully he's on the ball, I'm like, I really like Luke Trainer.
That's the thing. Like, if you can find a guy that's that defensively stable, can win one-on-ones, and then can actually attack for you as well at, like, what is he, 194?
Yeah.
His key position size, pretty much.
I feel sorry for Saints because Alex Tyree is fraud watch.
You reckon? Nah.
Yeah, he is.
Nah, he's not.
Mate, look, I'll say it now. What date are we on?
April 17th.
April 17th. Luke Trainer will play 100 more games than him.
Bang.
And have double the career.
I'm
massive
not necessarily saying Tyree is better than Luke Trainer, but
he's just big and he runs, and we're still primitive in the AFL draft. They're like, oh my God, someone over 200 centimetres can run. That's what happened.
yeah, I mean, he played Tyree played midfield as a key position size.
So did Brody Kemp.
I never saw Brady Kemp.
Like, no offense, but like,
yeah, I know, but
that's what happens when you're a weird size and you get like Tyree won't play midfield in the AFL.
He's not that big though, Tyree. He's like 193.
Do you know what I mean? It's just the fact that he's freakishly tall. He's going to be a defender for the rest of his life,
I think he'd be a defender.
and I just don't see it.
I don't want the Taru hatred to continue, but Christian Moraes, I'm a big fan of.
I am a big fan of Christian Moraes.
I wasn't a massive fan of him coming in. Just like, I'm not a draft guru by any means, but just from I'd seen him play 2 VFL games at Box Hill last year, 1 or 2, and he didn't get near it. So I just thought, he'll go to the AFL and won't be able to hack it. But like his running ability through the ground, IQ, disposal efficiency.
I think one
Loving
thing I've probably learnt across the I've had a pretty short journey into the draft space myself, but I'd say that gets overrated. Players either playing well or playing poorly at VFL level.
Yeah.
It's a bit more irrelevant than I probably thought it was at the start.
I always get excited because I've done a lot of interviews with VFL guys who play AFL, and one of the big common traits is that AFL guys say VFL is harder than AFL because it's so hard to adapt. It's slower, you've got more time.
And the ball coming to you is...
And they always say the quality is half.
Yeah.
So they're not used to it.
Yeah.
So, like, that always fills me with a bit of hope when I see a draftee bomb. Because I'm like, okay, he's just too good for it. Like, his level is so much, it's kind of too slow for him.
Yeah.
And you
That's
see that
crazy.
with great players. When the game slows down in AFL, they look average. What do bad teams do? They slow you down. They try and slow you down because suddenly it makes your skills a little bit harder.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm with you. Sometimes that's like a deceptive.
For
I'm
sure.
more worried when a VFL kid comes
And I
in.
think with Moraes, when he played, like he was in the academy games, which was against the VFL, it was a physicality thing.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily something that you can't get around. And now he's slotted into Port Adelaide's team, and he looks better at AFL level than what he looked. I know he's at a pre-season now, so he's obviously got to like train. And
It's been seamless. Is he just playing outside? Just on the wing?
just on the wing. He's running the wing. And like, he's perfect for that role. He's good overhead.
Yeah.
He can
One
run
of the
all
big
day.
knocks, though, isn't it? It was his ball use, which is my favourite.
Yeah, I don't think he used the ball particularly poorly. Like, he's a bit like, I think when he goes inside, when you looked at those other top-end midfielders like Levi Ashcroft and Murphy Reid, when they went inside, dual-handed, like they can flick the ball out like real punchy handballs, where Moraes is a little bit of that guy where he's sort of like, outside of the right, and it's not as precise. It doesn't get out to the guys quicker to release and stuff like that. So I think he's better suited to the outside. But when he can just use that and he can like run and jump at the ball and he's got time and space, I think he's a decent user as well.
Yeah. I feel like draftees get a lot of hate, don't they? Like I always like that bad kick. And then there's so many footballers.
And you get stuck.
can't kick.
Sometimes you watch one little bad thing of a draftee,
Yeah.
and it can stay with you too much.
Put a line through him.
Yeah, like they're done, not up to the level.
Yeah, no, Murphy Reid has slotted in seamlessly to that Freo side. When we picked him up, I didn't know where he'd fit in, but that half forward role is, incredible.
We got to talk about the GOAT though.
Sam Moore.
Yeah, like how good's he been?
Did he play against Freo? Sorry.
Against Freo?
Yeah.
No, he was out last week.
So
he's played one less game. He's back this week.
Why was he? Because I genuinely
Just didn't want to subject him to
Yeah.
the purple barrel, mate.
Just didn't want the Josh Draper treatment.
I'll give you some stats of the top guys here. So Lawler, 4 games, 16 disposals a game, 5 goals, not per game, obviously. 5 goals over the 4 games.
That'd be elite.
That'd be Murphy Reid stats.
6 score involvements. So that's 30% of his disposals end up on the scoreboard. Murphy Reid, 5 games, so the 1 extra. 14 disposals.
Yeah.
He's kicked 6 goals. So goals per game slightly less than Lawler.
Yeah.
But it's pretty comparable. Same 6 score involvements per game. 25% of his disposals on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Ashcroft, 5 games, same as Reid. 20 disposals. So higher volume, which is expected. Less score involvements, 5 score involvements. Only kicked the 3 goals, which is not bad, but comparatively at 20% of his disposals hitting the scoreboard. Who are we going after 5 games?
Christian Moraes. Nah. My favourite, well, Murphy Reid's obviously been my favourite, but Christian Moraes has been probably my second
As a
favourite.
little smoky. I'll go Lawler's my guy. I rated him really highly.
What's the question? Like, who has been the
Who's
best?
been the best so far?
Well, Murphy Reid.
Sam Lawler for me.
I need to watch more Richmond, to be fair, but I've liked Luke Traynor too.
To be fair, like the fact that Sam's got comparable stats to Murphy playing in a side that is running backwards 90% of the game just shows the quality of the guy.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he's been a little bit more consistent too, given that Murphy Reid's he ran so hot for a 5-minute period in that Cats
He's only
match.
really had one average game, which was
He's been
last
incredible.
week.
He's been.
Yeah.
I reckon they've Lawler, Reid, and Ashcroft have kind of shown how good this draft is.
Yeah.
And then you throw in your Lindsays and your Langfords. How
like
well
I was genuinely impressed with Lawler against us.
he was incredible in that game.
I was genuinely. I remember doing the preview saying that he's going to get Ollie Hollands, which he did, and I was like, "This is a huge chance." If I was his coach, I'd be like, "It's his technical debut, Ollie at halfback."
Yeah,
Make him question it.
100%.
I thought he did well. I thought he imposed. He looked scary.
He did look scary, and I said it at the time, the thing that impressed me in that game, I loved his power at junior level, but he was pretty much creating, handballing, opening up players into space and stuff
It
like
was
that.
Dustin 2.0, wasn't it? There was shades.
There were shades.
You could close your eyes and see number 4.
There were signs. I reckon Tom Gross for West Coast fans, he's been really good.
I loved him in the draft. He was another Carlton guy.
You did. I remember actually we did a video and you said he was your smoky.
Yeah, I'm gutted that we didn't get him because he impressed me against Carlton.
Big slider too.
That big hit on Harry. That's what he's about. I like them standards. That's a standard set of physicality.
Yeah.
Show no respect.
Yep.
Bit mongrel about him. I like him. Sid Draper. We need to give him a bit of love.
We do have to give Sid Draper. He's been a little bit capped by the fact that he's been the sub in I think at least 2, maybe 3 games. So hasn't really got the numbers to go with what he's done. But you can see that explosiveness.
Inside 50 as well. He's filth.
Yeah.
Them goals.
Yeah.
Loving good goals.
A couple of good goals, just pounces on the ball.
Only Murphy Reid probably has better goals than
Murphy. They're pretty different though, aren't they? Murphy, it's evasion and class and niceness, where Draper's just dog on a bone.
Yeah, he sees the game before it happens. That's what I liked about Murphy in the draft. He's got I feel like people look at the best midfielder too much. Sandy, I'd love 3rd round picks and just pick Sandy's non-drafted.
Sandy's back up like Dogs did with Kennedy.
Yeah, you look at Carlton with Cooper Lord. I loved him in that draft year. I was this guy does all the hard work for all the stars.
Yeah.
He'd be my first cab off the rank. And Matt Carroll, and luckily we got both of them. Matt Carroll was the defender for all the superstars.
Yeah.
I feel like people miss that trick with Sandy. They get drawn to the star, but then they're hang about. They've got role players coming out of their ears.
Yeah. Well, Murphy Reid got that a little bit too. Vic Metro is sort of the same because you get a lot of guys that are periphery players in the Vic. Murphy Reid wasn't in the first midfield rotation, whatever you want to call it, for Vic Metro. He had to come in off a wing to begin with. Then he got a little bit of time inside. So it's harder to prove yourself. Yeah, and if you can impose yourself on the game in that position, it shows more of you, I think.
Yeah, it's the small forward Seth Campbell of Richmond.
Oh,
I was huge of him on the draft because I'm a Tasmanian geek.
Didn't he kick 10 in a senior game?
Yeah, he was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was Lockie Coward as well. They were rubbish that year, Tassie, but them two just made things happen. And I was if you're a recruiter, surely you look at this because they're already fighting. From a junior.
I reckon Seth Campbell is Dylan Moore 2.0.
Yeah, he's got that filth that in 2
Filth,
years.
yeah.
He'll be a 20-touch player, 2-goal a game, and everyone will be passed on him 6 times.
Yeah, exactly. Birdman says Sam Lawler is in the top 5 small forwards already. I would not call him a small forward at 188, but I suppose he is a medium. He's not a key, I suppose, like in that sense. Gary Smith, who is my dad, says, who is Murphy Reid? Thanks, Dad.
Never heard of him.
Eye test says Lawler is cleaner, says Birdman. Cleaner than Murphy. They're both pretty clean.
Murphy will like tap it along to make another contest of it. Like if he can't get clean first use, he'll just like soccer it on or like he loves just like dribbling the ball.
I do feel like it's a little bit like Walsh versus Rosie. This. Ooh. No, but what I mean by that is like Carlton were rubbish when Walsh came. So I feel like it kind of deceptively gave you Walsh was better because Port were doing better in the
right. Rosie was better.
Yeah, no, people used to say Walsh
was better because it was in a worse side.
It was a worse team. So he really stood out. Like when Walsh came, he was instantly Carlton's second best mid.
This is a tricky one though, isn't it? Because it's like the guy that goes into the weaker team usually gets a more predominant role in the team.
Yeah.
So they can show themselves, but then at the same time, they've also got to stand up more.
Yeah.
Because
it's definitely harder. Murphy's got the easier job because like he's surrounded by Walters and then he's got probably one of the best midfielders in the league.
He's got more service, but then at the same time, you've got more. I reckon like Lawler looks like he walked into that Richmond team and just went like, I'm the fucking guy. Like I'm pretty much the captain of this team already. Whereas Murphy Reid's got to be like, he's worried about selection. Every week.
We were joking in the watch along against Richmond. Do you remember like the Nigerian footballers in the 90s in Italy? And it turned out that like half of them were like 30 years old with fake passports.
Yeah. No, I don't know that.
Yeah, I was like, Sam reminds me that he's actually 35, mortgage, divorced twice, and he's just passing himself off as an 18-year-old. Because the way he like bodied some play, like he had that fend off on Cripps, and I'm like, I've seen bona fide mids struggle to do that to Cripps.
Yeah.
And like the fact this kid's having the audacity to do it, executing it, impressive.
Well, it was like Harley Reid in that Melbourne game.
Yeah.
When it was just like, okay, you're taking the piss now.
Yeah.
You're pushing away Petrarca, Oliver.
Running away from stoppage like it's nothing.
Who would you rather have, Harley Reid or Sam?
I reckon that's, we did this on, I think, one of our first streams, and we said, like, same time, who would you take? I think we said Lawler, Horne-Francis, Reid.
I haven't seen enough of Lawler.
He's bloody good.
Yeah.
Like I think he could be as good as Reid. Very. Yeah, right. He's not the thing that Harley has over Lawler is speed. Like he's a bit more speed based and can like really burst away. Lawler's a little bit more like I would argue that Lawler's better on the ball. Like better kicking skills and cleaner handballs and stuff, like more creative. But not as powerful.
That's tough, isn't it? I feel like Harley Reid also looks better, doesn't he? Like how he does it, even though probably Sam executes better, Harley, you notice him, don't you? Like when you can't help but watch Harley.
Yeah. He's a bit like when he does things, it's a bit messier, Harley. But I think he's probably you'd still have to go with him. Like he's a bit more impactful.
That'd be tough, wouldn't it? If you did that draft, you could only have one. Because the rumours are out there that Richmond are interested in Harley. Can you imagine Harley?
Everyone's interested in Harley Reid.
If Harley goes to Richmond and they don't have to give that much for him, which I don't know how they do that, but like if they don't absolutely kill themselves.
Well, the way West Coast do deals, they'll probably do it for like a first round pick.
You can pick 20. Yeah,
Harley Reid for pick
they'll
17.
probably throw in Oscar Allen as steak knives.
Harley Reid, Sam Lawler, and then who else would you have in the Richmond midfield at that point? Taj Houghton. That'd be fucking disgusting.
Disgusting.
No, where do you think Harley would go? Like, if you were Harley, where would you want to go?
For me, it'd be two clubs. It'd be Hawks for instant success, Richmond for long-term success.
I think Richmond would be in the mix. Like, if I was
they've drafted incredibly well.
I'd look at that and be like, 5 years.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure like every Victorian club has shown interest other than Carlton and the Dogs. Is what I heard on a podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Junior though.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to afford him, are you?
That's right. He played VFL for you guys in the Bendigo boy.
Blue, his old Owls. It's all right. You know, I'm surprised St Kilda aren't linked with him because I think he's exactly the type of player St Kilda need.
Far out, they do.
Yeah, give him a Finn Callahan number deal.
And I was saying this the other day because even though my wife's a Saints fan, I was like, I think they've got one of the more exciting lists on the planet. Like, I think as a
The Saints.
Yeah, as a project, I look at that and I'd be quite excited if I was a player, because I think everyone knows from back to front they've got role players. It's stars.
Who are we talking here?
Saints.
Best project on the planet. This man
I
just
think
said.
it's the best
on the
Best
planet.
project on the planet.
You're chatting shit, mate.
Have you seen Liverpool?
Phone it in.
On the football planet, in the AFL planet. In the AFL planet. I think it's really exciting because they've announced they've got 5-6 million of the cap to pay.
I could announce like 6 teams I'd rather support and be more excited
Okay, you just
about.
imagine that at the end of this year, if they brought in, say, TDK
Yeah.
and one of Harley Reid, Zach Butters,
Yeah.
top 6.
Saints.
Yeah.
If they brought in
Yeah.
Butters and Harley Reid.
No, Butters, TDK. So TDK
Oh.
and or Butters or Harley Reid, like one of them two, who they've been heavily linked with.
Mid mix is interesting there. So like I still think Sinclair's best position is halfback.
Yeah, and I think that's where they'll throw him once they get a proper mid.
Do you know what they need? They need Matthias Philippou
Yeah, but
to become their big bodied mid.
he will be though. Like he'll be.
I think he will.
All-star.
Yeah, just needs to get the body right. I suppose then you got Philippou, you got Butters, you got Garcia coming through. You still play McRae. It's a pretty good list.
Like
When
you've got Boxall as well, who is basically Jack Steele 2.0.
yeah, which is not exactly thrilling.
Yeah, but I
it's
think
like
that's what
it's
they
solid.
need with that type of list makeup. They do need a physicality presence.
Yeah, and he's like 190.
And
good
then
reach.
I think TDK, Rowan Marshall, and I still hold hope Max King will get his body
Yeah,
right.
I don't see that.
No,
forward
Max
enough.
King reminds me of Charlie at first. All these problems with the knee. He
It
should
could
have had the
work out.
surgery early. Like
yeah.
Charlie Kerner's quite open. He should have had the surgery and the arthroscope when he was 17. He didn't. He wanted to be drafted.
Yeah.
He's now never been injured, touch wood. I think you'll see Max King next year will be fully fit all year.
I think it comes down to, at the end of the day, probably players like Keeler. Like he has to
Yeah.
turn into like a serious key position
He was
player.
a gun in the under 18s.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
if you look at it next year, they'll just play Max King, Rowan Marshall, TDK. One of them will be the key forward.
If they get TDK and Butters, like it's massive.
And then I genuinely think top 6. Like I do think it's. I would be excited if I was a player and I was like one of the top 10 players in each list. I'd
Yeah.
like Saints would be my number one destination to go to. I'm
Yeah.
paid well.
I'll
and
give
it's
you
a good
that.
list.
They're definitely becoming more of a club to join than they once were.
I think Ross is a good coach, an incredibly good coach. I know you'll hate him because he's Priya, but I think he's already proved he's adapted to the modern game, which no one believed he could.
His fingerprints or like his DNA look more defined than what Clarkson's do at North.
Yeah.
To look at that old
When I
school
did my
coach.
North video, that was my criticism. Clarkson is the only legendary coach who's in the AFL at the minute. I couldn't tell that's his team.
Yeah.
Where like Ross, I
agree with
I
that.
can watch a minute and go, Ross coaches this mob, doesn't he? You can see the physicality and the rigidness.
Yeah.
But I do think Saints, honestly, bold call, they bring 2 stars in.
Yeah.
GG's.
Final word on that though. Where can Saints finish this year?
I think they're that next team that are finishing 6 to 12. Like, I think there's about 6
Yeah.
teams fighting for 7th and 8th.
I probably see them more like 8 to 12. Like I don't think they're 9 to.
Yeah, I think there's 6 sides though that are going to be like the top 6, and I think then you've got the next cab where it's what order.
Yeah.
I feel like Saints are that team that you. I said it at the start of the year. I feel like they're finals killers. They're the teams that I
Yeah.
not
Yep.
want to be 4th playing
Playing
Saints at
them
Marvel.
to hold your top 4 spot.
Yeah, do you know
They're
what I
going to
mean?
be tough to play all year.
And
at
I feel
Marvel.
like they'll steal points off people, which will
Yep.
make them in the 8.
Yeah, 7 to 11 for me for the Saints.
7 to 11. Fair. Yeah, I'll probably go 9 to 12, but just because I don't see them as a finals
It's
team.
just going to be so hard to beat at Marvel all year, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's going to
I think
set
the
up.
ultimate test for them, I know this sounds stupid, is the Carlton Saints game. 'Cause it's at the G.
Yeah.
So I think that will be the ultimate test because it's always a difficult game at Marvel, and the question mark Carlton always have is why can't we have them at a proper ground? I think that might be able to answer a question.
Well, they played really well last year there against Collingwood, early days of the season.
Well, I think that Geelong game just showed you how good they were. Even though it was
Yeah.
at Marvel, showed you how good they are at controlling a team that traditionally is a nightmare to play.
Yeah, won an away
Yeah.
game at Adelaide Oval against Port as well. He looked fucking pretty good against
Like, I just feel
Hawthorn.
like
Yeah.
that would be one of the few questions people have. Can you do it
Yeah.
at MCG?
It's just, like for me, right now, it's like that midfield to me is just not good enough to trouble like the really good teams.
Well, that's what we're saying. Like, if they can get a Butters in that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think
TDK.
that's why I thought like the GWS game. I don't think it was a bad loss. I felt it was just literally where they were.
It is, I agree. But like
I just felt like it was add Finn Callaghan to Saints.
yeah.
There's probably evens.
I'd take that. Like there's just a couple of like really highly talented players, Toby Green, Finn Callaghan.
Yeah, and I just think I genuinely like they're the only team I think in the top 15 that don't have a bona fide this is no disrespect to Saints, but you don't look at their team and go,
Would you say Nazai Wanganeen Miller is?
I would.
I think he's coming up to it.
Yeah.
I think the thing is though too there, it's like most teams have their bona fide star in and around the ball when Asai's a flanker, essentially.
Messing about.
Which that's how they direct the ball. Like they play that transition football. But still, I think that's like why we don't see him as a
Saints that team, you know, when you look at their 22 when you're playing them and you do that mental game, going, Mackay's better than Wilkie.
Yeah, like what we just did before.
Do you know what I mean? Like you genuinely probably win 21 out of 22 spots.
Yeah.
But then you play them.
And
suddenly Steele does nullify Cripps.
Yeah.
Rowan Marshall does get the better of TDK, and suddenly you're like, hang about this team.
McRae has 36 and 15 score involvements.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? You're like, Walsh will batter McRae, and then you look at the stats at the end and he's killed him.
Jack Higgins has kicked 6.
Jack Higgins, fucking
Stocker's pants. He won't handle Motlop. Motlop has 1 touch, 0 goals.
Stocker's pants.
Should we wrap this up, boys?
Yeah, let's do it. That's enough St Kilda talk.
All right, guys. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to watch Footy from the Flat. And Pommy, thank you so much for joining us,
My pleasure,
mate.
boys. This
You
was the
killed
most
it.
fun. Most fun I've had with clothes on.
You just got to end it on that. Absolute pleasure having you on, man.
Cheers,
You're
mate.
welcome back anytime you want.
Hey, mate. Let's do it. I can't wait.
We love you.
100%.
Love your work. Watch Pommy. Where can they find you?
Pommy and Oz on YouTube. You'll see my beautiful mug. We cover all the AFL. Bit of cow and sprinkle flavourings. Bit of draft will start heating up.
We'll be doing
towards the
some
bye.
drafts soon, won't we, Pommy?
We will do,
You and I.
yeah. So I was going to crank up the content around the bye.
Yep.
Might be earlier if Carlton lose this weekend. Totally sack it off.
You need to give the fans some hope.
Yeah, do a race to number 1.
Yeah.
But then I realised Hawthorn have our pick.
Shit. Why have we gone and done that then?
There's no hope.
So I'm kind of riding the TDK leaves for category 1.
There's so much death riding going on in the draft this year. Like Essendon and Melbourne, Richmond North.
Yeah, you know, Richmond, if you go on the Tiger Cast channel, they actually do a weekly death riding
Do they?
for the future.
That's
pick.
actually a great channel.
And it's absolutely
Shout out.
brilliant. Like, I enjoy watching it. Then
Yeah.
just getting generally excited that because their firsts are landlocked to you.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you're
Every
doing
loss.
bad, and
They're
they're
just
like,
like, yes. Absolutely love
Shout
it.
out to everyone that watched. We had good numbers all night as well. So, yeah, big ups everyone. If you're still here, we appreciate you watching.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Oh, nice.